Mohammed? How's it going, buddy? Big shit happening. Big shit happening. Oh, we're getting fucking rendering frame drops again? Why? That's annoying. How's everybody doing? Big fucking shit going down, man. Holy shit. Holy shit. Waiting for people to come on in. We're going to go over this. This big news. How's everybody's night? Just going to play a little bit while we wait for people to show up. Then we'll get into the shit. MTG resigned, brother. MTG just announced her resignation like less than half an hour ago. Crazy shit, bro. Crazy shit. Maybe she's growing a conscience. Yeah. Holy indeed. We're going to take a look. But, yeah. Just going to wait a little bit for peeps to come on in. Keyboard needs to charge. Chat, that's crazy, chat. Chat, that's so crazy, chat. I can't believe it, chat. So crazy. Nebruna.
Hello again. Have you brought me the pupa?
Yep, here you go. Yes. Yes, Neighboruni. Really?
So I can start my experiments.
What?
They're coming from the east.
Uh-oh.
Did they follow those folks back from that nest?
Wow is right, dog. Why, though? Because of the toxicity in politics. It's funny because, like, when it was the left doing it, it was easy. But now that she, like, stepped out of line, she goes, oh, I think she's finally realizing she's part of... She really realized she's part of the problem. That's what happened. Yeah, we are gonna watch that. I'm just waiting for everybody to come on in before we get started.
There is a 78.9% chance that a change in leadership has occurred. There is a 96% chance this unit requires desanitation due to contact with
Epstein files are getting spicy. Bill and Donnie, Donica Lewinsky. The belle of the White House ball. Oh, what? Is that it? Is that done? Do I wait for them to go back? Alright. MT Green. Very bussin' Riz Skibbity files. Indeed, bro. The bussinest, rizenest, skibbityest files.
An American man and woman is a member of the House of Representatives.
Okay, cool, yeah. We'll watch that too. Some that it seemed like I know Trump fucked her Senate dreams, but he's gone to. Maybe she's doing it for something else. Did I forget again? No. Yeah, it's just low volume. I'll turn it up. But what is up with the rendering performance, bro? Fuck off. Oh, kick was on 50. Oh no, it's all good. Share that brain rot. Alright. You want to talk about it?
that certainly was a horrific bit of chaos.
Okay.
But you made the absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Research will bring me from yes, you have your
Thank you. Thank you for the bits. What about you? What do you think?
In their right mind is gonna believe I talk to these things now. Damn lucky I've got to figure out how to explain this mess.
Mm-hmm.
Feed you to the bugs myself.
You fucked up. You fucked up. Alright. Now what? No, probably not. Maybe she's gonna move somewhere else and run as a Democrat. Maybe that's her plan. I am resigning and moving to Los Angeles. Oh yeah, of course she's nuts. I wonder who'd replace her is the question, right? Oh, fine. Well, fuck you.
Well, I suppose you can't play badly. You just simply report the facts. And you have already made me look better in the eyes of the executives. What else do you have for me? Wonderful. I do notice so. And that concludes our business for the...
This man talks a lot of shit. For someone who needed my help. Now what? Got it? What if MTG was the first female president? Oh my god. Is she running in 28? Oh my god. That would be fucking insane. We all knew that was going to happen, Muhammad. We all knew that. Because he was going to have to be more moderate once he got into office. And all the crazies that voted for him are going to be like, no, you have to give us free food and free televisions and free iPhones and free everything. And
There's been an incident. A rogue faction has taken over the monastery. To make matters worse, my access code's not working. Without it, I've no way of calling the lift. These talks.
Sharia, New York City.
Ruth informed me, but how did she...
I know, we're going to watch it. I haven't seen it yet.
Select circle are supposed to be aware they're happening. That's a serious accusation. Why would I do such a thing? You seem to be under the mistaken... I'm sorry, but we really haven't the time to litigate this issue further. In case I didn't make it clear before, the monk representatives of Auntie's choice in the order are...
No longer the outside underdog, therefore the leftists must despise them. It's central to their dogma. I know. This is why they'll always lose.
I know I mentioned it before, but compartmentalization is crucial to the success of...
Yeah, oh, we'll watch it in a second, Muhammad.
I wish I could offer more.
Apparently it's a doozy.
But I'm afraid I won't be accompanying you. I can't be sure my presence wouldn't alter the outcome of your efforts, and no? Once you reach the monastery, make your way to the observatory. If the conspiracy go forth as was determined, and may the plan... Well, that's certainly a relief. Let's hope we live long...
Trump, we're glazing each other. What up, Daniel? Where you been? What, is it really Trump and Mamdani were the enemies? Yeah, now they're best buddies. Now they're butt buddies. Alright, let's watch this.
Hi, everyone. I've always represented the common American man and woman as a member of the House of Representatives, which is why I've always been despised in Washington, D.C.
There it
and just
is.
never fit in. Americans are used by the political industrial complex of both political parties, election cycle after election cycle, in order to elect whichever side can convince Americans to hate the other side more. And the results are always the same. No matter which way the political pendulum swings, Republican or Democrat, nothing ever gets
I
better
know.
for the
Oh
common
my
American
God.
man or woman.
Literally any other president would have been removed from office for doing that. Yeah, it's so insane.
Debt goes higher, corporate and global interests remain Washington's sweethearts, American jobs continue to be replaced, whether it's by illegal labor or legal labor by visas or just
she's
shipped
still
overseas.
fucking nuts.
Small businesses continue to be
Yep.
swallowed by big corporations.
Still fucking
Americans'
nuts.
hard-earned tax dollars always fund foreign wars, foreign aid, and foreign interest. And the spending power of the dollar continues to
No, I
decline.
think all of us agree.
average American-
Because she was starting to, like, push back on Trump. Like, she's still obviously she's still fucking nuts. But she was at least pushing back on him. What a gutless bitch.
American family can no longer survive on a single breadwinner's income, as both parents have to
Why does she sound so bored? She's like, people can't survive on a breadwinner's income. Ho fucking hum.
work in order to simply survive. And today, many in my children's generation feel hopeless for their future and don't think they will ever realize the American dream. And that breaks my heart.
Does it?
I ran for Congress in 2020 and have fought every single day believing that Make America Great Again meant America first. I have one of the most conservative voting records in Congress, defending the First Amendment, Second Amendment, unborn babies, because I believe
Defending the First Amendment is not a conservative voting record. Dumbass. Oh.
God creates life at conception, and I love to fight for the little guy. Strong,
I
safe
love how, like,
borders-
somehow Republicans have garnered the view from people that they somehow are in defense of the First Amendment. What a crock of shit. She can be in the APAC. In fact, it would be nice if she was in the APAC, but there's no fucking way she's in APAC. She does not like Jewish people.
I have fought hard for that. I've fought against COVID tyrannical insanity and
Oh my
mandating
God!
mass vaccinations. And I've never voted to fund foreign wars with your hard-earned tax dollars. However, with almost 1 year into our majority, the legislature has been mostly sidelined. We endured an 8-week shutdown, wrongly, resulting in the House not working for the entire time. And we are entering campaign season, which means all courage leaves and only safe campaign re-election mode is turned on in the House of Representatives. During the longest shutdown in our nation's history, I raged against my own speaker
machine.
and my own party for refusing to proactively work diligently to pass a plan to save Americans' health care and protect Americans from outrageous, overpriced, and unaffordable health insurance policies. The House should have been in session working every day to fix this disaster. But instead, America was force-fed disgusting political drama once again
Marjorie's suddenly pro-Obamacare. How about that?
from both sides of the aisle on television every single day. My bills, which reflect many of
What up,
President
Titanium?
Trump's executive orders, like calling for a new census counting Americans only to draw new districts, making English the official language of the U.S., making it a
What?
felony to medically train
She just said they should be extending the subsidies. Is that what she just said? Am I tripping?
a
Okay, fine. At least she wants to extend the subsidies. They're never gonna fucking come up with something to replace it anyway, so that's as good as supporting Obamacare for all I'm concerned.
minor, and other bills like eliminating capital gains taxes on the sale of your primary home and eliminating H-1B visas. Just sit. They all sit collecting dust. That's how it is for most members of Congress bills. The Speaker never brings them to the floor for a vote. Many common Americans are no longer easily convinced by paid political propaganda spokespersons and consultants on TV and paid shills on social media obediently serving with cult-like conviction to force others to swallow the political party talking points.
Gluck.
Because they know how much credit card debt they have, they know how much their bills have gone up over the past 5 years. They actually do their own grocery shopping and no food costs too much. Their rent has increasingly gone up and up. They have been outbid by corporate asset managers too many times when they put in an offer to buy a house. They have been laid off after being forced to train their visa holding replacement. The college degree they were told to earn only left them in debt with no big 6-figure salary. They see more homeless people than ever on their own community streets. They can't afford health insurance or practically any insurance, and they just aren't stupid. These are the people I represent and love because that is who all of my family and friends are, common Americans. I've been blessed to represent the 14th District of
Let's go,
Georgia for
freestyle!
5 years. The district is filled with some of the most wonderful, kind-hearted, God-fearing, patriotic, hardworking people you will ever meet. Good, regular, common Americans. I've worked hard to bring taxpayer dollars back home to help district needs. I impeached Biden's Secretary of Homeland after watching my constituents die as he facilitated dangerous open border invasion into America. And I led the effort to defund hard-left politically biased NPR and PBS and the corrupt USAID, and I did that as chair of the
Oh
Doge
my
subcommittee.
God.
I have fought harder than almost
She's
any
insane.
other elected Republican to elect Donald Trump and Republicans to power. I traveled the country for years.
Now she's
I
all
spent
butthurt.
millions of my own money. I missed precious time with my family that I can never get back.
Oh, boo-hoo.
And I showed up in places like outside the
I'm so sorry you missed time with your family, Marjorie. That's so important when you need to serve the country and make decisions that actually save lives and get people fed and get them jobs and food. Oh, no. You lost time with your precious rich family. No.
New York courthouse in Collect Pond Park against a raging leftist mob as Trump faced Democrat lawfare. Meanwhile,
Yeah, that's fine. But then you say, I'd like to spend more time with my family. Don't complain about missing time with your... Don't complain about it. You chose that. If you want to say, I'd like to spend more time with my family, that's fine. If you're going to complain that because of it, you had to... Oh, I had to miss time with my family.
Most of the establishment Republicans who secretly hate him and who stabbed him in the back and never defended him against anything have all been welcomed in right after the election. And I will never forget the day I had to leave my mother's side as my father had brain surgery to remove cancerous tumors in order to fly to Washington, D.C. to defend President Trump and vote no against the Democrats' second impeachment in 2021. My poor father and my poor mother, it was way too much for all of us. Through it all, I never changed or went back on my campaign promises and only disagreed in a few areas, like my stance against H-1Bs replacing American jobs, AI state moratoriums, debt for life 50-year mortgage scams, standing strongly against all involvement in foreign wars, and demanding the release of the Epstein files. Other than that, my voting record has been solidly with my party and the president. Loyalty should be a two-way street, and we should be able to vote our conscience and represent our district's interests because our job title is literally representative. America first should mean America first and only Americans first, with no other foreign country ever being attached to America first in our halls of government.
Oh, she's going to talk about the Jews!
Standing up for American women who were raped at 14 years old, trafficked and used by rich, powerful men should not result in me being called a traitor and threatened by the President of the United States, whom I fought for. However, while yes, hurtful, my heart remains filled with joy, my life is filled with happiness, and my true convictions remain unchanged, because my self-worth is not defined by a man, but instead by God, who created everything.
Oh, feminist queen MTG!
In existence. You see, I have never valued power, titles, or attention, in spite of all the wrong assumptions about me. I do not cling to those things because they are meaningless and empty traps that hold too many people in Washington. I believe in term limits and do not think Congress should be a lifelong career or an assisted living facility. My only goal and desire has ever been to hold the Republican Party accountable for the promises it makes to the American.
Did y'all hear that? She called it the Republican Party. I want to hear that again. That's funny.
Or an assisted living facility. My only goal and desire has ever been to hold the Republican Party accountable for the promises it
Republican Party
makes to the American people and put America first. And I have fought against Democrats' damaging policies like the Green New Deal, wide open, deadly, unsafe border policies, and the trans agenda on children and against women.
Trans kids!
With that has brought years of non-stop, never-ending personal attacks, death threats, lawfare, ridiculous slander and lies about me.
I'm sorry.
Most people.
I'm sorry, motherfucker. You yourself admitted that you were a huge part of that problem. You, like, literally just a couple days ago. Unbelievable. Literally just a couple days ago, you were like, I'm part of the toxic problem. Having a monster right now. I don't know, I've been a little lower energy on stream the last few times. I just wanted to pump it up a little bit. Have a little more fun. Be more fun with it. Like I was month-ish ago. Plus, this is fun. It's easy to make fun of.
Could never withstand even for a single day. It has been unfair and wrong, not only to me, but especially to my family, but it's been wrong to my district as well. I have too much self-respect and dignity. I love my family way too much, and I do not want my sweet district to have to endure a hurtful and hateful primary against me by the president that we all fought for, only to fight and win my election while Republicans will likely lose the midterms, and in turn be expected to defend the president against impeachment after he hatefully dumped tens of millions of dollars against me and tried to destroy me. It's all so absurd and completely unserious. I refuse to be a battered wife, hoping it all goes away and gets better. If I am cast aside by the president and the
a battered wife?
MAGA political machine and replaced by neocons, big pharma, big tech, military-industrial war complex, foreign leaders, and the elite donor class that can never ever relate to real Americans, then many common
Yeah.
Americans have
Yep.
been cast aside and replaced.
I could see
as
that.
There is no plan to save the world or a 4D chess game being played. When common American people realize and understand that the political industrial complex of both parties is ripping this country apart, that not one elected leader like me is able to stop Washington's machine from gradually destroying our country, and instead the reality is that they, common Americans, the people, possess the real power over Washington, then I'll be here by their side to rebuild it. Until then, I'm going back to the people that I love, to live my life to the fullest as I always have.
Lazy.
And I look forward to a new path ahead.
Lazy.
I'll be resigning from office with my last day being January 5th, 2026. And I look forward to seeing many of you again sometime in the future. May God bless you all, and may God bless America.
So she is serving out the rest of her... No, not the rest of her term. So there's going to be a special election. Democrats tend to do well in special elections. I mean, it's not likely we'd win that one, but be interesting to see how we do there. 1 trillion from Tesla. I know. How insane is that? All right. Well, let's watch Mamdani and Trumple. Breitbart claiming the Bush family is planning a 28 comeback. Okay. I'd take the Bushes over Trumpism at this point. At least we'd be moving in the right direction.
Well, thank you very much. We've just had a great meeting, a really good,
Great
productive
meeting.
meeting. We have
Very
one thing in
productive.
common. We want this city of ours that we love to do very well. And I wanted to congratulate the mayor. He really ran an incredible race against, a lot of smart people, starting with the early primaries against some very tough people, very smart people. And he beat them easily. And I congratulated him. And we talked about some things in very strong common, like housing and getting housing built, and food and prices, and the price of oil is coming way down. Anything I do is going to be good for New York. If I can get prices down, it's good for New York. And we've got them down, way down from
There it is.
last year. We have, as you know, I've been saying to a lot of people, Walmart.
Hey, listen,
said
he's
that
old,
Thanksgiving
okay?
this year
Give
is
him a
exactly
break.
25% less than last year. So that's good for New York, good for everybody. But I just want to congratulate.
Yeah, I love how he
hopefully
always he's
great-
always talking about how great the prices are when everybody in America is really feeling it. It sounds just like Joe Biden. Like, it's why Joe Biden lost, is because they didn't acknowledge that Americans were feeling shitty pricing, even though they had stopped inflation. He's doing exactly the same thing, and it's clearly super unpopular. Huh? True, Daniel.
Mayor, the better he does, the happier I am. I will say there's no difference in party. There's no difference in anything, and we're going to be helping him to make
Greatest
everybody's
economy
dream come
ever.
true.
You've never
Having
seen
strong
an
and
economy
efficient
quite
New
like
York,
this
and
one.
Congratulations, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Please.
I appreciated the meeting.
All right, Mamdani's apparently about to drag his balls all over Trump's face right now. So let's see what happens.
With the president, and as he said, it was a productive meeting focused on a place of shared admiration and love,
That's
which
not
is
what
New York
I
City,
heard.
and the need to deliver affordability to New Yorkers, the 8.5 million people who call our city their home, who are struggling to afford life in the most expensive city in the United States of America. We spoke about rent, we spoke about groceries, we spoke about...
Okay. Not true. God, I love it when people just say shit. When they just say shit without anything to back it up, because they're just experiencing cognitive dissonance. So stupid. Mamdani said Cuomo was a Trump glazer. Yep. Now look. Ooh, I can't wait. God, I hope Hassan gets real. I hope Hassan is like really pissy about this. It would.
Utilities, we spoke about the different ways in which people are being pushed out, and I appreciated the time with the president. I appreciated the conversation. I look forward to working together to deliver that affordability for New Yorkers.
Thank you very much.
Good
Any
luck.
questions, please?
President Trump, Stephen Nelson from the New York Post. I've got a question for you and then also one for Mayor-elect.
Sure.
Yeah, true.
For
That's
you,
true.
you referred to
We'll see,
Trump
though.
on
We
his
will see.
comments.
Let's not get
Describe
excited.
Why you feel that way, and also will you do anything to stop him from arresting Prime Minister Netanyahu if he visits New York?
Well, we didn't discuss your second part of the question, and on your first part, I mean, he's got views that are a little out there, but who knows? I mean, we're going to see how it works, or he's going to change also. We all change. I changed a lot.
Bro, you were calling him a radical communist like not a week ago.
Changed a lot from when I first came to office. It's now quite a while ago. It's quite a while. My first term was great. We had the greatest
Is he gonna-
economy
wait.
in the history of our country. We're doing
Greatest economy in the history of our country, right? And then COVID. Yeah, okay. Which you bungled. All right. Is he going to say that? Is he then going to say that? Is he going to mention the rigged election? Here we go. Will he do it? Yeah, I think so.
even better now. We're doing much better
Oh, no.
now than we did even the first term. And I can tell you, some of my views have changed. And we had discussions on some things. I'm not going to discuss what they were, but that I feel very confident that he can do a very good job. I think he's going to be. I think he is going to surprise some conservative people, actually, and some very liberal people. He won't surprise them because they already like him.
Look at the way he looked at him. That was so cute. That was
Well,
so
actually-
cute. Look at this.
And some very liberal people. He won't surprise them because they already like.
Look, oh. Isn't that cute? I love it when the horseshoe just happens right in front of your face. I love a good obvious horseshoe.
Like him.
And Mr. Mamdani, it sounds like you had a productive discussion, but just days ago you referred to President Trump as a despot who betrayed the country. You said you would be his worst nightmare and accused him of having a fascist agenda. Are you planning to retract any of these remarks in order to improve the relationship?
I think both President Trump and I, we are very clear about our positions and our views, and what I really appreciate about the president is that the meeting that we had focused not on places of disagreement, which there are many, and also focused on the shared purpose that we have in serving New Yorkers.
He's so slick. He's so fucking slick, dude. Every time somebody's like, "Are you going to retract this thing you said?" He just is like, he refocuses it. He says a very diplomatic thing. I've used techniques like this before. He's using them very well. You don't like reiterate the thing that you believe right there, but you don't deny it. And instead, you focus on like, here's where we're working together. This is where we're positive. If you guys notice me when I'm like talking to like a MAGA person, or like having a debate with someone where I disagree, you'll notice me doing the exact same thing. I do the exact same fucking thing because it's a really smart way to get somebody on your side without them like realizing that you're getting them on your side, and they'll like listen more to what you have to say and at least be a little bit more receptive because you're like, hey, look, we have these things in common, and that's great. Even though you're not really acknowledging the large differences that you have, even though they're still there. He read Chris Voss. I don't know who Chris Voss is. Who dat? He's a leftist Trump. Yeah, probably a little bit. Never split the difference. I'm still gonna need more than just the title of the book. Never mind. Give me like a quick thing. I want to know. Because if I'm like already naturally doing some shit that some guy wrote, I'm gonna feel pretty stoked on myself. So I want to feel stoked on myself. Late night FM DJ voice. Never split the difference. puts people at ease in times of high tension. Coming up, smooth jazz. Oh, cool. Nice. Yeah.
And frankly, that is something that could transform the lives of the 8.5 million people who are currently struggling under a cost of living crisis, with 1 in 4 living in poverty. And the meeting came back again and again to what it could look like to lift those New Yorkers out of struggle and start to deliver them a city that they could do more than just struggle to afford it, but actually start to live in it.
And I've been called much worse than a despot, so it's not that insulting. Maybe.
Holy shit. Did y'all see what just happened? Did y'all follow what just happened there? I'm sure y'all did. That was pretty crazy. That was pretty fucking crazy. It's a little weird. He's got his number. I think he's got him figured out. Mamdani saying he was going to be so tough on Trump, the leftists were convinced he was a socialist messiah. I know, that's hilarious. But, like, I don't know if you guys saw the weird little dynamic that just happened right there. But they asked Mamdani, okay, you know, you said Trump was like a fascist or whatever. Do you, like, retract that? Mamdani doesn't really retract it. He just starts saying, you know, we have these things in common. I want to work with the president. Here's what I think the president is doing good about talking to me, blah, 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 right? Doesn't retract it, sort of, without saying it, reiterates it like he does with all the crazy shit that he says, right? And then Trump, instead of being like, this guy's a fucking commie, fuck him for calling me a despot, right? Trump goes, being called a despot isn't so bad. By him, I've been called so much worse. Bro, he just rolled on his back and showed his fucking belly. He just, like, accommodated Mamdani, who called him a fucking despot. That's wild. That is wild.
I think he'll change his mind after we get to working together. Yes, please.
And now, I think he'll change his mind. So now he's trying to change Mamdani's mind. Oh, this is interesting.
I would like to ask you a question about the Middle East regarding
Sure.
you said that Hezbollah in Lebanon is not in a good position. And Lebanon now is the final unresolved after Gaza and Syria. Given your assessment...
Yeah, but Lebanon's not a huge problem right now.
Yeah.
Lebanon we can deal with
what
later.
is your next move to push toward disarmament?
Sure. Well, we are pushing for total disarmament of Hamas and, frankly, everybody else. And we actually have peace in the Middle East.
Everybody.
As you know, the King of Saudi Arabia just left yesterday. We had some great meetings, and he's made a contribution toward the United States of more than $1 trillion. We have now over $20 trillion coming in. No country has ever had anything like that. Not
Where
even
is he
close.
getting these fucking numbers? $20 trillion? What the fuck is he talking about? Is he talking about business investment? How much of which has actually materialized so far? Bro.
Go to 2 trillion or 1 trillion, it's a lot. We have 20 or
20
21
trillion?
dollars.
What is he talking about?
I think that Hezbollah has been a problem in Lebanon, big problem. We're working with Lebanon. We're working with everybody in the Middle East. That's another thing I think we have in common. We want to see peace in the Middle East, and we actually have now for the first time peace in the
Mamdani
Middle
wants to
East
see
after
peace in the Middle East for
3,000 years.
Arabs.
And now we're going to refine it.
For
And I think
everyone
you're
else,
gonna
he
see
doesn't really
some very
care.
positive things happen.
There is a potential to invite the Lebanese president.
Oh, sure. Oh, I would do that, absolutely. And if the mayor would like to be here for that meeting, because I know he feels very strongly. I think you feel
So
very,
what
very
am I
strongly
supposed to do
about peace
here?
in the Middle East. I think it's-
We desperately want it, and that's something that I shared with the president, that when I spoke to New Yorkers who had voted for the president last November on Hillside Avenue and Fordham Road, I asked them why. I heard again and again 2 major reasons. One was that they wanted an end to forever wars. They wanted an end to the taxpayer dollars we had funding violations of human rights, and they wanted to address the cost of living crisis. And I appreciated the chance to discuss both of those things.
He said a lot of my voters actually voted for him, and I'm okay with that.
Which part you don't see as
I'll
a
do
power
that. I'll
move?
sign it.
I'm
Give
not
it to me,
seeing
I'll sign it.
Mamdani as having a power
That's
move.
pretty good.
Mamdani is slippery like that always. That's how he always acts when somebody asks him about a fucking retarded thing that he said. What I'm saying is, like, Trump, instead of like having the power position, which in his position, if he made a deal with Mamdani, even in the back rooms, he should still be like, yeah, I'm the boss, I'm the fucking president. He was just kind of like, oh, it's okay, you could call me despot, I don't really care. That's some weak pussy shit. It's, you know, especially for Trump, who's always boisterous and shit. I don't know, it just stands out to me.
Mr. President,
Yeah, please.
you threatened to send federal troops to New York City. You both have differences when it comes to ICE agents
Right.
in New York City. Mr. Mamdani, you called ICE a rogue government entity. I wonder how you reconcile your differences on both of those issues.
Well, I think we're going to work them out, and I think that if we have known murderers and known drug dealers and some very bad people, you know, we want to get them out. And the mayor wants to have peace. We discussed this at great length, actually, maybe more than anything else. He wants to have a safe New York. Ultimately, a safe New York is going to be a great New York. If it's not safe, no matter how well we do with pricing and with anything else, we
Yep.
can talk about anything you want. If you don't have safe streets, it's not going to be a
probably right
success.
about
So
that.
we're going to work together. We're going to make sure that if there are horrible people there, we want to get
Horrible
them out. I think he wants to
people.
get them out, maybe more than I do. So we'll work together. We
Maybe
discussed
more
it
than I know.
at great length. Yes, please.
Yeah, two questions, if I may. One for you, Mr. President, from BBC in a second. But first,
Make a deal, but I think Trump is being kind because he got concessions like he did from Adams, yeah.
You're both populists, though. And I just
Yeah, I just wonder how that's going to look. I hope we see Hassan having a tantrum. Oh, I hope he has a little tantrum over this. That'd be fun.
to what extent the president's campaign style, his techniques, his social media, inspired any part of your campaign?
Well, I actually told the president that, you know, so much of the focus of our campaign has been on the cost of living crisis. And when we asked those New Yorkers who had voted for the president, when we saw an increase in his numbers in New York City, that came back to the same issue: cost of living, cost of living, cost of living. And they spoke about the cost of groceries, the cost of rent, the cost of Con Ed, the cost of childcare. And too often politicians are looking to lecture to New Yorkers what they should care about as opposed to listen. And when we spoke to those voters who voted for President Trump.
What an empty statement. Lecture to New Yorkers about what they're supposed to care about instead of listen. Bro, I'm sorry, but like, if New Yorkers are like, we want free this and free that, and you're like, yes, obviously they're gonna want to vote for you, dude. That's not... It's easy to just listen to what people want and be like, sure, yeah, here you go, whatever you want. It's much harder, you have much more conviction to be like, I understand what you want, but here's what's workable.
We heard them speak about cost of living. We focused on that same cost of living,
Yeah.
and that's where I am really looking forward to delivering for New Yorkers in partnership with the president on the affordability agenda.
Of course they do.
And I think
That's
we have
what
to work
populism
we
is.
talked
It's
about
just
Con
fucking
Edison. We have
platitudes.
to work a little bit on getting the prices because, you know, we've gotten fuel prices way down, but it hasn't shown up in Con Edison. And we're going to have to talk to them. You know, if we're saying
We've got our prices down, but the price people aren't showing it, so we're going to have to tell them to show it. Get the fuck out of here.
sending them fuel at a much lower price than it was a year ago, which is true, we have to get Con Edison to start lowering their rates.
Absolutely.
And if I may, last week you told me you were pushing ahead with your plans to sue BBC for up to $5 billion. You were going to speak to Prime Minister Starmer as well. Is there any progress or any updates on those issues?
Well, we get along very well with the Prime Minister. We made a deal with UK. I like him. He's a fine
With
person.
UK.
And, you know, I think they have some big energy problems. You know, they've got windmills all over the place. They're going to have to start using other methods because.
Oh my
energy is
God,
out of
he's
control.
so
Coming out of the
stupid.
UK. It's out of control, and he's got.
He's so
a problem.
stupid.
He's got a big immigration.
The
problem, as you
fucking
know.
windmills again, man. Like, windmills are a problem. What a fucking idiot.
He's got a big energy problem, and we talk about it. He's a good man. Prime Minister's a good man.
You had a chance to speak this week.
I haven't spoken this week.
Have you spoken to President Zelensky, or do you intend to
Who?
speak to President Zelensky about your plan as you meet with him?
I've spoken with their people. We have a plan. It's horrible what's happening. It's a war that should have never happened.
Horrible.
It would have never happened if I was president. And it's a shame.
There it is again. Why does he always say that? If it would have never happened when you were president, then it should have been over like you said it was going to be within 24 fucking hours, bro. Here we are getting close to a year on from when you took the presidency, and we're not even no closer to it. We're farther away from it. And this new plan you came out with has pissed everybody in Kiev and Europe off. Everyone thought you were going to be like cool with Ukraine now, and then you come out with this fucking plan, which is the same bullshit that you were trying to do before. Ugh.
They should have acted quicker, but it's a cold winter, and a lot of the you talk about utilities, but a lot of the big energy producing plants have been under attack, to put it mildly, to put it nicely. Yeah, we have a way of getting peace, or we think we have a way of getting peace. He's going to have to approve it. Just so sad, so many people. You know, last month they lost 25,000 soldiers. This is something, we haven't seen anything like this since the Second World War. And they're averaging 6,000 or 7,000
I guess that's
a week
probably true.
between the two of them.
It's a pretty
Dead
bad war.
soldiers.
It's pretty crazy.
And it goes on, and I think they're getting reasonably close. But I don't want to predict. I would have said that would have been one of my early ones. I did 8 peace deals of countries, including India, Pakistan.
Oh, God, there it is. The fucking 8 peace deals lie.
And you could even go, in fact, they're coming here in a week or two, go to the Congo and Rwanda. That was 10 million people dead, and we worked something out on that. But so many, and the one I thought would have been...
What the fuck is he
for
talking
me,
about?
Because I have a very good relationship with President Putin. I thought that would have been maybe quicker, but it does take 2 to tango. And now you just see all the death. And, you know, it doesn't affect us other than the fact that we don't want to see all those people that really, it's on the other side
I'm
of the
just
ocean.
doing it out of the good of
That's
my
what we
heart.
should
The
have
good of
never
my
happened.
heart.
It happened. I blame the person also sitting right behind this desk. This is a war that should have never happened, and it wouldn't have happened if I were president.
Did he actually take a little bit of account? Oh, no, he was saying Biden. He blames Biden. Oh, sorry. For a second, I thought when he said that he meant himself. Nope.
But we're trying to save a lot of lives. They're losing 25. Think of that, 25,000 lives over the last short period.
It's
of
crazy
time.
to me that
That's
people
Ukrainian
actually
and
want
Russian.
somebody who just doesn't take
And,
accountability for anything.
It's a shame.
And they think that makes him strong. Like, it tells me, like, how fucked up in the head so many people's psychology is. And, like, why it's so difficult for people to function normally today.
About a House resolution just passed overwhelmingly to condemn socialism, including with 86 Democrats, all of House Dem leadership.
Wait a minute. They passed a House resolution to condemn socialism? I'm like, obviously I'm not a fan of socialism, right? But what the fuck is the point of that?
The minority leader, Hakeem Jeffries, despite his endorsement of you. What's your reaction to that?
I have to be honest with you, I focused very little on resolutions. Frankly, I've been focusing...
Condemn socialism.
I understand. I think the focus is on the work at hand. I can tell you I am someone who is a democratic socialist. I've been very open about that. And I know there might be differences about ideology, but the place of agreement is the work that needs to be done to make New York City affordable. That's what I look forward to.
And I want to clarify
Stop
your
it.
answer to Stephen Nelson. He asked about your comment calling the president a fascist, and your answer was, both President Trump and I have been clear about our positions and our views. Are you affirming that you think President Trump is a fascist?
I've spoken about...
That's okay. You can just say
Okay.
yes.
All right.
It's easier.
Come on! Come on, guys!
It's easier than explaining it. I don't mind.
I don't mind. Call me a fascist.
About this Ukraine plan.
Yeah.
President Zelensky said today that his country would risk either giving up a partner or giving up its dignity. There's been criticism that this deal...
You mean he doesn't like it?
It's unclear. He was sort of
Well,
tenuous.
Bro, I'm sorry. Did he not know? Did he not know what the Ukrainian response to the deal was at the time of this meeting? Other people know and the president didn't know?
He'll have to like it, and if he doesn't like it, then, you know, they should just keep fighting, I guess, you know.
No, that is based,
He
though.
doesn't accept it.
That is based. I agree with that. If Ukraine doesn't like it, they should keep fighting because fuck Russia, bro. Russia's the one who fucking started all of this. If Ukraine isn't happy with the terms, we should keep helping them. Europe should keep helping them. We shouldn't allow fucking Putin to just waltz around and do whatever the fuck he wants. There need to be consequences. For fuck's sake.
That the U.S. would pull back its support for Ukraine. Is that
Well, at some
accurate?
point, he's going to have to accept something, you know. He hasn't accepted. You remember right in the Oval Office not so long ago.
Oh no, here we go.
I said, you don't have the cards.
You don't have, he brought up the
Don't
cards! You don't have the cards.
Inherited this war. I would have never, this war never would have happened. I inherited this war. And I thought he should have made a deal a year ago, 2 years ago. The ultimate deal would have been if it never started. That would have been the good deal. That could have been done too. If you had
Shut
right
the
president.
fuck
If you didn't have the
up,
right president.
dude. Oh my god, you're such a
The
loser.
cost of living is something that you and Mr. Mamdani seem to agree on.
Right.
Democrats
Bro.
love New York City for a long time, Mr. Mamdani. Do you see Democrat policy specifically as being a problem? And I'd like that be a question that both of you could answer in New York City.
Look, I think that there are many things in our city where we have to own the responsibility of it, things that existed long before the president was the president. And those are also part of the message of our campaign, was to take on a broken politics of the past. And I ran against a number of candidates who represented different versions of that past. And what we found time and again is that working people were left behind in the politics of our city. And what we're looking to do is put those people right back at the heart of our politics so that we don't have a situation where we're in the wealthiest city in the history of the world, and yet 1 in 5 can't even afford $2.90 for a Metro card.
Mr. Mamdani.
You know, we had some interesting conversation, and some of his ideas really are the same ideas that I have. But a big thing on cost, you know, the new word is affordability. Another word is just groceries.
The new
It's sort of
word
an
is
old-fashioned word, but
affordability. That's
it's very
embarrassing.
accurate. And they're coming down high. They were, you know, we had, both of us, we had the highest inflation in the history of our country the last 4 years under the Biden administration. And we've got inflation down now to a normal number. It's going to go even a little bit lower than that. Katie, do you have something in a bit?
Mr. President, thank you so much. Mr. Mamdani often talks about New York City being covered by international law, that they will follow international law. Doesn't often talk about the U.S. Constitution. What is your response to that?
Well, I don't know what you're referring to in terms of it could be covered by international law, local law. It's covered by a lot of laws.
A lot of laws.
It's covered by U.S. law. Are you referring to anything in particular?
You just said that they're a city that endorses and enforces international law. Is that at odds with?
No, I don't know. Would you want to respond to
Yeah, I think what I've shared with the president is our desire to not only follow the laws of our own city, laws that protect New Yorkers, but also a desire for consistency in our politics across the board. And that's something that we've talked about and something that I know many New Yorkers want.
So you work with ICE with that? We work with ICE then?
We discussed ICE and New York City, and I spoke about how the laws that we have in New York City allow for New York City government to speak to the federal administration for about 170 serious crimes. The concerns that many New Yorkers have are around the enforcement of immigration laws on New Yorkers across the 5 boroughs, and most recently we're talking about a mother and her 2 children, how this has very little to do with what that is.
Mr. Mamdani.
What we did is we discussed crime. More than ICE per se, we discussed crime. And he doesn't want to see crime, and I don't want to see crime.
I don't want to see crime.
I have very little doubt that we're not going to get along on that issue. He wants to, and he said some things that were very interesting as to housing construction, and he wants to see houses go up. He wants to see a lot of houses created, a lot of apartments built, etc. And you know, we actually, people would be shocked, but I want to see the same thing.
Mr. Mamdani, anti-Israel protesters.
Jack?
Mr. President, I want to know, one of the policies as well that Mayor-elect Mamdani talked a number of times about on the campaign was shifting the tax burden for property taxes from what he called minority communities to white-based communities and putting more taxes on white people. I also noticed that
Jesus
in your acceptance
Christ.
speech didn't mention anything about America or Christians or white people in general, and so I didn't know if that was one of the policies that you guys had spoken about.
We focused on affordability. We focused on the cost of living crisis. What I will say is that I am very much interested in property tax reform because what we see right now in New York City is a system that is so inequitable that it can't even stand up in court. And the president and I spoke about the importance of not only building more housing, but also making sure that regulation of housing is something that is manageable to actually get through and not the cause of yet another weight that we see in
But
our
to be
city.
clear, you're continuing this idea of race-based property taxes.
No, to be very clear,
That's what you said.
no, the
It's
use
what you
of
said.
the term was a
Give us-
description of neighborhoods.
Give
not-
us the soundbite, Mamdani. Please give us the soundbite. Okay, that's what you said. Say it again so we can scream about identity politics and Democrats and socialists. Trump said he likes more housing. All the Yimbys on Twitter will be jumping on the Trump train in 3, 2. Oh,
not a
God.
description of intent.
So you intend to tax the whiter neighborhoods more?
No, we intend to create a fair property tax system because we want a New York City that is not only fair and equitable, but also one that every New Yorker can afford.
And that means taxing white people more, right? Just say it. Just say you want to tax white people more, okay? Even if it's the truth that more equitable tax system means that white people get taxed more. Just say you want to tax white people, okay? We need to put that as a headline.
Please, go ahead.
Mr. Mamdani, anti-Israel protesters just targeted a synagogue in New York. Are you concerned about Jewish New Yorkers feeling welcome and safe in the city?
What's he gonna say?
You threatened to cut off federal funding to New York City. What policies would prompt you to do that? Would that be city-run grocery stores? Would it be something else?
Well, I think if we didn't get along, whether it's cut off or just make it a little bit difficult or not give as much, we want to see, I use the term, we don't want good money going after bad. And we don't want that to happen. I don't think that's going to happen. I did say that, subject to what policies are being set. We had a meeting today that actually surprised me. He wants to see no crime. He wants to see housing being built. He wants to see rents coming down, all things that I agree with. Now, we may disagree how we get there. The rent coming down, I think...
Just say housing good and bam, you got a new fan.
Gleaned
Yeah.
very much...
Real
today. We'd like
Yimbys
to see
know
it
who's
come down
actually gonna
ideally
do
by
it.
building a lot of additional housing.
Yeah.
That's the ultimate way. He agrees with that, and so do I. But if I read the newspapers and the stories, I don't hear that. But I heard him say it today, and I think that's a very positive step. No, I don't expect. I expect to be helping him, not hurting him. A big help, because I want New York City to be great.
What up,
I love New York City. That's where I
Cosmic?
come from. I spent a lot of years there. Now I'm right here. We took a big setback with the mayor that we had, named de Blasio. I thought it
De
was
Blasio.
a tremendous setback for the city.
De
This mayor
Blasio.
can do some things that are going to be really great.
Mr. President,
Mr. President.
Yeah, okay, how about you? Go ahead, please.
you're a billionaire. You have a different address.
You're a
nowadays
billionaire,
than
sir.
you used to, but you used to call New York City home. Would you feel comfortable living in New York City under a Mamdani administration?
Yeah, I would. I really would. Especially after the meeting. Absolutely.
What makes you comfortable?
Mamdani making
We
friends.
agree on a lot more than I would have thought.
De Blasio.
I think I want him to do a great job, and we'll help him do a great job. He may have different views, but in many ways, we were discussing when Bernie Sanders was out of the race, I picked up a lot of his votes, and people had no idea because he was strong on not getting ripped off in trade and lots of the things that I've practiced and been very successful on. Tariffs, a lot of things. Bernie Sanders and I agreed on much more than people thought. And when he was put out of the race, I think quite unfairly, if you want to know the truth, many of the Bernie Sanders voters voted for me. And I felt very comfortable, frankly, in seeing
Yeah,
that and
because they
saying
were
that.
populists,
And,
not
it just
anybody
turned
who
out to
knew
be
a goddamn thing about what was going
statistical
on.
truth. But no, I feel very comfortable. I would feel very, very comfortable being in New York, and I think much more so after the meeting. Yes, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have a question for you, but a very quick one for
Please.
the mayor. Why did you fly here? Aren't trains greener?
I will use every form of transit, and I want to make sure that they're all affordable in New York City.
He'll be
and that's why
alone in a room
making
with
buses
Stephen Miller
fast
and
free
JD
is a
Vance
central
tonight.
piece
By
of
tomorrow, he'll be back to calling for
but I know
Mamdani
that
to be
he flew this
deported.
lot quicker too. He's working very hard. For him to be, it's a very That's a very long drive. I'll stick up for you. You know, the plane takes you 30 minutes and driving takes you a
And
long
Mr.
time.
President, I was wondering if you could clear up some confusion around a Washington Post report. There's this explosive report that the Coast Guard is no longer going to characterize swastikas and nooses as hate symbols. DHS
They
called
flip-flopped
that a
on
lie
that.
and fake news. Can you clear up?
I don't know anything about it. When was this?
Yeah, the Coast Guard stopped listing swastikas, nooses, and Confederate flags as hate symbols. And then after the backlash, they had to flip-flop on it. Bro.
Yesterday.
Well, look, the Coast Guard's an incredible group of people. I know them very well. We just ordered a lot of new Coast Guard cutters. Beautiful, the most magnificent ship. They look like yachts with lots of guns on them. So I don't know. I haven't seen any report like that, but certainly we want them to remain a great force, and they are.
Mr. President, and you did a piece in all the 9 months around the world. I would like to ask Mr. Mamdani, you've accused the U.S. government of committing genocide in Gaza while President Trump was working on peace. Why that?
I've spoken about the Israeli government committing genocide, and I've spoken about our government funding it. And I shared with the president in our meeting about the concern that many New Yorkers have of wanting their tax dollars to go towards the benefit of New Yorkers and their ability to afford basic dignity. And what we see right now is we're in the 9th consecutive year of more than 100,000 school children being homeless in our city. And there's a desperate need not only for the following of human rights, but also the following through on the promises we've made New Yorkers. And I appreciated the meeting we had and the work that we can do.
Do you agree that President Trump did do a peace and work hard to make the peace? Because he worked hard to do the peace in the Middle East and everywhere. Do you agree with that?
I appreciate all efforts towards peace, and I shared with President Trump that when I spoke to Trump voters on Hillside Avenue, including one of whom was a pharmacist that spoke about how President Trump's father actually went to that pharmacy not too far from Jamaica Estates, that people were tired of seeing our tax dollars fund endless wars. And I also believe that we have to follow through on the international human rights, and I know that still today those are being violated, and that continues to be work that has to be done no matter where we're speaking of.
Mr. President, thank you, Mr. President. Do you view the mayor-elect as the true leader of the Democrat Party? And do you think Leader Schumer's and Leader Jeffries, have to follow his lead?
Well, look, I hope they have great leaders. This is a man that right now I think is focused in New York City. I really think he has a chance to do a great job. We're going to help him, but I really think he has a chance to do a great job. But I'll let you answer that. You consider yourself the leader of the Democrats. I think it's more appropriate for him.
I consider myself the next mayor of New York City, and I keep my horizons firmly on New York City, and I appreciate the meeting with the president, which focused again on the 5 boroughs and whether New Yorkers could afford to live there.
By the way, being the mayor of New York City is a big deal.
Absolutely.
I always said, one of the things I would have loved to be someday is the mayor of New York City. Being the mayor of New York, and especially now, because I think you're at really a turning point, one way or the other. You can go great, or it can go in a different direction. And I think you really have a chance to make it great. And I appreciate what you're saying.
Make New York great again.
Does New York City love President Trump?
New York City loves a future that is affordable, and I can tell you that there were more New Yorkers who voted for President Trump in the most recent presidential election because of that focus on cost of living, and I'm looking forward to working together to deliver on that affordability agenda.
I got a lot of votes. One more. Go ahead. 1 or 2 more. Go ahead. I tell you, the press has eaten this thing up. I've had a lot of meetings with the heads of major countries. Nobody cared. This meeting, that you people have gone crazy. Outside,
He's such
you
a
have hundreds of
fucking
people waiting.
goofball.
This is just a small little group. For some reason, the press has found this to be a very interesting meeting. The biggest people in the world, they come over from countries nobody cares. But they did care about this meeting, and it was a great meeting. Go ahead.
I know, me too, dude. I hate it. And they try to sound so profound. It's like, oh, no shit, bro.
Because I think
Really?
he's different. All right? I think he's different, and that can be in a very positive way. But I think he's different than, your typical guy, runs, wins, becomes mayor maybe, and nothing exciting. Because he has a chance to really do something great for New York. New York is at a very critical point. And he does need the help of the
Very
federal
critical
government to really
point.
succeed, and we're going to be helping him.
So
But
critical.
he's different than your average candidate. Hey, he came out of nowhere. I said he has a great campaign manager standing over there. He came out of nowhere. What'd you start off at 1 or 2, and then I watched. I said, who is this guy? He was at 1, then he was at 3, then he was at 5, then he was at 9. Then he went up to 17. I said,
Oh my God,
let's
he's
get a little bit of trust there.
this is so fucking profound. He's just like, let me recount how he moved up through the polls.
Right? And then all of a sudden he wins a primary that nobody expected he was going to win.
Is he going to
It's a
say
great-
that about himself? He's going to say, just
it's a
like
great
I
tribute.
did.
I mean, it's an amazing thing that he did.
And I'll just add. Oh, sorry, I'll just add one thing to what the president said. Is one thing I also appreciated is in our meeting to appreciate a portrait of
Pepto-Bismol
FDR
Boogaloo.
and the incredible work
Is he
that was
bringing
done
up FDR
with the
right
New
now?
Deal, and also in thinking about what it can look like when the federal government and New York City government work together to deliver on affordability. It can be transformative.
You know, we have a great portrait of FDR that I found in the vaults.
I found it,
was
okay?
missing for years. I found it.
Put
it up.
Ah!
Democrat.
It was missing for years, and I found it. I went through, dude. He's such a joke.
To the best of my knowledge, he's a Democrat. And when the mayor saw that portrait, he said, "Sir, do
To
you
the
mind
best
if
of
I
my
have a
knowledge,
picture about
FDR
that?"
was a
It's an amazing
Democrat.
portrait. I hope the picture comes out.
How is this guy
But it's an amazing
serious?
portrait in the cabinet room. So he's a big fan of the New Deal, I guess, and of FDR. Yes, ma'am.
Mr. President, you said that you both spoke about crime.
Yeah.
There are many police officers set to come off the rolls at the end of this year in New York City. Are you going to allow those police to be replaced with police officers, actual cops? And are you going to require that that happens? Would there be some consequence? if
Well, I hope
that-
it happens, but again, that's going to be ultimately the mayor's decision.
Nothing bad can happen. It can only good
So I
happen.
look forward to delivering public safety with the NYPD, and I've said over the course of our campaign that we have the number of police officers today. They are the ones that's budgeted about 35,000 headcount. And I think the key thing is that we have to make it easier for police to focus on police work, not ask them to respond to 200,000 mental health calls a year.
So is that a reduction from what you're at right now? Are you committing to maintaining the same level of cops?
I've committed over the course of the campaign to maintain.
Yo! Oh my God, that's so fucking frustrating.
No, I've said that's the headcount that we want. What we need to do is make sure they can focus on serious crime.
And he just retained a great police
Yeah!
commissioner, I believe, right?
Yes,
If
it was
the,
retained.
if the newspapers are correct.
That one they're correct about.
He retained, I think, somebody that is she's a good friend of some of the people in my family, of Ivanka, and they say she's really good, really competent, and he just retained her, so that's a good sign.
Are there still topics that you see that you're disagreeing on in the future, and do you think you'll have more meetings like this?
There will be topics that we disagree on. I think we'll probably come to a conclusion, and ultimately, he'll convince me, or I'll convince him. You know, it's for the good of New York. Ultimately, it's for the good of New York. I don't care about affiliations or parties or anything else. I want to see if this city could be unbelievable. If he could be a spectacular success, I'd be very happy.
Do you think you guys will meet more in the future too?
Excuse me?
Do you think you'll meet again in the future, you know, throughout the administration?
I think we will. Yeah. I think we will. I hope we do. I enjoyed the meeting. We had a great meeting.
Such a
Please.
shitty point.
Mr. President, Republican Elise Stefanik has campaigned multiple times by calling Zohran Mamdani a jihadist. Do you think you're standing next to a jihadist right now in the Oval Office?
No, I don't, but she's out there campaigning, and you know, you say things sometimes in a campaign.
Isn't that sort of
She's a very capable person,
Isn't
but
that a
you really have to ask her about that. But I don't particularly. I think I met with I met with a man who's a very rational person. I met with a man who really wants to see New York be great again, and I can say again.
There it is.
Because New York was great. You know, when I came down to Washington initially, the city was so hot. It was doing great. We were having some telltale signs of problems. We had a mayor that was not doing a great job, but still, it was moving along. And it went bad. It really went, you know, pretty bad. And I think it's been at lower points, but it went pretty bad. I think he can bring it back. Now, the question is, will he bring it back all the way? Will he bring it back greater than ever before, which is, I guarantee, that's his wish. I think he wants to make it greater than ever before. And if he
Greater
can,
than ever
cheering. I'll be cheering for him. Okay? Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you
very much.
Oh, no, I care very deeply about Jewish safety, and I look forward to
I like Jews!
5 boroughs and protecting Jewish New Yorkers and every New Yorker who calls the city home.
Okay? I like Jews, alright? Alright, guys. I have a buddy who's outside. He wants to have a quick smoke with me, so I will be back in like 10-15. find some shit for us to watch when I get back. I will be back shortly. See you guys in a second. Okay, folks, I'm back. I was busy blowing Bill Clinton. Alright, what else is going on? What else is going on today in the news? What? Alright, what should we look up? What do we look up? Like, what do we want to look for through here? It's a lot of emails, and you just... There's a Wick panel Tiny was on yesterday. I caught a little bit of it. I saw Prime was there, and I was like, oh, this is going to be some retardation. Let's see. I hate... Let's see. I love seeing Prime get his ass handed to him. Results in a 1D pickup. Alright, is there anything you want us to look for in this email list, or did you just want me to see that it was a thing? Ugh. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. That's funny. I know, right? Jeez. All right, let's watch this debate.
Where we come together, talk about issues both political and cultural, from the silly to the serious. Gang, we've got a show for you tonight. Today, the President of the United States tweeted out that members of Congress were guilty of sedition and should be hanged when they reminded U.S. servicemen and women that they should disobey illegal or unlawful orders. The question becomes,
Like you're supposed
when
to.
Democrats retake the Senate, the House, the White House, when we win, what should be done about those who are currently in power and those who have supported those who are currently in power? What should be done with them who have broken the law or hinted at wanting to break the law, all these things? Should we, for the good of the country, come together, move on, move forward? Or should we have a Nuremberg-style kind of trial to hold these people to account to the full extent of the law? We're going to talk about it today. We've got some great guests. First guest we're going to give it to is Staxiums. Staxiums, give us what you got.
Hey, yeah, I was hoping to maybe hear from them to understand what exactly I'm attacking, because it kind of depends on their positions. So I'll just kind of swing wide and say that Trump has been laying ground for the possibility of corruption by providing coverage for his political allies. I'll point to people like Roger Stone, him pardoning January 6 rioters, him pardoning George Santos. He's provided coverage for those who give him money. I'll point to his corruption with the meme coin. And I also want to point to that when he was asked why he was pardoning CZ, Trump simply said, I heard it was a Biden witch hunt, but I don't know who that is. And it seems like there are likely a number of people who are feeding the president information to curry their favor. I can focus on specific key members of his administration as to who specifically I think that we should be targeting. I guess maybe that sounds like an extreme word, but I don't feel like it's an extreme word. But I will say that according to a Washington Post analysis, Trump officials have allegedly defied court oversight in roughly 35% of more than 160 lawsuits. It would be bad for the country to provide an incentive for people like this to run it, I guess, is my position.
Well, thank you.
Wait, hold on. Is he? Wait, are you on our side? Who's on whose side here?
Yeah, I'm on your side. I think. I really want to hear what Connor and Prime have to say, because it really depends on.
Sure.
I mean,
What side's in the debate? Is this like a 2-on-2, or is it just like four?
Why
of
would
us
you want to hear what Prime has to say? He's retarded.
I think I'm on
my
Steven's
side.
Yeah, Staxiums, Destiny versus Counterpoints and Prime. Look, Staxiums, just real quick. Staxiums, calm down with the questions. Last time you asked someone a question, bad things happened. We don't want that to happen here, okay? We're going to keep
Jesus Christ, chill. But also, I asked a question, so it's okay.
Wait, I think there's like three different. I don't know if they're specifically saying crimes haven't been committed. I don't know if it's specifically that like they're saying it would be bad for the country to charge them, or if they're saying Nuremberg style is too far. So I kind of wanted to hear which of those three sides. I'm against all three of them, but I wanted to specifically hear which of those three sides they're on.
Okay. We're going to get to it. Don't worry. Counterpoints. Go ahead. Why don't you educate the man?
Yeah, thank you. So I side with the intellectual, P.F. Young, in that Trump is a symptom, not the disease. He's a symptom of several factors that are out of control. I would say wealth inequality, rapid demographic change, existential technological shifts, and the dissolution of the social fabric are the things that are pushing people towards radicalism. And so, once again, Trump is the symptom, not the disease. So unless we start addressing those things, we're screwed, because we're just going to have another Trump in another 4 years, or another 8 years, or another 10 years, or 12 years. When it comes to Nuremberg is obviously reminiscent, or actually I think directly referencing, the Nazi trials. Now, people have heard me. I've complained endlessly about the hundreds of thousands of people who have been killed by Trump's incompetence through the cuts of USAID and PEPFAR. I still would not assign the level of while hundreds of thousands of people, potentially millions, will die as a result of Trump's incompetence, I don't think it rises to the threshold of intentional industrial-style genocide. And so I hope that's hyperbole. Also, I think that we should differentiate could versus should, because we should do a lot of things. Like, Destiny should just send me $100,000 via PayPal right now, but that's not going to happen, right? So, could that happen? Sure. But what's actually going to happen is the Republicans are not going to want to impeach him. He's probably going to pre-pardon his entire administration and pre-pardon himself. And then the only thing that you could probably do is a January 6th style commission that I would actually be in favor of. But no, I don't think we're going to be able to hang these people. I don't think we're going to be able to criminally convict them. I don't think that dragging it out for 2 years is a good idea. So that's what I'm here to fight on.
Okay, well, thank you for being here. We'll get into it as we go. Let's give it to Prime next. Go ahead, Prime Guy.
Jeb.
I'm in Staxium's position. In that.
Oh shit.
In that I'm leaning no. All right, so I'm on Counterpoint's side, right, for Stephen's benefit. But I'd like to hear the other side to understand the arguments, their positions. Oh, and also, just before that, I want to thank Wick for being so kind as to invite me. Glad to be here. And Prime and Destiny reunited after like 2 years. It feels so good. But anyway, thanks so much.
Oh, okay. I guess we'll go to Destiny then.
There needs to be big memes. I think that there are 2 parts to it, 3 parts maybe. The first part is the insurrection for every single person involved in this administration, mainly for the point that none of the people that are supporting Trump now in office should be allowed to run for office ever again in the United States of America. That's the first thing. The easy way to do this also is if Trump starts pardoning everybody, well, if he's pardoning people, pardon is an admission of guilt, charge them with insurrection, you can charge them, consider them pardoned, and now they qualify for being charged, convicted, and they've been pardoned the crime, doesn't matter, the pardon doesn't get rid of the part of the 14th Amendment that would say you can't hold an office again, so fuck them. So that's number 1 and 2, okay? Number 3, the smallest criminal thing, investigate every single person as part of this administration and get as much out into the open as possible. I think the important thing about stuff like Nuremberg, the important thing about these big public trials is there needs to be a public accounting of everything that's happened. And for whatever causes lead into people wanting to vote for Trump, they are absolutely fed into by the misinformation, by the historical everything that's happened. And we need to be able to have an honest account of what's happened historically. Right now, half the country doesn't believe that Trump lost the 2020 election. Like, we can't go forward in an environment like that, and simply changing leadership in the Conservative Party is not going to undo all of the incorrect things that Republicans believe have happened. Trump was not a mistake. Like, Trump was a natural consequence of Republican demagoguery and Republican rhetoric and Republican strategy for the past 3 decades. It's no surprise we wound up here, and to act like it would be to ignore the fact that Trump 2 could come, right around the corner.
Okay, and does that educate everyone on everyone's position, or is everyone clear now? Can we move forward, or do we need further edification?
I mean, we'll get it as we continue. I'll ask a question if I can, please. Right. So, Stephen, hello, hi. The last part of what you said talked about revealing the truth, right? Like correcting the record. And I'm certainly not against that. But like, it seems like you're specifically trying to correct the record for the Trump cult. Do you believe that public trials will actually do that?
Yeah, I think if the information is out there, I think it becomes much harder to ignore what's actually happened. Yeah, I think it helps.
Information's out there now. Right? It's been out there.
Not like in an easily accessible way. It's like buried behind PDFs and buried behind commissions and buried behind stuff that, one, it didn't get the full public attention that it deserves, and then two, the people who denied all that information were rewarded by still being able to run for office and hold office. I think that if you do this mass like insurrection charge or whatever you have to do to get all these people to never be allowed to run for again, then there will be, going forward, probably more of an incentive to be like, well, fuck, maybe we shouldn't just lie blatantly about everything that's happening because there are going to be political consequences for us down the road.
I can agree with the last part, but I disagree with the first part. The information's actually out there. Like that did Trump's was the 2020 election stolen? No, right? Documentaries galore, videos out there, right? Like news segments about all of that exists, right? Articles, digital ink spilled. Yet it persists. So I don't. I disagree, at least for now. I can be convinced otherwise. But I disagree that simply having some grand trial where the heroes of MAGA are put before right? A tribunal where they can be, where Fox News can position them as heroes against the resurgent Democratic regime, right? I disagree that that will necessarily lead to a brand new age of truth for the MAGA cult. No.
Are you against criminal prosecution writ large?
Absolutely not. No, absolutely not. I can assure you I'm not.
Okay, what if we find like a number of Trump officials criminally liable?
No, Stacks. The thing that I'm pushing back against right now, is simply that the claim that he's saying this will edify the MAGA cult. I don't think that will. I'm not sure anything can actually do that.
I think that if the Mar-a-Lago case would have gone through, I think that would have been very damaging to him, and it would have been much harder to deny everything that happened there. But a lot of people just don't even know the details of it because that court case never happened. I think it would have been good for that to happen.
Okay, sorry, I just have to mute myself in 2 locations, but I do want to jump in. So can we separate out like probability versus should real quick? So probability, if we had to put it on a probabilistic scale of like 0 to 100, what Staxiums and Destiny, what do you think the probabilistic scale is that this, like there's even the political will for this?
Oh, probably quite low, I would say, fortunately.
Yeah, no, I would tend to agree.
Okay, so what we're really talking about is like moral should, where we're just this is an ideal. Well, ideally, I would fire Trump from a trebuchet into the Atlantic Ocean. Okay, ideally, that's what I would do. You're not going to find anybody sweeping for the Trump admin on this side of the aisle. I think what we're talking about is now that we've eliminated that as I am not legally permitted or morally permitted to fire Trump out of a trebuchet into the Atlantic Ocean. Now we can kind of move into like what's politically pragmatic about the situation. And when you appeal to pragmatism, I actually don't think that the Nuremberg-style trials would be helpful at all. I think you'd be creating a cult of personality. I think you'd be creating a persecution complex, especially without criminal convictions, especially without the mass insurgency thing. You can do the January 6th style committee where you document all of the alleged crimes and probable crimes of the Trump administration, but without convictions and without prohibitions from office, I think this is a waste of political capital. And I think that what's going on, like I said, is that there are 4 sociological variables that are contributing to people being radicalized, and if we don't address those, and if we don't spend political capital on those, we're fucked.
Well, I would say that one, for the Mar-a-Lago thing, for instance, that would be a trial. Like, I'm sure there are chargeable offenses here that we can literally have a trial and have people locked up for. Number one. And number two, I think I would argue that one of the big things that is a sociological variable playing into the decision-making of these people on the right is that there really is no punishment for acting the most unhinged way possible. They're still allowed to hold office. They're allowed to lie with impunity. There's no punishment. Like, going forward, if there's not a reckoning, you would be an idiot as a conservative to not act in the same manner because you've constantly been rewarded for it.
I don't agree with that, actually. So I think that what's happened, at least this is my view on it, the Trump cult has painted itself into a corner where they've put all of their hopes and energy and political capital into a single man, a very flawed man, someone who at minimum within the next 6 months is going to be probably exposed as either covering for an ephebophilic sex trafficking ring or participated in an ephebophilic sex trafficking ring. Those are like covered for is the best case scenario. Steve Bannon was communicating with Mr. Jeffrey Epstein as recently as 2017. Like, I think there might even be some text messages from 2019.
Not him using the fucking proper this specific age of kids, okay?
And, Steve Bannon was Trump's campaign manager. So the whole point about this is, like, he's about to take a huge black eye. In the midterms, the Republicans are probably going to get shellacked. And then when he's gone, there's nobody who commands the same level of Trump cult of personality. And I think J.D. Vance has been tapped on the shoulder as the next, like, MAGA prince. But I think that J.D. Vance is an infinitely more pragmatic person than Trump ever was.
I don't disagree with you, but it doesn't change anything I'm saying. Like, if you're J.D. Vance, or if you're anybody in the next part of the Republican establishment, whatever comes after MAGA, if you see that the last part of the establishment got completely screwed by acting in an just a blatantly illegal manner, then you have less incentive to do so. But if you see they got away with so much stuff, then that's all going to be in your playbook. Like, okay, well, what rules can I break or bend?
But I don't think he has the riz. I don't think he has the riz to
Vance doesn't, but Trump did. Nobody knew that Trump was even coming. Who's to say there's not going to be somebody like Trump in the future?
I mean, the argument right there is whether or not the dissident right wing or the Christian nationalists are going to produce a Trump-like figure who's charismatic to win in mainstream politics. I mean, that's what Nick Fuentes is hoping on, actually.
Sure, but if somebody produces that figure, they're more likely to, ascend to the throne and operate in an unhinged manner if they feel like there's no punishment for doing so.
Well, I agree, but then, okay, so right now, let's talk about it from a process of function, okay? So we have a process of function where effectively what you're saying is we could still do, if they did mass pardons of the Trump admin, what would you charge Marco Rubio for as the person who was running the Department of State under Trump too?
I think if they historically, a pardon has been seen as an admission of guilt. It's part of it. So if they are pre-pardoned, then I would just formally just charge them all with insurrection and then say that they're pardoned from it. And then at the very least, that bars all of them from running for any public office again.
But what's your evidence? Because as far as I know, Marco Rubio wasn't involved in the fake elector scheme or January 6, 2021. So what is your evidence?
He's a part of it.
Marco Rubio
Current
participated in insurrection.
He participates in the current administration, and he's more or less a sword. He's a cabinet
just to be clear, how far does that go down? So we obviously
every
the
single
cabinet.
elected person in the Republican Party right now.
Every
single person in the Republican Party right now, except for like the never Trumpers, like your Massey's, I guess, maybe your
Yeah, that's obviously political suicide, wasting political capital. It's
Good.
effectively a meme position. It's not even a real position.
Okay, so
I thought the meme position was where we pretended that the 2020 election didn't happen, and then we doubled down on every single thing we believed, but then we still managed to win in 2025. I thought that was a meme position. But...
Are you saying even like state senators, like not even national positions?
Yep.
Yeah, so disbarring half
city
of
council.
the political process is not an option.
Wait, hold on. So city council, right? You would say
if they're Trump,
all
hell yeah.
Well, city council people very rarely position themselves in party.
I mean, no, people run. Anyone who runs. He's saying anyone who runs on the R ticket, right? Except for quote unquote never
don't have R
Trumpers. I understand that. I'm saying, but the point is, he's saying everyone, right? So mayors, right?
Okay.
Whatever.
Anybody that supported Trump, if they weren't actively calling out the Trump admin, if they were ever playing into whatever, then they're going. They're part of it.
Hold on.
Love
Listen,
that,
I'm gonna let Prime talk, but I know why I would feel that way. Why the fuck do you feel that way?
What do you mean? Because I think that all of these people have contributed to an authoritarian regime that is the most anti-American regime in U.S. history that has almost brought our country to the edge of destruction.
Okay, but at the same time, we have, when it comes to like the deportations of Andre Hernandez Romero or Kilmar Abrego Garcia, ultimately the courts were still able to reel them in. When it comes to January 6, 2021, and by the way, I'm not defending Trump. I think we should fire him from a trebuchet into the Atlantic Ocean. But when you're talking about this process, Marco Rubio, to my knowledge, did not participate in January 6, 2021, and what he's guilty of is overseeing the decommission of USAID and PEPFAR, which is going to lead to approximately between 3 million and 14 million preventable deaths worldwide. That's like a man-made Holocaust through incompetence, but I can't think of I don't know how you would charge him with insurrection for participating in the Trump admin related to being a dickhead. These things are not
created and abetted the enemies of the state by being a cabinet member for Trump and doing his bidding.
Wait, but now you're just playing into now this is just the tit for tat bullshit. We're effectively what is it? Today, the Democrats did a 1-minute video, which I approve of, by the way, saying, hey, military service members, hey, members of the intelligence community, you are sworn to an oath of the Constitution of the United States, and you have to remember your oath, and you should not follow illegal orders. Donald Trump, as Wick mentioned, said, these people are guilty of sedition, and the punishment of sedition is death. Okay,
crazy.
So all you're doing is you're just playing into, in my opinion, this this hysteria that every single political fight is existential.
Well, except it is on that side. They're the ones that are saying that everything is existential while they're being existential. That's part of their existential fight, is by saying everything is
You're
existential.
making it existential by saying that if you had the power, then you would disbar them from politics and wielding power altogether.
Yeah, but I think I have a good reason for that. They don't have a good reason to say we should execute sitting senators and congressmen.
So, we'll get back to
I got plenty.
I'm sure he's given us plenty, right? But I got one question for each of our friends here. One, to Staxi, I'm going to pull you in. I want to hear your beautiful voice.
For sure.
How much of this do you agree with? I mean, so to be clear, hold on, just let me ask the question, right? Yeah, to be clear, what Stephen has said is that everyone who has supported Trump, right? I'm assuming he means everyone in office, but I'm not entirely clear on that either.
I think he said in office.
Okay, well, everyone in office, right?
Like anyone who voted for him, would we bar people who voted?
Yeah, but if you voted for them, that's also support,
The
right?
200 million people, I assume Steve doesn't think that.
We can just ask him if he's here.
We shouldn't assume logic.
Yeah, it wouldn't be every single person that voted for him. Because they're also for the insurrection thing, you have to be a prior oath taker, so you have to have held public office. And we can't access people's votes.
Yeah, okay. I'm not taking Stephen literally, I'm taking him seriously, okay?
Yeah. Taking literally and seriously. Yeah, I can be taking both. I'm not Trump. I don't need a translator or to speak like
So Staxium, right? Do you agree?
My implication of being that Trump speaks like a retard. I was not attacking anybody on the panel. That was fine.
That's fine. No worries.
Yeah, Staxium, do you agree with...
So you guys go. No, sorry, I was waiting for him to finish his question. Yeah, so the first thing that I'm going to point out is I always felt like Connor was attacking this idea that, like, just because it was Nuremberg, like, we're calling it the Nuremberg trials, it doesn't necessarily mean that we're like making that equivalent to what the Nazis did. Like, obviously what this administration doing is not as bad as the Holocaust. But I definitely, that's why I definitely wanted to hear where people's opinions were, because this is actually, I might even say, more extreme than the Nuremberg trials, because weirdly enough, the Nuremberg trials, people were found innocent. Like, I think like a quarter of them, maybe a fifth of them, were found innocent, even like high-ranking officials. And I'm genuinely curious, Stephen, like, what do you feel like the Nuremberg trials didn't go far enough? Like, if you're an official, you should have just been sent off to. The
important part, I think, about the Nuremberg trials was exposing everything that happened under the Nazi regime, right?
Okay, great.
That was the important takeaway.
I'm for that, but I disagree with your with how specific, like the fact that any any government official, including like state senators who just voted R and weren't critical of Trump. No, I don't agree with that. Prime, does that answer your question?
Yeah, I appreciate that.
That feels extreme.
Fair enough. All right.
But I'm certainly for an extreme sense of justice and subpoenaing, and is that the verb?
Subpoenaing?
Subpoenas.
I think subpoenas out. I don't know.
Yeah, regardless, I'm for chucking the book at virtually every Trump official in his administration.
I think it's only now you have to send the subpoena. Okay, but to Stephen, you said specifically, you had a carve out there, said except for never Trumpers. How do we determine a person's a never Trumper?
All the people that took at great risk to their own career positions against Trump. So Liz Cheney, Adam Kinzinger, Massey, maybe Rand Paul. Maybe. Yeah.
Sure. Hold on. Yeah. But I hear you on those, right? That's fair. But since we're talking about all elected Republicans, could you tell me the never Trumpers that have run in Orlando, Florida?
Nope.
No, you can't. Okay. All right. So how do we? So above the top line, right? Above below the federal line, how do we determine these individuals? Because all of them may not have been very public, but maybe they had private thoughts. They said something to their friends. Is that enough? I disagreed with Trump.
Do you consult the record? They're public officials, so they should have public statements. So it would be pretty exceptional for them to have no public statements as public.
Yeah, but Thomas Massey was with the Republicans 91% of the time. Like he's still in lockstep as far as Trump's agenda goes when it comes to securing the border, when it comes to the big beautiful bill, when it comes to this, when it comes to that. I mean, he might have fought it at some point, but once again, 91% voting record that aligns with Trump over the past decade.
To that point, sorry, just to throw something. What about Fetterman as well? Would he be liable for this?
Yeah, because he's like normalized. Like,
I mean, I definitely think fuck that guy, but like, I don't know if he's liable for this.
Psycho shit. This is my party should rule indefinitely without challenge, and I think it's crazy.
Sure.
I think there's no rooting in reality.
This is why I'm trying to get. So I'm asking about details here, right? To like really nail down what the hell we're talking about. Okay, so you're saying they have to have made public statements. Okay, if they were elected within, was it 2027? This is the last year of his reign, right? So if they're elected in 2027, a Republican, right? Do they count? Right? Are they up for these trials as well?
Well, if they ran under a Trump ticket, sure. If they were like supportive of Trump, yeah.
Yeah, but hold on, that's not exactly honest because Fetterman has been also very against Trump. Like he's made a lot of public statements, like rejecting Trump. But you also said that Fetterman should go too. So I'm curious.
A lot of statements. I don't know. I guess you could find some particular issue. Whatever the particular thing is, if you want to concede the argument that you agree that we should do this, and now you just want to argue over the specifics of like who should be included, that's fine. For 90% of elected people, it's going to be plainly obvious. How you would determine we could leave it up to a court to decide. We could leave it up to a court to decide. Or we could leave it up to a commission to decide or whatever. But like, I mean, I'm not going to say like, oh, actually, I'm going to change my mind on this entire idea because there's going to be some edge cases that are difficult to decide.
No, it's not that of the Republican Party should be barred from voting indefinitely. I don't concede that. I think
voting. I'm not saying, who said voting? I just said holding office again.
Okay, okay, 55% of the Republican Party voted in order to elect Trump as a first choice during the primary. Let's just say that correlates up to the Republican Party, where 55% of the representatives support Trump wholeheartedly as a first choice. I think that separating those people from politics is fucking insane.
Yeah, so I think it matters here, right? So that, like, if let's pretend I'm a Republican, let's pretend I'm in office, right? If you're saying there's a way out here, well, I care about that way out. Oh, I'm a never Trumper too. I mean, I was always a never Trumper. Didn't you hear me say, right? Like, maybe on some website somewhere, I said something critical about Trump. Doesn't that count?
These are public officials. They make public statements. They have public offices. They put out public press releases. These are not random individual private citizens. Definition.
This is already so absurd that we could just go ahead and concede like a hypothetical in which we were able to perfectly discern every single never Trumper versus every single Republican. It's still a stupid fucking idea. It's still
okay. We'll do that. Let's do that.
I have a question. And this is for Destiny. If this is the public position that you're advocating for, what incentive does any Republican or anyone who's ever held office under Trump have to ever denounce Trump? Does this not just make them more incentivized to always support Trump? Because if they don't and Trump loses and the Democrats win, then they know that they're never going to have power again. So why would they ever?
Yeah, he's become the boogeyman that the Republicans pretend he is.
Yeah, no, this whole thing of like become the boogeyman is like raping someone over and over again, saying this person is physically abusive, this person is, and then the 12th time you rape them, they punch you, and they go, look at that, you've become the violent person I said you always were. I'm sorry, that's fucking retarded. Also, I don't know why you're speaking hypothetically, Wick. Do people have to support Donald Trump? Otherwise, if they don't, they feel like they're going to be held criminally liable for things. That's literally the entire story of the entire Republican Trump administration. How many people in pardon that have committed crimes either directly on his behalf or on behalf of his administration, or just other crimes and then end up supporting him? Like, the Republicans already have this thought process, and it needs to be exterminated. The thought process, not the people.
Wait, hold on. This is okay. The reason why this is such bullshit is because I feel like you just either don't understand or don't want to understand the MAGA narrative and why it's appealing to Americans. But the whole narrative is that since World War II, we have had a runaway federal government that has grown and grown and grown and grown outside of the Constitution. The Republicans have been playing footsie with the Democrats forever, and as a result, we now have a wrecking ball. So regardless of whether or not you think Trump is a good person or a bad person, things like cutting PEPFAR and USAID, that's good on a principled stance because billions of dollars shouldn't be going overseas to help people who aren't American. Slashing the DOE, deconstructing the Department of Education. Well, the federal government, realistically, we're 50, relatively speaking, sovereign states who should be deciding our own local affairs. Well, that's a good thing because the DOE, since it's gutted, it's now giving local control to education. You can say that those stories are bullshit. You can say it's nepotism, you can say it's cronyism, you can say all the corrupt things, and I'm probably going to agree with you 7 out of 10 times. But that doesn't mean that people with Americans, especially with the First Amendment, with freedom of speech and freedom of conscience, that doesn't mean that that opinion or behavior should be made illegal. That's fucking insane. That's insane. You yourself are advocating for a position that's contradictory to the Republic of the United States. It makes no fucking sense.
Literally not. We literally have an amendment that literally bars people from committing insurrection and holding public office again. So I think my opinion.
Okay, how has Marco Rubio committed insurrection?
By supporting an insurrectionist.
That's not insurrection.
It definitionally is. Read the text of Section 3 of the 14th Amendment. Aiding and abetting is part of insurrection. Yeah, there's no difference between insurrection and insurrection.
Actively participating in the insurrection. Trump hasn't been convicted of insurrection.
You don't have to be convicted for the amendment, but we can convict by obstructing the crime. If you're talking about the crime, it's already played. It's already been.
One at a time, please. Let Destiny. Hold on. Let Destiny finish his point, then you can respond.
If he's pardoned, if he's pre-pardoned, then he's guilty. Then you just say charge him with it, have him be pardoned, nothing happens, then you bar him from running for office again.
Oh, okay, so Hunter, right now, because you're being consistent, you're just going to go ahead and accept the fact that Hunter is guilty of FARA violations, tax violations, money laundering, and corruption on behalf of the Biden family, right?
Sure, Hunter Biden can never run for public office again. I'll be consistent on that.
Okay, that wasn't even the question. But the whole point is that I know that's bullshit because we've thought about this in the past. All you're doing is you're making a concession because the concession doesn't matter anymore. So what's actually going on here is you're saying that we should bar probably a sixth of the country from participating in politics once again.
Well, I keep saying, I said elected officials. No, wait, you keep saying a sixth. I'm saying elected officials right now.
Saying that elected officials should never have participated within like the cult of Trump or MAGA politics.
True. Yeah. 100%.
This feels just a little bit sorry, and I think this is a little bit different from the place that we started at, because you were saying Nuremberg trials, but these don't sound like trials. Like these do sound like if you're part of the admin, you're guilty. But I don't know if that's a trial.
Well, if they're pre-pardoning, then we can't have a trial now. They don't pre-pardon.
Sure.
So we try more for insurrection. Fuck it.
Sure. Okay. So what? Let's go.
Okay. Yeah. Actually, let's say that they don't pre-pardon him. What's your evidence that they're engaged in insurrection?
I don't know. We'd have to figure out what the historical definition of insurrection is, and then I guess we would dig up all the evidence. We do our discovery like a normal trial, and you find everything, and you go through other emails, you go through other phone calls to see if they were knowingly violating the law.
This would fall flat on its fucking face.
Would it be politically popular? I'm not denying that, of course. Would it be politically unpopular? Yeah.
Okay,
sure.
so so what you're saying is you're making a moral statement that 1/6 of political representatives, or actually it would be a quarter because these are elected people, 1/4 of elected representatives should be prohibited from participating in politics.
Yep.
Okay. What if we do these trials? What if there's no pre-pardoning? Marco Rubio gets put on trial and he's found innocent. Like I don't know if I understand even your hypothetical.
Oh, he beats his trial, but at least all the evidence will be out there. Good.
Okay, sure. So then I don't know. So, sure, yeah, I agree with that.
Here's the question for the opposite side.
I don't agree with this.
Wait. Okay, question for the other side. Let's say that there are no trials. Let's say that another Trump comes along. Why wouldn't you support him doing the exact same things he's done now, but worse?
Why? Hold on. Sorry. Why
wouldn't you support the next Trump doing the same?
Doing the next.
No, not you. I'm not asking you. Elected politician comes about. There's the Trump 3 or whatever. The next Trump comes about. Why wouldn't you support him doing the exact same things that this Trump is doing, but even worse?
Not you.
You in a general sense. You being MAGA or anyone else.
Oh, okay. So if I were MAGA, what is the disincentive from supporting Trump 3 if Trump 3 was legally possible?
Aren't we incentivizing people to take advantage of the law here?
Ooh.
Without political consequences.
I probably wrapped my head around the fact that I think that Trump's going down because he's an ephebophilic sex cultist. I would have to say that we would need to reinforce, actually, I think the political capital after Trump should be spent on reinforcing the guardrails around authorization of uses around military force. It should be put to reinforcing the guardrails around executive orders. It should be put to trying to get Congress to be more of, like that Congresswoman said who just got installed, that it needs to be a co-equal branch of government. So I would actually
just checking. So your check against the people, your check against the people who would support Trump, the next Trump, the people who are openly okay with breaking the law would be to make more laws?
Yeah.
Okay.
And also, in reference to breaking the law, we would have to get into the nitty-gritty of it. Because as an example, you said that Trump people have suffered no consequences. That's not true. All the January 6th insurrectionists were incarcerated. There were 1,500 people who had criminal charges.
And then they were pardoned.
Yeah, that has nothing to do with whether or not they suffered consequences. They still suffered consequences. If you want to put limits on the power of the pardon, then I'm all ears for a technocratic solution.
So, I guess my question is, if you're a Republican congressperson right now, why the fuck would you ever support guardrails against the pardoning power when, you could just be a George Santos? You know what I'm saying? You could just be breaking the law, and then Trump gets to pardon you. Why would you ever try to limit that authority?
Well, I mean, if you had principles, it's because you wouldn't want to see the Republic die. And that's
okay, great. That's a benchmark the Republicans have not been able to clear.
Actually, I would say that Thomas Massie and MTG have actually
you've got maybe 5 you can point to. I agree.
What up?
Hey.
What's going on?
Yeah, so you heard that point that Connor just made?
Which point?
The point that they face consequences.
Yeah? What about it?
Well, I mean, they were pardoned, so it's
they're
like...
not going to face consequences.
You know how it is sort of like when you're a kid, you know which parent is the weak link.
Mm-hmm.
So even if you get punished or grounded,
right,
you sort of know which parent that you can plead your case to either get it overturned or get your punishment lessened.
Sure.
And when that happens, you don't really learn your lesson. You just learn how to game the system. That's sort of what this is.
Yeah. That's fair.
Yeah.
Good point. Fair point. But, yeah, the system is pretty gamed right now. Very gamed. But that's just kind of what we're dealing with. It won't be fixed until we, Democrats really take everything back and fix it. So we just gotta vote. We gotta vote. We have got to vote. Anyway, I'm gonna keep going.
Okay.
Agree with Massey, okay? Even though he's a fucking psycho, he's for sure a never Trumper. MTG has like the last 2 weeks out of her. I don't know how long she's been in power. 6 years. That seems
she's
too high.
a psycho.
MTG over the last 2 weeks has
Kinzinger.
changed her tone. Okay, great.
It's real quick, because I don't
That's
think
not the
agree with that
Republican
statement. MTG has not changed her tone. She's just following the political ones. Either she's become a
Well,
neo-Trumper.
sure.
If she is, it's not because she's offended by the authoritarian moves that Trump has made. It's just because she sees the
She's
politics.
butthurt.
She's not part of it anymore, so she's scorned.
She's also butthurt.
Sure, but
yeah.
you can do the right thing for the wrong reasons, and I don't really give a shit. But now we've moved the argument from, well,
but all you pointed to was 4
people from voting to
Let Connor finish.
we don't have idealistic candidates that could actually reinforce the guardrails of the republic. These are like totally separate arguments.
Well, to be clear, I didn't make that second argument. I don't know where that second weird argument comes from. Maybe Saxion, but I didn't make that argument.
Okay, well, I think that like spending political capital on reinforcing our republic would be infinitely better spent than trying to wipe out 25% of elected representatives.
I have a question.
I find these equally feasible.
Yeah,
like the fact that Republicans would play ball to put back up guardrails that they have disassembled over the last 10 years, it seems equally viable than
what's
Stephen's
not going to help in that effort. What's not going to help in that effort is saying, oh yeah, if we ever do get power, we're coming for that ass. We're going to make sure.
Sorry, what's not going to help in that effort?
You mean like what Trump has been saying over and over and over again? He was able to win the election doing it.
What about
We're not arguing about. No, it's not whataboutism. It's this happened. Okay, you're saying that you'll never win an election doing this. Didn't Trump win 2 elections? Have you asked him 3 elections doing this? Wasn't his chance in the first election lock her up?
Ran a senile 90-year-old person with his brain leaking out of his fucking ears who couldn't do a debate.
That ran against him in 2016 when he was saying lock her up, we're coming for lock her up.
Wait. What's the point that you're trying to make? If you're trying to make the point
You're telling me that you're saying that if you act vindictive and evil, no one's going to want to vote for you. Trump ran on vindictiveness.
How do you
all 3
explain the
times.
moderate winning in 2020 if everybody is like, so hungry for vindictiveness?
COVID probably had a lot to do with it.
Yeah, COVID probably did have a lot to do with it.
Wait, hold on.
I'm not done yet. Thank you. Do you know what had a lot to do with 2024, Trump's win?
Your mom?
Democratic incompetence. Democrats seem uniquely capable of snatching defeat from the jaws of victory.
Why the fuck are we talking about the general when we should be talking about the primary? Trump won the Republican majority.
Okay, Trump won. He did. Okay, in the initial primary, 16-1. Okay, like the original primary. In the original,
No, I was saying
primary,
in 2020.
he won a plurality because all the moderates would fucking drop out
No, Trump was the most popular candidate to emerge from
by
the
the
primary.
end of the cycle. But I guarantee you that there was like probably 80% of the way through, 90% of the way through, he was still sitting at 37 or 39%. If the Republicans did to Donald Trump what the Democrats did to Bernie Sanders, we wouldn't have this problem. But at the same time, they didn't, and we can't cry.
Oh, wait, hold on. You're making your argument for us because all you're pointing to is that you don't actually need broad political support in order to push a candidate through.
Well, I have no idea what that has to do with anything I've said.
You owned him. Marked.
I'm not being sarcastic. I feel like
I want to give it.
Hold on. I have a question. I want to give it to Prime. My question though is, if Staxiums and Destiny, you both acknowledge that this would be politically unviable, like there would be no political will for this. This would be very unpopular. It just wouldn't be an electoral winner. Why would you think that advocating for this publicly would make it more likely that you are going to win in the future? If you've already acknowledged that this is politically cancerous of a position, why the hell would you ever take this position publicly?
Because you got to fight for the things that you believe in to move the public in that direction, like our fucking God Emperor Gavin Newsom did with Prop 50.
Hey.
What a king. Hell fucking yeah.
See,
What drove Prop 50 was Texas,
seriously, but not literally.
and Republicans. But anyway, go ahead.
What was
Prime.
a response to Republican?
Yes, it was. Yes, exactly. It was response to Republican overreach, right?
Yeah.
And so when the Republicans point to saying, Democrats, public Democratic influencers want to bar all of their opposing all Republicans from office, right? They're going to use that to justify people doing some pretty crazy shit on their side. And
like what? Like the president of the United States coming out and saying some congressman should be executed? Like that kind of crazy shit?
do you think it's gonna? Do you think it could? Do you think it can't get worse?
Yeah, but it
I don't know how often.
But I mean, like, hold on, it can always get worse. That's the reason why you take dramatic corrective action right now.
Okay, right now, if we're not able to impeach Donald Trump based off of what he's saying right now, what makes you think? Like, okay, so you made the point that you're arguing to move people more in your direction, okay? What I'm saying is not only are you wasting your political capital now, and you're probably making discourse worse now, but the jumping over the bar would be trying to impeach Donald Trump now, and we're nowhere fucking near that. Like we're not even close. So I don't even know what
we can't impeach him now, but my strategy would have all those current Republicans that are unwilling to impeach him. They wouldn't even be in office in the future. So
go ahead, Prime Kai. I knew you wanted.
I keep trying to wrap around my head around this fact that effectively you're not trying to eliminate the voter base, if I heard you correct. You're not necessarily trying to eliminate the Republican Party. You're trying to, through effectively, in my opinion, trumping up charges of insurrection for anybody supportive of the Trump administration. You're trying to disallow 25% of the representatives of the United States from office.
So, okay, one. What about first-term Trump supporters? Right, it's 2016.
They changed their mind. Oh, then they're good now. They changed their mind between Trump.
Oh, okay. So now we changed our minds. Okay, great. I'm glad we have that. I guess that's
what they changed their mind in
2027. Yeah.
No.
Okay.
Too late.
When's the cutoff date? Right? Was it? And I'm honestly asking this.
Cutoff date?
Hey, is it?
Cutoff date was January 20th when Biden came into office.
When Biden came into office.
It was January 7th, 2021 or 2021.
Okay, right. So I guess
you have to look at your hands and see the blood on them.
So I have. Okay, I have a problem with what Destiny is proposing, right? And I'm guessing there's a lot of room for agreement for whatever Staxium is proposing.
Yeah, I mean,
okay?
look.
So, hold on, one second. No worries. So my issue with what Steven is saying is that there's no exit ramp, right? Like, this sounds to me like purging the Ba'athist Party, right? And there won't be any repercussions from that, right? We'll just get rid of them. But these people don't go away, right? And in fact, them and their supporters are well armed. So what we were saying is that we're going to take a maximalist position, not just against the ringleaders, which I can agree with. Like, I believe, I imagine that's Saxon's position, right? Hey, let's have an accountability for the people who are in charge, right? But everyone down the rung, right, in terms of elected office, right? But yes, you aren't talking about arresting Republican voters, true, right? But Republican voters are going to take it as defense, as this is everything that they've always feared, right? That the Democrats are finally coming for them, and now we have to take action, right? That is like the clearest clarion call for violence I've ever seen.
Okay, then we go to that stage if that's what they want. If that's how they feel.
Okay.
Dude, that's so fucking dumb. Like 9.9 times out of 10, liberals would lose a civil war. That's like the fucking stupidest shit I've ever heard.
Senator's future now show where it counts the base as a country.
Okay, so a quarter of the population gets disbarred because we're still in the political toxic. Or a quarter of the representatives get disbarred. They use that as a clarion call in order to rally the troops, saying, left-wing authoritarianism has finally come to America. Obama is, in the Jade Helm bunker about to launch nukes and 5G internet and all that bullshit. They get hundreds of thousands of motherfuckers to walk on Congress, and then boom, we're in an actual shooting civil war. You think liberals win that? What the fuck are we talking?
We have all like the gang committing people with the pistols and not Republicans like fat and dying and they're logic targets anyway.
You're not particularly good shooters. Sorry to the blacks.
Well, excuse me. All of our trans Tifa, trans furry people seem to be quite adept shooters. If I recall reasoning straight correctly, though.
0.6% of the population. So
No,
what, you're going to have trans Tifa snipers and...
one last thing about us, those Saxon prompts, right? I just, and I apologize because I keep interrupting you, but like, Destiny, my problem is like there is no path within your framework that you're presenting for reintegration, because that's how you actually heal a divided society, right?
Yeah, we thought that after Reconstruction, and I think it was a mistake. The idea that we need to massively, like, Germany didn't do that, and I think they've had a much better run with their Nazi issue than we've had with our, racial xenophobic issue. I think there is a reason why you need to have an accurate accounting process for what's happened, and the idea that everybody's allowed to come back scot-free. There's a reason why you don't run any type of disciplinary action program like this.
I'm not disagreeing with an accounting process, right? That actually should happen. If that's what you're talking about, great, right? But the way you're formatting this is that this accounting process means just a blanket accusation against anyone with an R on their name, right? That's the problem in terms of the elected officials, right? And they all support Trump. Almost all of them.
I mean, it sucks, but this is my country. That's kind of how it works. You should support
Yeah. I know. Hold on. I get the moral outrage. I'm morally outraged against those people, right? But I'm talking about like, a practical and a practical sense, right? That the way to actually heal this situation would be that we do that accounting, right? Especially at the top layer, right? We prosecute a Trump figure or Marco Rubio or Pete Hegseth, right? We go after those individuals. But for the rest, all right, and maybe some other people a little further down. But for the rest, you have to give them a way to get on board, right? To understand, okay, this was bad, right? I apologize. I admit my mistakes, but I don't necessarily have to go to prison for that, right? And that invites
I'm not talking about prison, I'm just talking about people being disbarred from running for office again. If you have a different set of consequences, you can be some. Maybe I agree with them.
I have a historical question, just because we're talking about Nuremberg. I do know that there were only like 150 officials that were charged. If you were just like a Nazi soldier, were you barred from running for office?
I believe so. I believe anyone who was involved in the regime.
Okay.
Well, don't ask Brock, I'm sorry.
Yeah, don't ask Brock, yeah.
I could be wrong, though, so. But I believe everyone involved in the regime.
I think the one thing that is, like, I definitely agree with
the
pretty severe accounting process. I definitely agree with the pretty severe accounting process, but I definitely disagree with Connor, where he's specifically saying that, like, if this occurs, we're going to have, like, a civil war on our hands. I think this is such a cult of personality that the moment that Trump, like, steps down, there's not going to be this sort of rallying cry that's centralized in any sort of way. But, yeah, I definitely think that a blanket...
Wait a minute, would Trump... But would Trump will we even bother to trial with him? Because if all that Stephen is asking for, he can't run for office again. But he can't run for office again. Well, he's already done his 2 terms, right? He's not going to do a 3rd term. Why even bother to trial for Trump?
Well, Trump would be charged with different things. His entire family's wealth would be expropriated from him and given to the United States of America. All of his family would be stripped of all their business, all their assets, and then they can go rebuild their shit in Russia, wherever the fuck. They can do the United States, I don't care, but every single thing would be taken from that family, 100%.
Listen, I don't even think this is a real conversation. I think what's going on is...
Watch MAGAs start, like, fighting with it like they do with Grok. They'll be like, that's bullshit.
Steven, similar to Newsom, is plotting out an extreme position, and then he's watching Prime and Staxiums, who are trying to steelman his position, sprinting over to him, being like, Daddy Steven, can we do Nuremberg, but maybe not as extreme as what you're talking about? Can we just, like, instead of incarcerating them and disappropriating them of property, could we just, like, maybe bar them from office? Okay, maybe we could do this, maybe we could do that. No, fuck your extreme position. Your extreme position is bullshit. Staxium and Prime Kai is trying to find a sensible, like, version of your thing. It's a waste of time and energy. And this is part of what I'm saying is, like, all you're really doing is, because I have, like, a few MAGA people in my chat, all you're doing is the MAGA people are like, oh, this is who we knew. We knew Steven was like this the whole time. We knew that he was a left-wing authoritarian communist dick sucker who was gunning for us. Like, dude, that all you're doing is you're giving red meat to the people that already hate you. That's all you've done.
I don't know how not to give red meat to those people, though.
You can't, because it's a trap they've set that Connor keeps falling into over and over again. It's where somebody's beating the shit out of you over and over and over again, and you go, I'm beating this guy because he's violent, I'm beating this guy because he's violent, I'm beating this guy, and then as soon as he's like, look, see, I told you, and then all the other people around are like, wow, you're playing right into that dude's rhetoric. I noticed it, you get it back. Like, you're playing right into that guy's rhetoric.
They're all
just never a trap.
It's
okay?
all,
and by the way,
they're all
like,
fake.
the reason why MAGA is being hoisted by its own petard is because it's done what you did, but it's painted itself into a corner. Okay, it has taken the base and shaken them by the shoulders for decades, that you've mentioned as well. Rush Limbaugh is arguably the beginning of this, and they've taken them by the shoulders and they've shaken and screamed in their face. The elites are all pedophiles. They're all monsters. You're being run by the globalists, the international globalists, post-racial, progressive, communist, Leninist, whatever things. They're all going to kill you. And what's happened is they've radicalized their base to the point that now, yes, they have power, but now they're turning into the leopards eating faces party. Well, I'm not going to eat my own face. Donald Trump was forced to, against his will, release the Epstein files because his own party turned against him in reference to it. So once again, you're trying to.
Wait, I don't understand what argument you're trying to make. I don't understand what. I don't know what argument. What argument you're trying to make here right now? I don't know what argument.
The argument that I'm trying to make is that you are trying, for some reason, on the verge of Donald Trump being politically irrelevant within a year, you're arguing that you should adopt and mirror Trump's rhetoric and political positions. It's fucking stupid as shit.
Because the issue you're running into is you're viewing Trump as a single moment, a single discrete moment in time.
No, I'm not.
The Republican Party.
Let Destiny finish, then you can respond. Go ahead.
Yeah, but Trump is also one of the things that caused Trump is the fact that there is no accountability for conservative derangement, and there's never been accountability for conservative derangement, so they'll continue to be deranged. You keep saying that, like, well, we need to let people back. You don't want to prove them right. Prove them right about what? They say the exact same things that I say when they're talking to themselves, and then when they come to the liberals, like, oh, you guys can't do that because it would be horrible, and then they go and they do the horrible things. The difference is, for some reason, you believe them when they criticize the liberals, but you're not listening to them when they're giving strategy to their own political operatives.
Okay, so hold on. Let's say that you win this rhetorical game, okay? Is the remainder of American politics for the next 10 years until the entire republic collapses is effectively like a tit-for-tat race to the bottom between extreme lefties and extreme rightoids? Because effectively what I see is...
Tit-for-tat is not a race. Don't ask me a question, then answer it. You can answer it. You asked a question. No, you're about to answer a question.
I'm not done yet. Thank you.
Let him finish, and you can answer, Destiny.
What I see on the left right now is I see like I said, I've mentioned the 4 things that I think PF Young is right about that are causing people to crave political radicalism. And I see liberals, in their desperation to go after Trump, normalizing socialists and normalizing communists. And you are rhetorically paving the way through which they can use extremist rhetoric in order to seize power. Who's to say that the next Trump is going to be right-wing? It could be some left-wing fucking socialist degenerate piece of shit. So why the fuck would we make that path easier?
What was the question? I don't remember the question. What was the beginning part of this before you did this whole swear around?
Why? Okay, in 1 year, we're going to hit the midterms. It's probably going to be a Democrat sweep.
Oh, I remember. You were saying that I'm doing a race to the bottom. We've been racing to the bottom, led by the Republican Party. Saying that if you do fuck shit, there are going to be consequences. It's not a race for a bottom. It's stopping the race to the bottom. Tit-for-tat is not a thing where you punch each other back and punch each other. It's where you avoid
crimes that they're not even guilty of.
I do. I think they've committed insurrection. I think you can make the argument for it.
No. Insurrection means that you're trying to interrupt a governmental process through like violence or whatever. The people who are MAGA who support Trump, they might support a person who engaged in insurrection, but they themselves are not insurrectionists.
Supporting an insurrectionist is engaging in insurrection. Supporting an insurrectionist is in and of itself definitely engaging in insurrection. That's what it means. If you're supporting somebody in a rebellion,
the 14th Amendment, go ahead and read me it.
Just read the text. It says, or somebody who's aided the enemies thereof.
Aided the enemies thereof.
That has a very specific meaning.
If somebody legitimately believes in the MAGA bullshit, which I don't, by the way, but if they legitimately believe it, and they are supporting Donald Trump...
Section 3 says, no person should be a senator, representative, blah, 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 blah. So the ending part of this is, to support the Constitution of the United States, shall have engaged in insurrection or rebellion against the same, or given aid or comfort to the enemies thereof. It's the same thing. Whether you're supporting them or whether you're doing it yourself, it's considered the same.
Donald Trump hasn't been convicted of insurrection, and they're
supporting their current president. There you go. That's the trial. Boom.
You're going to make it a crime and convict people of a crime for supporting someone who is the active president of their, of the United States, but also of the leader of their caucus, the leader of their party.
I'm sorry, do you believe that you should always unequivocally support the leader of your party just because he has the letter R or D next to his name?
Of course not. That's like pretty much...
Why did you just give that as an excuse then? Why is that your defense then? You're going to charge this guy? You think this guy's back just because he supports his leader?
They believe in MAGA. They're dumb.
Yeah, that's fine. And those people are enemies to my country. That's fine. There are people that are legitimate communists and legitimate fucking Nazis. Why the fuck would I care about what they think? I'm an American. I believe in the American Constitution. Why the fuck would I care about somebody who doesn't believe in the American Constitution? What a stupid fucking argument.
By saying that you are going to engage in the race to the bottom, I think you are paving the way.
It's not a race to the bottom. How is it a race to the bottom? It's holding people accountable for breaking the law and for encouraging and supporting people who break the law.
But you have already said earlier in this conversation that you're effectively comfortable with fucking convicting these people of a crime that they have not committed. We do not agree that these people have committed the crime. And not only that,
and see if they beat the case.
Not only that, I'm accepting this entire paradigm that what you're proposing is even possible.
Okay, Connor, wait,
see if they beat the case.
Go ahead, Stacks.
Connor, I got a question. What would you do about specific Trump officials? Like, let's just use like Mamdani as an example, who has at multiple times skirted court orders.
Okay, so
very harsh words.
Very harsh. Is it? What?
Sorry. What I would need is so for instance, like let's get into specifics. Kilmar Abego Garcia. Okay.
Yeah.
The Justice Department slow walked / resisted a lower court order in order to return Kilmar Abego Garcia, and they fought over the word of facilitate. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And then they dragged it out for 90 to 120 days or whatever, and then they brought him back for some kind of criminal processing. I don't even know what it was. You would have to show me a crime that Pam Bondi or a Trump representative actually committed that is indictable and convictable. Because as far as I know, slow walking a court order is actually not a crime until you reach contempt.
Okay. What about... Sorry, just let me check here.
Just to jump past like hypotheticals, you need to show me a convictable crime. So as an example, with the drone striking civilian ships in the Caribbean, I think that's quite possibly a war crime. I think it might be a violation.
Hexeth is liable?
I think Hexeth is potentially liable, absolutely.
So he should be convicted of a crime after.
But you need to figure out what it is, and you also need to process through a court. Because, for instance, like I'm pretty sure, what is it, Article 2, the roles and responsibilities of the presidency? I fucking forget which article is which article. But the point is that the president does have broad discretion when it comes to national security matters and when it comes to like declaring emergencies and responding to emergencies. But the question is, he directed his Secretary of War to take military action against narco-terrorists. So you effectively would have to go to a court and argue like, what's the definition of a narco-terrorist? Who has the ability to even declare what a narco-terrorist organization is? Are you able to use lethal force just for drug trafficking? You would have to figure all this shit out. And I wouldn't spend the political capital on this for the next 2 years or 4 years.
But all you're describing is the process. Is like you're saying that it wouldn't be politically.
It would be moral to go after the Trump administration. But by the way, the time to do that wouldn't be after Trump's out of office. The time to do that would be now.
What are they going to do?
Like there's multiple lawsuits going on right now with the Trump administration.
Yeah, but like,
okay, so we can't do it now because we don't control we can't do it.
Caribbean boats.
We can't do it right now because we don't have the Department of Justice to charge.
Yeah, exactly. Like, what do you mean?
Again, now we're kind of getting into the nitty-gritty or whatever. I don't understand how Congress has oversight and yet has no ability to oversee or affect any executive action whatsoever.
Congress can't charge crimes. They can make recommendations to the DOJ, but they can obviously settle that.
But if we're currently blowing up boats, then shouldn't Democratic senators like this is the one that we bumped onto.
He can be liable for actions
okay, so let's stick with this
that he directs the American military to do if he's knowingly committing a war crime.
A second, this is the most obvious one. How come I'm not seeing AOC, Chuck Schumer, Hakeem Jeffries, or any of these people stepping up into Congress right now and saying we're engaged in a unilateral, illegal, extra-constitutional, murderous campaign against civilians in the Caribbean, and regardless of whether or not these people are drug traffickers, this is like a breach of federal authority, and we need to do oversight immediately.
Well, hold on, Stephen, do you agree? Stephen, do you agree that bombing those boats, that would be one of the things you would charge Trump with, like bombing the Venezuelan boats?
I guess not within American
It wouldn't be charged as like a war crime because this is a Rome statute stuff. We're not a signatory to the ICC. I charge just like murder.
We're not. I was just about to say. I guess since we're not signatories,
even though he didn't actually commit it, you're saying that like
okay, sorry, conspiracy to commit murder.
Conspiracy. Okay, I'm just trying to understand.
I mean, that's possible. Conspiracy to commit murder, I guess. Maybe it'd still be a tough case.
Do you think Hexeth should be charged with murder when the Trump admin is done?
Murder seems. I don't know it specifically. Look, I'm not a fucking lawyer. I don't know what specific crime he should be committed with, but I do know that. I've got a quote here. He said about the Venezuelan strikes that he has absolute and complete authority based off of the defense of the American people alone and refuse justification. I definitely think that there's something convictable in there. I don't know what specifically that crime would be.
Okay, so if we were still entertaining Stephen's hypothetical, then since
the
Department of Justice
has
can't
a
charge
point
anybody,
about like,
let's say that we have a Democratic administration next.
Destiny's response
Steven, it sounds to me like this, you should support this logically. So Democratic administration comes in. They shouldn't attack affordability. They shouldn't attack the economy. They shouldn't attack, existential technological shifts. They shouldn't tackle immigration. What they should do is they should spend probably the entirety of their first term going through the entirety of the Trump administration, looking for convictable crimes, and then trying to convict all subordinate admin officials of the Trump administration.
They can do both at the same time.
I don't have faith that they could, but I don't know if we need to open that up on a
You don't know if multiple investigations can occur at one time?
No, I'm sure that they could conduct multiple investigations. I'm just saying that the amount of political capital that you would need in order to convict, so for instance, Pete Hexeth's logical defense would be, I'm the Secretary of War, the Secretary of Defense. There's an immediate threat to death of great bodily harm to American citizens. The president is within my direct chain of command. I'm acting within my direct chain of command, and I'm taking out an existential threat to American citizens. That's part of my purview as the Secretary of Defense. So then you would have to convince a jury or Congress that Pete Hexeth was in the wrong for following orders from Donald Trump in order to take out the Caribbean boats. And then you would have to say, this is worthy of him no longer being able to be in politics, or it would be worthy of incarceration. I think you would bleed a shitload of political capital trying to make that happen.
Let's proffer a hypothetical here. Let's just say, for the sake of conversation, that in 2028, Trump basically disappears. He flees America. Massive blue wave, like 80-20 split kind of thing. Like Texas goes full blue. We have so much political capital. Do you think that we should leverage it in this way? Like, let's just say we do have political capital.
If we were working in like in an ideal, let's say that it was like a perfect political environment and we could do this without burning political capital and we could deal with all the things that we were talking about, then yeah, sure. I would love to bar Marco Rubio from politics for being complicit in the indirect deaths of probably hundreds of thousands
of millions of people. What you're not saying, though, but you're not saying that we would also just get rid of the rest of the Republican Party. right? Like that,
Well, right.
You're talking about the upper echelons.
Well, and the reason why, this actually goes back to as far as like ancient Rome, by the way, apotheosis. It's where the emperor, when he dies, he ascends to godhood or whatever. It's why Gerald Ford forgave Nixon or pardoned Nixon or whatever. The reason why you don't go after the previous administration is because somebody could go after you. Arguably, based off of this logic, if the Republicans get back into office, they can charge Obama for murder for Anwar al-Awlaki.
Yeah, so
it's interesting.
oh my God. Sorry, you're talking about
and we can upgrade Bush for lying about WMD.
Yeah, thank you for that. Hold on, sorry.
Actually, Brian's good with all of this, by the way.
Oh yeah, hold on.
Go ahead, Prime, please.
Yeah, thank you. So, thank you for that jumping off point. First of all, previously, counterpoints, you said that I was trying to make Steven's points reasonable. I'm not. Steven's points is fucking ridiculous, right? That being said, what we both agree on, what you just agreed on, is a thing that I was saying previously, is that we should have accountability, right? Especially for those in charge,
gonna
right?
say some
how far down
shit,
exactly down the run we should go, right? That's up for debate, right? What Steven's idea, Steven's presenting a dumb fuck idea. But still, that's not even my biggest problem with Steven, right? That's something I've yet to elucidate, but you were just touching on. So, right, my issue is that I don't think Steven here is actually being consistent, right? Because he's a partisan hack. So, Steven, I'm going to ask you, hey, should we also go back through the Democratic administrations and then charge presidents with crimes?
I'm going to get some water.
I don't know which crimes.
Which crimes? Yes, conspiracy to commit murder, right? So you can give an order. Yeah, sure, Joe Biden. Yeah, Joe Biden, right? Joe Biden.
Joe Biden.
The Gazans, right? Providing.
Oh my
weapons,
God!
right,
What a
to,
retard!
What about that?
No.
No. Oh no, we don't do that. No, okay, those deaths, those are okay, right? Why are those okay?
It's not that they're okay. It's that there's.
No, I'm not talking. Well, no, I'm not talking to you, Steven. Right?
I'm not talking to you.
We have different ideas.
I'm not talking to you. Okay.
Reasonable. But Steven, why not?
Because it's a military conflict. It's an ongoing military conflict.
Oh, it's a military conflict now, right? The Trump administration is assembling one of the biggest naval forces we ever have in the Caribbean, right? They're going to take military actions. They're going to declare that the narco terrorists, right, are working with Maduro, and then that makes it, because now they have state backing. That's a military action, and so why not? Like, why we shouldn't?
If we had declared war with Venezuela, then I wouldn't be saying that these are murders.
Did we declare war against Hamas?
No, but Israel did. They're engaged in a fight with Hamas.
Also Israel does. Okay, so when a foreign country does that, wipes our hands clean. So we don't have to even do that, right? But we could just still say that when a foreign nation.
I never said it wipes our hands clean. I said that for the purposes of saying the president of the United States is engaged in murder.
Oh, okay, great. So
we're not talking about being clean or not. We're talking about whether or not somebody's engaged in the act of murder, right? Which is unjust killing of a person.
Conspiracy, no.
Conspiracy to commit murder would be like the plan to kill a person.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And the plan was to use those bombs to drop them on civilians. What about that, Stephen?
Oh my God!
I don't know if that's exactly what the plan was, but I don't know if he would charge.
I just want to be clear that I don't want this to become Israel-Palestine.
Stephen, what do you think the bombs are for?
For military conflict?
Oh, okay, yeah, okay. So you can see how.
Yeah. Oh my God. He didn't
say
genocide. He's such an idiot.
When it comes to when it's my leader that I agree with, right? That I dick suck. Well, then, of course, he wouldn't have to face the same charges. What about Obama, right? Like our friend.
Well, to clear for the thing, there's a difference between two parties that are actively engaged in a military conflict. One is bombing people in the middle of the ocean, right? Do you acknowledge these are two separate things?
Sorry,
do you acknowledge that killing civilians in the middle of the ocean directly with your own military against a country that you're not at war with, that's a significantly different thing than selling weapons to another country at war?
Well, technically, we weren't at war with Yemen either.
No.
We weren't at war. Yeah, we're at war.
I'm not talking about Yemen right now, but we have the use of authorization for the military force that covers, I believe, the entire Middle East. But regardless of the Yemen stuff, I'm saying you acknowledge the difference between killing foreign nationals in the middle of the ocean with your military. There's a difference between that and selling weapons to another country.
There would be it would be a difference if that other country was at peace, right? And then you sold them weapons, and then later on they happen to be used for something nefarious. No, there was an active military conflict. We're deeply involved.
So you can't sell weapons to a country that's at war. Just period.
You can say those are two different things, but are they? No, they're not significant enough to be different, right? And so, like, I get that you desperately need to draw that line, right? So then
you're flailing right now. You're flailing right now.
Your boy Joe Biden won't actually be prosecuted. But again, we can even change it, right? So again, Obama, right, bombing or assassinating Anwar al-Awlaki. Can we charge him?
No.
No. Oh, once again. Okay. So now we're taking.
Dude, was terrorist scum. He was actively threatening the lives of Americans. You're a fucking idiot, bro. You're such a fucking idiot.
You would look at the intention behind the action. So Obama claims that he's doing Obama claims he's not just murdering somebody, he's doing a military action. What were the actions that he took around the time? Did he try to hide this? Did he try to do things that he knew was illegal? No. He went to his Department of Justice. He went to Eric Holder. He sought his legal advice. No, but Trump and the administration are openly Trump and the administration are openly defiant of the law. They claim that all the judges are rigged. They don't try to figure out if the things they're doing in advance are legal or not legal. They're explicitly and openly saying like, oh, I don't know, I'm not gonna fall.
Bullshit DOJ memo, right? That's saying, oh, it's all legal. No worries, military, right? The things that you're doing is fine.
Do you think that the memos that are coming from the
that the dividing line here is that some sort of legality, right? Or some sort of legal justification? Because all presidents say they have legal justification to do everything they do.
So do you think that all presidents seek the same, in good faith, are seeking the same level of information?
He
doesn't matter if you're trying to figure out if your actions are legal or not.
He doesn't process anything that he's saying. He just repeats talking points with emotion. That's all he does.
Crime is. What do you think a key?
He lacks the ability to think critically.
Okay, so Prime, please let me tag in just for a second, okay? The reason why Abdul Rahman al-Awlaki and Anwar al-Awlaki is in more gray area than you might want to concede it for is because they're United States citizens, and there's a huge argument about geography and also whether or not like assisting a terrorist organization precludes you from due process. There's actually an argument there. And Eric
That's fine, but the thing that you're,
I'm not done yet.
I know, but everything you're about to say is irrelevant. But go ahead.
Oh,
let him say it. Hold on, let him say it, and then we'll.
It's all irrelevant.
Thank you. Okay, I will. Thank you. The reason why it's irrelevant is because what you're about to give is an argument that challenges the legality of the U.S. president to assassinate essentially American citizens of other countries, which is a fair argument. But none of that gets you any closer to saying Obama committed murder.
Wait, hold on. Obama went to Eric Holder. Eric Holder said, "Yeah, we're probably good." That was it. And then they drone striked Anwar al-Awlaki, and they drone strike for Abdul Rahman, by the way. They were drone striking somebody else, and then they just accidentally killed a 16-year-old U.S. citizen. So like that's fine. Like for me, I don't give a. Sorry, Prime, I'm gonna betray you a little bit.
Right.
I don't give a fuck about Anwar al-Awlaki. I don't give a fuck about
great.
Abdul Rahman. What I'm trying to point out to you, though, is that once you open up this can of worms of, well, this admin was uniquely bad according to my perspective, therefore we're going to go after all you motherfuckers, then at that point you're opening up a can of worms. Is there a fact of the matter? Is there a fact of the matter that some administrations might be betraying the ideas or the laws of the U.S. Constitution more than other people, or is it all just like a whatever meme? Of course, but one of the largest political scandals of the past 30 years is the fact that we have evidence for this. Donald Rumsfeld and Dick Cheney knowingly exaggerated evidence in order to justify the case for the war in Iraq that resulted in hundreds of thousands of dead people, tens of thousands of American dead, $2 trillion spent. So if there's something worth investigating to see whether or not there was criminality involved in, I would say that deserves a second look.
Sure, I would disagree with you at all on that.
Yeah, of course not criminal because it's a Republican administration. Yeah, no, hold on. We can all say that yes, different administrations violate the law in different ways, right? I'm saying, hey,
unfortunately, these symbolic actions are leading to like.
That's what I'm saying. Why can't you
You're drawing this equivalence between.
It's fucking.
Let's stack teams finish. Let's stack teams get in here. Let's stack teams get in here in a second. Finish your point and then you respond, Prime. I promise. Go ahead, stack.
You're trying to point to Democratic politicians and Republican politicians like there's some sort of equivalence here, but we're talking about the Iraq War.
I am not. Okay, so Saxon, I know exactly what you're going to say already. That's why I didn't bother waiting to listen. No, I'm not drawing equivalence here. I literally just said, hey, there are differences. Just now, when you jumped in, I just
they haven't been so good about providing evidence for the other
law, right? You take that times in any way that you violated the law.
Revoked temporary protective status,
right? So it doesn't matter, right? So
remember, for Haitians, it was because they're eating cats and fucking dogs.
In which you lied to the American people, you make up evidence, and you draw us into a massive forever war. Yeah, you'll be prosecuted for that. And then smaller ways, assassinating American citizens without proper authorization. Yeah, you'll be prosecuted for that too. I prosecute all of them for everything. Right? So my position is that you terrify past presidents to keep future presidents in line, right? Destiny was trying to sniff at that argument, right? He was pointing at that argument, but he only meant for Democrats. That's the secret thing, right? They were saying under his breath.
Okay,
right? So
maybe
when
they
Democrats
can,
genocide,
maybe
well,
they
okay,
can deport
right?
her.
When Democrats assassinate Americans abroad, well, that's okay, right? But when a Republican comes into office, oh, okay, well, that's the thing we have to be afraid of, right? That's when the lawyers get their subpoenas out.
Yeah, but there's several degrees of indirectness when it comes to Biden's involvement in Israel. Even if we're saying,
let's stack teams finish, please. Let's stack teams finish this argument.
We can look at Obama or Biden specifically, but Obama's in murky territory and Biden's in murky territory. But Bush and Trump, it's pretty clear cut.
Why? No, you don't have to give me Bush and Trump. You don't have to bring that up because I'm going to prosecute them in my utopia, right?
No, but I'm justifying why I am going to be harsher towards the Republicans.
Okay. I want to draw this back. I want to draw this back to the matter at hand of what do Democrats do with MAGA once they get into power. I want to bring this back to the topic.
Are you trying to reframe when there's a genocide going on?
Right? So we're talking about, hey, like, we're saying that there should be a legal process, Wick, right? You're saying, we're asking, should there be a legal process to...
if race greater than Jew print, the Yehud is bad. Nice. Minnesota, under Governor Walz, is a hub of fraudulent money laundering activity. I am, as President of the United States, hereby terminating effective immediately the temporary protected status for Somalis in Minnesota. Somali gangs are terrorizing the people of the great state and billions of dollars are missing. It's over. Can you, like, research real quick and see if that's actually the case or they're just making shit up?
Should we normalize that? I say yes. I've already agreed to that. Okay, great. Right now, like, if it's going to be something that is respected, right, and seen as legitimate, then you would have to do it on both sides, or else it doesn't count. Destiny says, hey, this process will get us to the capital T truth about what has happened in the past, right? It has to be a public spectacle to do that, right? Well, then part of that should be accounting for every administration.
Tell you what,
right?
When the leftists get power, you can do that, but we're talking about realistic outcomes, and we're talking about the Democrats. The leftists ever get power, we can have that discussion.
This whole topic's not realistic. We know that. So we're already in fantasy, right? So we're going to be in fantasy, and we're going to deal with Stephen's dumbass idea, right?
He's so angry.
Prosecuting the Republican Party.
He's so mad.
Right? We're already there. And so
he's so mad.
I'm trying to point out the vast hypocrisy that
Prime always gets mad in debates because he's never fucking right. And everybody always points it out.
War in the Middle East, I would happily impeach them too.
Oh, King.
Okay, yeah, great. I would too. I don't know what.
Great, awesome. We solved the problem.
You keep distracting. I don't know what you're doing here, right? I already agreed to that. Right? I'm saying there are lesser crimes that also do that too. Come on, what is the minimum?
But you
crime?
can't.
Let me ask Staxims here. Okay, Staxims, you've been wanting to jump in and get some airtime. Staxims, what is the minimum? The maximum amount of crime, right, that a president can do and not be charged? Democrat or Republican?
This feels like
Mark.
True.
How
I don't need to explain what
widespread is
specifically
that?
9 turns in a day to explain where day is and where night is. I know that Trump crossed the line. I don't know where the line is.
Oh, I know. Again, you keep trying to distract us. Like, come on, you had a lot of airtime.
Okay, I don't know. The answer is I don't know where the
okay, great. So I do know. Then I do know. Okay, great. Then I do know. I have an idea. So when I'm talking about murder, right? Yes, you've gone into the territory where you get charged, right? I've given a direct line. Nothing below murder. Okay, nothing below or conspiracy to commit murder, right? Nothing below that, right? So now that we've established that, great. Then I would say I would charge President Obama, right? And I would charge President Biden, right, for setting a weapon.
He's such a leftist cuck. He's going to charge every president because they're all warmongers and war crimes.
We're going to get to,
and then we're going to vote in Zoran Mamdani, who's going to give peace to everybody, and he's going to be the actual peace president, and everybody's going to have free health care and free toothbrushes and free blowjobs, and it's going to be amazing.
Back to the topic at hand.
Well, yeah, man, Steven's been a coward there. No, look at Steven sitting there being a coward because he didn't actually want to engage with it.
No, it's just the
nothing.
To be clear, there's not engagement. We talk about multiple crimes. We talk about people who are acting within what they believe their legal authority is. There's a difference between people acting within what they believe their legal authority is versus people who are acting with flagrant disregard for legal authority. This administration, this is provable. This is provable. The current administration
says that.
No, they don't. You can look. It's pretextual. It's clearly pretextual. That's fine because you don't understand the law and you don't follow what they say. Okay, but they clearly say Donald Trump.
Let Destiny finish his point, please. Brad, let Destiny
finish. We don't think that the judges are correct on this. They're all activists. We don't care what the judge says. We're going to do whatever we want anyway. They very clearly know, or if anything, they should know that you can't just kill citizens in South America without cause, and that's a totally okay thing to do. That's plainly obvious.
I want to give it to counterpoints, hopefully to re-rail us. If he does not re-rail us, I will re-rail us forcibly and not consensually. But go ahead.
I'll do it again.
I understand.
Go ahead. Put these guardrails up to the conversation.
Yeah, I will.
Because fuck you, Steve.
Reinforce them.
Okay, so yeah, trying to re-rail us. I'm going to reject that this is even a possibility. If we can't impeach Trump now, if the best thing we can do is have Democrats stand up in Congress and ineffectually say, oh, I really disagree with this. If that's all we can achieve right now, we're not getting shit after Trump's gone. I think it's a waste of time. I think it inflames maybe it's a marketing strategy. Maybe this is a marketing strategy to get Democrats psyched for the midterms or some shit. If you said it was a marketing strategy, then I would be like, oh, okay, Steven's just using hyperbolic language in order to get, libtards excited for the midterms. And I'd be like, all right, fuck it. That's just what Steven's doing. But you said to take you literally and seriously. And at this point, I'm going to say literally and seriously, it's a stupid fucking idea. The Democrats cannot walk and chew gum. They need to focus on not Trump. They need to focus on the material circumstances that caused Trump, which once again, I will assert is rapid demographic change, existential technological shifts, income inequality, and the dissolution of the social fabric. And if we don't deal with those,
so we can't charge Trump with crimes. We just need Democrats to solve fast technological change, solve demographic issues in the United States, solve the social fabric dissolving, and then solve whatever the other fourth existential problem is.
Yeah,
why didn't they just fix every single fucking issue with society? That's crazy. Why did I think of that? Fuck me, dude.
If you weren't being a twat, then you could realize that these are things that are affecting radicalism on both sides of the political binary.
Yeah, but we can agree with
that.
that.
There are Republicans who are concerned about these things, who would be interested in coming up with solutions to these things.
Yeah, but I can point to a fucking.
It's supposed to be.
I can point to a crime and go, okay, but look at the poverty in the area. Look at all of these factors that go into the crime. We still prosecute individuals. Like, I don't understand this.
Yeah, but we've already acknowledged that the chances of you prosecuting a criminal in this regard is a snowball's chance in hell.
Okay, let me ask you a question.
I'm addressing everyone.
Let me ask you a question to Destiny and to Staxiums here. If you knew that engaging in this would absolutely lead to Democrats losing in 2026 and 2028, if this running on this platform, if you had a crystal ball and you knew 100% that even advocating for what you think is right is going to fail and it's going to cost you the election, would you still do it?
No, I would not.
Okay,
you know for a fact? No, you probably try to find some middle ground.
Okay, so what I'm telling you is we have a lot of evidence, given the past and how it turned out when we tried to do this with Trump the first time, and how that, again, was a pretty big factor in leading to us losing, right?
I don't know how you could possibly say that, but also I don't know what you're talking about. What do you mean we didn't try with Trump? We never got any federal charges.
We never got any federal charges, but not for lack of trying and not for lack of people investigating.
We didn't try. It was 2 years before
it took way too long.
We didn't try that hard.
Okay. I disagree with you, and I think that the public.
I would
agree that there was massive Democratic incompetence, right, by Joe Biden, by Merrick Garland.
By Joe Biden, of course.
I would agree that they were engaging in what Stephen is trying to engage, right, like in protection of the powerful. So they didn't actually want to charge him with anything, right? Like if they did, then they could have done it immediately, right? There was clear reason to do so, but they waited for because until it was politically, at least they thought it was politically expedient, right? They waited till the end. It was a disaster, right? It was a disaster because they ran out of time. But yes, they were protecting electing the powerful. They were extremely reluctant to do that. That case, even when there was their opponent.
Well, do you think if they had been successful
His brain
in
is
prosecuting
so
Trump federally, right, and they had
cooked
by
leftist
jail, right? Like,
politics.
Trump is now in jail, okay, for all
The donor
crimes,
class.
all these things.
That's
do you
my
think that
donor
Republicans
class.
would have won more or less in 2024?
Far less.
Less.
Less. I think that is absolutely wrong. I think this would have been seen as feeding into their persecution narrative. It would have been given truth.
It's so crazy. Do you see how your position is that literally any time you try to hold somebody accountable, they're like, you're feeding into their
not
narrative.
any time and not
anybody.
Not in any
Okay, so
context.
wait, then can somebody give me another thing then? I'm not like 100% bought into this has to be the penalty, but give me what your proposed penalty is then. What should the accountability look like for how conservatives have acted over the past 10 years?
Well, I think that. Oh, go ahead.
You go first.
Oh, sure. I'll go first. I think that they're getting their accountability. We saw it last Tuesday on November 4th. I saw that was their accountability. Look, hey, hold on. Do you think politicians don't want to win? Do you think that politicians don't want to win elections?
I think they do want to win elections.
So yes. So when the disincentive is, hey, if you behave in this manner, you won't win elections. Do you think that's
that they're
probably
losing because they're behaving in a particular manner, or because everything's going to shit and they're failing to
behaving in a particular? These things are correlated.
They're not.
You don't think that them behaving in the manner that they do is leading everything to go to shit? Their incompetence and their inability to govern is absolutely correlated with their level of corruption and malice.
You can argue that like the similar traits play into people that act, in similar ways, but it's not like Republicans are like, you know what, Rodrigo Garcia, that was fucked up. No, that's not happening, and that's what you need them to think. Just because things are going to shit because the president's a communist fuck doesn't mean that conservatives are going to look at the future and go, wow, we definitely shouldn't support an evil person again.
They're not going to think when you again have these trials, these Nuremberg trials for MAGA, that these are the crimes that Trump committed, and this is why they can't have power. They're going to think that the Democrats. Oh, you're just going to leave when I'm
listening.
Oh, okay. They're going to think that the Democrats are the ones who
Wake,
are
you're retarded.
persecuting
He's
their
gonna
political
leave.
enemies,
He's
and the
gonna
voting
leave.
base is going to vote accordingly. That's my point. Counterpoints, do you have a different?
Is it just lose the election? Then you have nothing. Then you can't do anything. They've insulated themselves.
Of course, again, there are things that you can do, but they should not be your focus.
I think that if they don't let us prosecute them, then that means that they're evil Hitlers. So now they have to let us prosecute them. Otherwise, Wick, you're going to be saying, well, Destiny said you guys are evil Hitlers. If you guys do that thing, and now that you're doing that thing, you're proving it right. Can I just say that?
Okay, you can, but what I say has historical basis and election results backing it. What you say has vibes and memes backing it. The November 4th election that just happened, where moderates ran the fucking board, and the guy who had the rhetoric like you got he performed the least well out of every single Democrat who won.
The least well?
Yeah, he got carried over the finish line. Jay Jones is who I'm talking about.
Still won his election? King, okay? Number one. Number two, in terms of the Trump election, where's the evidence that are you implying that the New York State convictions that helped Trump? Or that
yes, I think that helped Trump. I think that his mug. Yes, I think that helped Trump.
But I just want to be clear then. The rules that Wick are writing right now, Wick is saying that president should always break the law because if you're trying to hold them accountable, it's going to help them win the next election. I guess that's what you're saying.
I'm saying that I would rather win than have some kind of weird. This is what I want to be justice, but not actually.
Mika. It's chicken dance time, baby girl. Yeah, I'm fucking doing it. Mikuch. Come here, babes. Yeah. Sit. Sit. Fuck you. Oh, now you're interested. Now you're like, oh, what's going on over here? Oh, here you go. Okay. Go ahead, babes. Go. Wait, what are you doing the wedge for? For what? I did it. Here you go, babes. Good girl. Ah, lovely.
Get those justice either. Like, in order to get justice, you have to win first. So my advocacy is about winning first. Once we win,
I agree with you.
Okay.
I agree with you.
But when you come out and you say that, hey, if we win, we're going to take away every single Republican, you're not going to win.
So you're fine with, so Wick is saying he's fine with all of what
that's not what I'm saying.
Just as long as we lie about it, right? And then we surprise Nuremberg trials, right?
Look,
we do.
You're just.
I'm fucking with you, bro.
You,
but you
again,
can't admit it to your audience because then you're
no,
not saying it's
that's not what I'm saying.
You know what? Well, actually, couldn't we do that? Well, hold on. I'm trying to think. What are the chances that you could have like a massive agenda that everybody's accusing you of doing, but then you deny it the entire time, and then when you get into elected office in 2025, you have this big project that you're trying to carry out all the plans of. You tell you knew nothing about it. Maybe this would be kind of crazy. Never mind.
Okay, counterpoints you wanted to get in earlier. Go ahead.
Sorry. So somebody in my chat, I think a DDG brings up an interesting point, which is maybe state-level crimes as a way to circumvent blanket pardons. But then I don't know what state-level crimes you would be accusing people of, that let alone that you would have sufficient evidence in order to obtain a conviction. I also still think that that would avoid the insurrection issue. And once again, I'm just going to say this for like the fourth time. I think y'all got a fistful of nothing. I think you have a as a matter of fact, saying Republicans, if you don't let us prosecute you, you're gay. That probably would be more effective than what you guys are advocating.
Okay with that.
Because then the Republicans would be like, no, I'm not gay. You can prosecute Donald Trump. You can prosecute Pete Hegseth. I'm not gay. Like, that would actually, that almost makes more sense than what you're
He's
saying.
actually probably not wrong.
It works.
Yeah, I'll do that. Sure.
Okay, but I'm just saying, like, we do realize that
that's sort of like analogous to what Gavin Newsom is doing in a sense.
We are all 20 to 40-year-old adults here. The thing that you're arguing for.
What was Connor's answer to why won't Republicans act? Why won't Republicans act even more unhinged in the future? There's no accountability for what's happening now.
Well, okay, but I'm asking you a different question, which is effectively like, you can't get the accountability that you're looking for.
You can try. You can get as close as possible.
Hold on, trying and failing is worse than not trying. You understand that, right?
Well, I do understand that. But we're also talking about political.
I'm asking if Steven understands that. Destiny, do you understand that? If you try and you fail, it's worse than not trying, correct?
No.
You don't think that's true?
You can get closer to perfection. Don't let perfection be the enemy of progress. There you go. See, I can do these two.
Okay, but here's the thing: the perfection that you want of prosecuting everyone who's ever done a crime for every single thing they do is the perfection that you're letting get in the way of actual progress here. So again, if you try to convict them, and you try this plan, and then it doesn't work, what that does is that just sends an even stronger signal that they can get away with it, even if you try to fight them.
So what if we don't try with anything? Why wouldn't they do the same thing?
Again, there are
you
already.
saying that Democrats shouldn't have impeached Trump before because they failed?
Hold on. I
That's
think
a great
that
question, actually.
impeaching Trump is different than what is being advocated for tonight.
Hold on, but you're saying
Hold on.
You're trying to.
I'm okay with impeaching Trump, even if it doesn't work. That's different than what's being advocated
Trying
here.
and failing is worse than not
Not in every
trying at
context.
all.
The context changes the calculation.
I know, I agree.
Okay? So when you try and fail to
agree with
impeach
that.
someone, so if you try and fail to win an election, that's a lot different than trying and failing to bar 25% of the Republican Party for ever running from office.
Yeah, and I'm trying to. And hey, so these are apples to apples, okay, right? Impeaching Trump, right, or putting him through these trials, right, is a legal process, well, political/legal process for impeachment, in which, like a formal process, in which you present evidence and you get a group of individuals to decide
As face race in the
to impose
Cold War,
consequences. These are the same things, right? And
Free Rose
they tried to impeachment and they failed, right? And you're saying, well, but that's okay.
Imagine if we were as cut as prime.
Know that if it's going to work or not, then we shouldn't bother.
I think that you can look at the evidence that you would bring against, say, Marco Rubio, and that would be far, far weaker of a slate of evidence than you would have against someone like Trump. Do you disagree?
I don't think anyone's disagreeing.
Now you're moving.
Wait, we don't know yet. We haven't emailed yet. We haven't got subpoenas yet. We haven't done an investigation.
You haven't done any of that.
Wait, then Trump
Like, we haven't
himself
actually
obviously would be
processed.
definitionally less, because the only
Hold on,
piece of evidence that you look
your
at is
argument is that you have less evidence against Trump than Marco Rubio?
That's not.
You're probably almost definitionally going to have less evidence because Trump is higher up in the organization and was handing down orders, right?
No,
That
because
doesn't mean
Trump
that-
is the dictator. Trump is the
and even if you have less evidence, that doesn't mean you don't have enough evidence for a conviction, right? There might be different quality, different crimes.
Do you think that they have enough
altogether.
evidence to convict Marco Rubio of insurrection?
Marcio.
If we want to play the 14th Amendment game, if we want to look at the 14th Amendment, it doesn't even require a criminal conviction. It just requires a determination that somebody has committed or engaged in or aided somebody in an insurrection, and that is enough to bar them.
But the
from
14th Amendment use of aid and comfort is different than the colloquial use of aid and comfort. You understand this, right? Like, it doesn't mean anyone who said "I hope you feel better," Trump text was comforting Trump, right? There's specific criteria that you have to meet to meet the bar of aiding and comfort.
in them committing an insurrection.
Yeah, we know that. We all know that.
Okay, Marco Rubio participating in his government does not necessarily meet the criteria of aiding and abetting an insurrection.
Do you think that Hitler's second vice president, vice chancellor, I don't know, do you think that guy was aiding Hitler just for participating in the government?
As Staxium's mentioned, several of the Nuremberg trial people were found innocent. So no, it's not sufficient.
But they were put through a trial.
That's
right?
what I'm saying. We should put all of them on
Yeah.
trial, but some of them will be innocent, which is why I'm kind of the middle ground here. Yeah.
Yeah, you put them on trial, and then that's how we found out.
I recognize that Rubio. You guys keep pointing to Rubio because he is by far the only member of the administration who is maybe even kind of disagreeing with Trump. The rest of them are fucking lock in step.
Well, no, I mentioned Rubio just to be clear. I'm mentioning Rubio because he's the only one with really political gravitas in that administration. He has Fox News contributors like Pam Bondi and fucking Hegseth.
Just to be clear, Rubio has no political gravity right now. I don't think.
Yeah, gravitas.
Okay, hold on. I want to point this out though, because there's obviously a flaw in this case. You guys are saying charge them with insurrection in order to bar them from participating in politics in the future. My frustration with what you're saying is, as far as I know, the documented case of Donald Trump conducting insurrection or being a part of an insurrection or seditious conspiracy or whatever is January 6, 2021. Half of his administration wasn't even a part of his administration during January 6, 2021. And not only that, it's difficult to argue that them acting within their capacities as cabinet members is them aiding and abetting and providing comfort for insurrection when the person that you're charging with insurrection is not actively engaged in insurrection. So there's a fatal flaw to your case, even if we were to even entertain it, which we shouldn't.
Once an insurrectionist, always an insurrectionist. If you support him in the future and he's doing the same behavior, boom, you're still
Okay,
doing
same
it.
behavior. What's the same behavior as far as Trump is going on right now? How has he overthrown the government of the United States?
He's overthrown state governments by nationalizing the national guards of different states without getting approval from the governors first. That's a clear violation of the law. He is trying to use the military for purposes of law enforcement. That's also usurping the states' rights there to do their own law.
Except for that's already been to court, and the court said that they're allowed to protect federal buildings. They're not allowed to engage in law enforcement activities, and as far as we know, that's what's happened.
Well, so the ruling from the D.C. court today was that he's not allowed to send the National Guard to D.C. to go do law enforcement things. I don't know. I'm sure there are TROs and states that have been challenged, but these are challenging the president's lawful authority to do a thing. I want him challenged for insurrection.
But federalizing the National Guard is not a crime. Federalizing
It is if
the
you do it
National
in
Guard
contravention.
order to protect- Hold on,
If the governors don't want
Thank
it,
you,
it
Stephen.
is.
I already let you psychically know my arguments earlier. I would like to finish a sentence. Thanks. I've been listening.
Well, because you just started off by saying a thing that Trump didn't do. So I just want to hear why
I get it. You're the main character. Please shut the fuck up for 10 seconds.
Go ahead. Drinking water, not
Federalizing the National Guard in and of itself is not a crime. Also, federalized National Guard are allowed to protect federal buildings, as is the military. That's what courts have found so far.
We're not talking about either of those things, though, are we?
Yeah, you just said that a D.C. court prohibited federalized National Guard from participating in law enforcement action.
Yeah, but the first example I brought up, California, was federalizing the National Guard without the consent of the governor.
You're allowed to do that.
No, you're not. You have to have the consent of the governor to do
you
it. No, in Trump 1, remember when Trump made a big deal about, was it the Minnesota, about the governor not asking him for help and not letting him use the National Guard or whatever? No, you need the consent of the governor.
I almost guarantee
hold on.
I will look it up just for the sake of, I don't know, getting something productive out of this.
During states of emergency, that can be overridden, and that's the argument from the Trump
Federalized
side.
National Guard for like national emergencies.
Yeah, but see, if we had a court case on this publicly, we both know the answers. See how good it would be to get all
We
this.
are having court cases on it.
I just have to research it.
It's going through the court right now. We understand this, right? That this is an open legal question that is going through the court.
It's not an open legal
It's already been found multiple times. I think there's already multiple states that have already gone through the process, and the process has been Trump can federalize National Guard, Trump can deploy National Guard and federal troops in order to protect federal buildings. They're not allowed to participate in law enforcement action. I think the lower
the only way that you can do this is I don't know if the law says in times of rebellion or insurrection. It might. I don't know if it's a national emergency, but it might be in times of insurrection or rebellion. But again, there's a reason why he didn't. Why didn't he do this?
There's like half a dozen exceptions. It's not just one.
Why didn't he do this during BLM then?
Why didn't? Because they're not allowed to participate in law enforcement action without declaring the Insurrection Act.
He could protect federal buildings. What do you mean?
He didn't want to declare the Insurrection Act. He could have used federalized National Guard if he wanted to. He would just have to declare the Insurrection Act first.
Why was he complaining then about not being able to do it because the governors weren't asking him for it? Also, Trump was not allowed to deploy the National Guard.
Why are we even trying to figure out what Trump means? Like, Trump's a fucking dumbass. He doesn't understand any of this shit.
Being a dumbass doesn't mean that his behavior is random or unknowable. It's because he didn't have the authority to do so.
I was saying that the President of the United States, throw Trump out of the window real quick. I will Google it. However, it is my understanding, based off of court cases that have already made it through the pipeline, that the President of the United States is allowed to federalize National Guard under half a dozen to a dozen circumstances, and that he's also allowed to deploy federalized National Guard and military in order to protect federal buildings. However, those people are prohibited from enforcing laws because they're not law enforcement.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Okay, well, I'll Google it. You guys have fun jerking each other raw about shit that's not going to happen.
Jerking it raw, yes.
Jerking it raw. Okay. I'm going to read some super chats at this point, and then we will get into the final section of the show, and let's see how it goes. $5 from Darina? Wow, Wick, it's like you don't even care about America. You could have worn something a little more patriotic. Jeez, like a giant wiener costume. Well, no wiener costume here, but I thought about, I like my American hoodie. Okay. Thank you for $5. $5 from J-Ray, N7, to say, isn't Rubio a main champion of the Venezuela plan, and he has enacted the plan to strip the First Amendment rights of immigrants? He has. I'm not saying that Rubio's a good guy. $5 to Trib1. Can we stop virtue signaling here? LOL. Trump is a traitor. All in power who support him should absolutely get treated as traitors as well. It's that simple. Okay, $5 from the Trib1. Do you remember how many Republicans quit or were fired during and after his first term? The Rhino Group. Like, where are your balls at? This is easy. $5 from Psycher Games. I don't want to get political, but I think butter goes well on toast. Sorry if that offends anyone. $10 from Not Rested Halo Wick. Ask Destiny to explain why this won't fail, like when we banned the Ba'ath Party members from holding power in Iraq post-2003.
Well, I've done that. Hey, why not?
Yeah, why won't this fail? Did he answer your question? I don't remember.
No, he
The
said
Ba'ath
that
Party was a single party rule. The Ba'ath Party was literally the entirety of the Iraqi government. There's a difference.
I don't know enough about 2003.
Yeah, hold on. You're clearing out. You're clearing out the entirety of the active Republican Party, right? Well, first of all, they do have single party rule in some areas, right? It's just Republican, and so you actually are clearing all that.
The United States of America is a democracy. They voted for and they supported willingly a dictator. You didn't really have much of a choice with Saddam Hussein. He would fucking kill you if you didn't support his regime. And it was a single party rule. So you had to be part of that if you were going to be part of the government any way, shape, or form.
But what we're talking about is the failure here, right? Like you're like.
No, it's okay. I understand because you care about Palestine. You know nothing about the Middle East. Obviously, that logically follows. So now we're trying to make it work.
Hey, Stephen, it won't work with me. You're not gonna distract me with that. Whatever. Right? So, Stephen, right, we're talking about a failure state here, right? We're trying a point in which you take a political action, right? And it's and the consequences are so huge that it has massive unintended blowback. That's what we're referring to, right? Not the exact sequence of events that happened in Iraq, okay? So why wouldn't this fail, right? So you're saying that we take down the entire active Republican Party, right? We take away the voice, essentially, for half of the voting public, and there won't be any sort of reaction. This instead will shine light down, open all their eyes to the crimes, right? Rather than entrench them.
Let a new wave of Republicans come up and run for office. People move on.
What do you think they'll do, right? What do you think the lessons will be? What do you think the lessons will be? Or maybe
we can't do insurrectionary things and destroy the country because we're going to be held accountable for it.
Hold on, just real quick. I see tons of Republicans. I'm not talking politicians here. I'm talking normal, I won't say them, they're normal, but average Republicans who vote. And they are complaining because they worry that the Democrats are going to do exactly what you do, and they are urging Trump to be more extreme because they're saying if you don't Trump, then the Democrats are going to do this. So once you get in power and you do this, what do you think these voters that are saying this now are going to vote for in the future?
They won't do it again. They should be worried. They should be worried that if you break the law, if you do bad things will happen to you. You should be worried about that.
That is not the lesson they will learn.
Except if you're a Democrat.
Can't I flip that immediately and say, because I see Republicans all the time who are terrified of Trump and think that they're bringing democracy down to the toilet and America is exploding, and they're like, where's the party of Dick Cheney?
Why would we ever cede that ground because we're winning? Why would we ever cede that ground by being just as crazy as the Republicans?
We're saying we're fucking getting rid of all of the old Republicans. Come on in. You're welcome at the table. We'll fight you politically, but we're certainly not gonna. We'll let you run for office.
We'll let you.
That's an extreme.
Okay. Did you hear yourself now?
No. But certainly speaking, Pam Bondi should not be able to.
Are you an only child?
No, I have 2 sisters.
You ever play a video game against somebody who's way better than you, older than you, and you're trying to set some fucking...
I've never played against anyone.
I bet you won't even let me get this. I bet you won't even let me loot this completely. I bet you won't even let me... I bet you're trying to kill me early. I bet you're trying to do this, right? And you say this shit so the other person doesn't do it. So you can get some fucking god gun or some fucking blue shell or some bullshit so you can finally beat him. The fact that the Republicans are saying, wow, I bet that the Democrats are going to hold us accountable for fucking destroying this fucking country. And then you're like, okay, well, let's hold them accountable. You're like, oh my God, you've fallen right into their trap. No, the trap is what you've fallen into, which is no accountability because the Republicans are scared of accountability. Meanwhile, what did the Republicans say on their side? Do the Republicans say, we better not be fucking crazy because that would set a really...
No, they're saying we need to be as crazy as possible because the Democrats are going to kill us all. That's what they're saying.
They say the Democrats have already done it. The same thing that you use as excuses for restraint on the left, the Republicans use as excuses, as reasons to act on the right.
And that's why they're losing and I'm winning. Yes, that you figured it out.
They won the second election. What are you talking about?
Were you here a year ago?
They won a fluke election where we pushed out our candidate 3 months before the election, where every incumbency lost worldwide. You're acting and you're extrapolating. It's like people extrapolating the win Mamdani got against Cuomo as what the Democratic Party should do as a whole. It's fucking stupid. It's fucking retarded. Okay, there are various factors in that election that does not mean that makes it silly to extrapolate out further from that. Again, running against Cuomo?
We have to look at the guy who won in 2024 was the guy who said the 2020 election was rigged, among 50 other horrible fucking things.
Because he ran a uniquely bad campaign.
But it's also because
Kamala did.
But it's also because he's protected from all the consequences of his actions.
Peace out, neighbor.
I understand Kamala ran a substandard campaign.
It's not just that.
If you're against Trump, it should be a landslide. That is the state of the country. That is the state of the country is that we can't accept. We have to accept the fact that
you can talk about what should be all the day. I'll talk about what is.
Should have ran again because he's my god, he's my king. But
yeah, I know you're Biden insider, right? He's a little incompetent.
I got more super chats. I'm sure this will continue. $5 from Old School to say the next party to take the White House and not use the government to go after their political enemies will govern for the next 2 decades. Okay, I'm out. Thank you for $5.
Look what did Biden do to go after his political enemies? Look at that fucking retard.
Just fucking
I disagree with
behind
that.
the keyboard.
I disagree with that.
Please,
Yeah.
please.
$2 from Tex Johnson to say
Like it's fucking.
to say this is gay, Destiny is gay. Thank you for the $2.
Okay. The guy who just donated before, I'm going to do this more sibling analogy. It's like when you hit your sibling over and over, oh, no, when they go to hit you back, like, no, don't do it. It's so stupid. It's like somebody breaking into my house, and I go to break into somebody's house, and I go to break into somebody's house, and I tell my friend, watch this. I bet when I go in here and try to take all his shit, I bet he's going to fucking hit me because he's a fucking lunatic. And then you go in and steal all his shit, and he fucking hits you, and you're like, oh, what did I tell you? But no, but he wouldn't hit me. He would sit there and watch me steal his shit like a cock, because Wick would be like, don't hit him because you're going to prove him exactly right.
No, I would call the cops and get you arrested. That's what I would do.
Oh, what about if
I knew he was going to call the cops.
Of course I'm going to call the cops.
No, that's fine. What if the cops are the one robbing you, Wick?
Well, what if the cops are the ones robbing? Then you're gonna get robbed. Actually, funny story. My mom, the cops did steal my laptop.
Because Donald Trump is the head of the executive branch, which has the DOJ and the FBI. He is the cops. He's the executive. So what do you do when the cops are robbing you? It's a serious question because it's a one-to-one analogy with where Trump occupies the government.
If you think that the cops are being run by a corrupt sheriff, I'm not sure how cops and that works. Counterpoints could probably speak to this more.
Sure,
What you do is you elect a different sheriff. That's how you fix the fucking problem.
I'm all for electing a different.
Okay,
sheriff.
great. Let me keep reading these. $10 from Trip One.
What if everyone's like, no, I'm kind of on board with Wick and stolen from all this time?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, then you have a bigger problem, don't you?
Oh, that's the situation,
What if the sheriff's
bro.
already stolen a ton of shit from you, and then he loses the next election, and you're like, can I get my shit back? People are like, you can't go and rob him now. That would set up that.
It's literally the problem that we're facing. Oh, Wick sucks, man.
Hold on. If they said, hey, if we go after this, there's a 99% chance this guy's going to win again or someone like him's going to win again, you know what? I'm going to take the loss. Because I value my future more than my past.
99%.
Hold on. I value my future more than my past. I value my rights
on my
more than my
feet
sense of...
than live on my knees, okay? That's how it works. We're America.
Well, you ain't going to live at all. You're going to be in the ground, brother.
Okay, yeah, as opposed to right now, the slow path we're descending into chaos.
Yeah, I'm giving you a solution to get out of that path. What you're giving us is a recipe for that slow dissolution of the country.
What was the solution?
What is the solution? Is to be fucking normal, win elections, and then we don't have to worry about a future Trump because what we've done is we've showcased the...
Was Obama normal?
Yeah, pretty much.
How the fuck do we get Trump after Obama?
Because...
Holy shit.
Because he was black, obviously.
No, we got that because of the Iraq War, because of all the...
Is this thing on? Obama was normal, but he was black, obviously.
No, we all agree, but then...
Okay. But there's a whole host of factors
here. How do
here.
we prevent Trumps in the future?
Hey, how do we prevent Trump?
Not like
radicals like Obama, not radical communists. I spent 8 years of my life listening to these subhuman degenerate demon fucks saying that Obama was a radical socialist communist, okay? The guy who couldn't even get a public option passed the fucking healthcare bill was a radical social communist. And we got Trump after that. Like, this is insane. It's insane. It's insanity. It doesn't get more normal. Obama was boringly normal, okay?
It's insanity.
It's true. And you know what? He won both of his terms.
For
American
president, right? Because you just commit war crimes with your American president. That's
fine. I'll deal with you later.
Oh my god.
$10.
Because that's what American presidents fucking do.
Oh, you're gonna be committing war crimes. You can be based like Hamas and go rape a bunch of people and then have people like Prime in the West defended. Behave.
Again, don't worry. Keep trying to distract, right? You have to change the subject because you know you can't. You're doing what you're doing, right? You're not advocating for justice here. Like Steven's not looking for justice because if he was, he would say yes, Prime. He would say yes, Prime. Of course, like any president, right? With a D or R in front of their name, of course we'd prosecute them. Of course we'd go back and look at whatever crimes they're doing, right? But no, he had to obfuscate. He had to distract. He had to do everything he can, right, to move the subject off his partisans' daddies, right? Like he's here for the Democrats. That's all he's here for, right? So he's not actually looking for a system that would actually hold a party to account, right? Because that system would only work if they understood.
In a second, I'm gonna
that it was legal, justifiable, and blind. But it's not blind for Steven, right?
I'm gonna read my super chats.
Not his daddy.
I'm gonna read my super chats, and you can re-rail us if all you have axioms. $10 from the Trib One to say thinking the liberal Dems wouldn't have more people and munitions behind them is insane. The Civil War wouldn't just be fought by Americans. Neighboring countries would also join. It's Trump versus USA and its allies. Thank you for the $10. $5 from the Darwina. Do you think these crusty-ass conservatives are going to do anything in a civil war? They get asked their pronouns and they piss themselves crying. $2 from Psychor to say yes, but Obama wore a tan suit. Thank you. $20 from Mr. Wise Guys. Wick, you deserve this $20 for putting on display how unhinged the Trump derangement and Trump deranged Destiny's position on politics, specifically on Trump
like a chicken who gets
I love
his
you,
head chopped
for not
off
falling for
and the
Destiny's
system
gaslight.
doesn't realize it's
We don't need that. What was that guy's name?
Mr. Wise Guy
around
Play.
Sans head.
What's his address and full name and social security number? I'm coming after that guy.
That's we disavow. Okay. Thank you for the 20 gifted memberships from Isaac's text. And Trib1, thank you for the 10 gifted memberships. Trib1 says, I got candy, and someone else got a candy bar from the store. I went to the register to buy it, and the other person didn't. Is it the same Prime?
What?
I don't know. $5. It's only $5, so you don't have to answer. Is anyone even questioned how these speedboats are being identified? Like, what makes a drug speedboat any different than a family outing speedboat?
Probably a bunch of 55-gallon drums lined up horizontally 4 abreast across the entirety of the ship.
Damn, if only we could have arrested the boats and then found out what was on them.
No, we did. We did detain them, then we released them.
I think drug trafficking could have a death sentence, but I also think that those...
Also, Trump did provide evidence. I think he said that when they blew the boats up, you could see the fent dust, I think.
I don't know.
Yeah, some soldiers a few miles away, right, like went a seizure, right, when a fentanyl seizure.
Real Serious for 100 ARS says, I feel like there's a fundamental disagreement on whether the U.S. should be able to unalive people on foreign soil for purposes of national security. That's true. $5 from Cameraman 502 to say, is a vote for Trump in 2024 support for an insurrection that started and ended in 2021? Is support for executive orders in 2025 support for actions in 2021?
I think the obvious answer there is no. And just giving you guys a heads up, I do have a hard out at 8.
Okay, then I will read these after we get through closings then. But yeah, let's kind of, at this point, I don't know how. This isn't a serious conversation, unfortunately. I don't think these are serious proposals, but we'll get to closing statements and we'll see.
I just quick thing. I just want to say very quickly. Fuck you, Wick. These are not serious proposals. The president of the United States is engaged in like 20 different scam schemes, things that are like unprecedented in all of fucking U.S. history. Okay. And number 2, the president of the United States is literally tweeting out, you guys all fucking rake me over the coals for saying I think that we shouldn't disavow violence. And then the president of the United States this morning is retweeting people saying we should execute congressmen. So if you think that my rhetoric is extreme or the actions of suggestion are extreme, they are extreme. You know what else is extreme? The fucking Civil War. And it was started for arguably less shit than this. It's fucking crazy. This guy is killing people in foreign countries. He's scamming all of fucking America. He's engaged in global trade policy. The whole fucking Congress on the Republican side has advocated all the responsibilities. He's arguably protecting himself as a fucking child rapist, and he's rigging the whole fucking DOJ and Congress against everything else in order to do it. The idea that like, well, I think it's actually kind of crazy that you're saying that like, you know, they shouldn't be allowed to, like,
look, you can have different things.
If this was on the Republican side, they would never have this conversation. They would say, how do we make it happen? How many of these motherfuckers can we bar from running again? They're using the term seditious conspiracy, which would bar you from ever running for office again. And they've said seditious conspiracy for like 2 years.
Yeah, and they're going to lose. I think that when it comes to what Trump is saying, this kind of rhetoric is why he's going to lose in 2026. If we want him not to lose, if we want him not to lose, you just keep doing what you're doing, and you will give him all the ammo he needs to stay in power.
How many has the ammo? Who comes next?
Yeah.
Let's
give it to Prime. Let's give it to Prime. We'll give it counterpoints, and then we'll give it Stackium. Go ahead, Prime.
Oh, is this an outro? Or is
yeah,
this
it's an outro.
Oh, okay. Well, wait, it was dumb shit. Like his, like Trump's actual extremist rhetoric got him into office the first time, right? God
damn it, Daniel!
The second time, and has like increased his popularity all along the way. So no, like him saying, "Hey, we should hang politicians." No, it's just another.
You and Gringo are gonna be so upset you missed a chicken dance. Okay, well, it sounds like you had a really good time though, so you probably won't be that upset.
Pebble, right? Another stone down the path.
You didn't try it, did you? No, don't be upset. Don't worry, Daniel fucking clipped it. Hi upset, I'm dead. I already know you did. I don't know that. You could have tried it. I don't know what kind of party it was.
It doesn't matter. Like, it'll
for science.
So, whatever. Anyway, which way? I think Stephen was bullshitting us. I think that even if he thinks this is a serious proposition, right? There's parts that I can agree with, certainly, right? But I simply had the reasonable ask of saying, hey, why don't we apply this to all presidents,
Daniel
right? No matter what
clipped it.
It's true. It's true.
You really need to watch it.
Does, right? That maybe Trump's crimes are greater than other crimes, right? That Biden did or Obama did or down the line, or maybe Clinton as well, right? His crimes may be greater, but that doesn't mean that we shouldn't have crimes or trials for the other ones, right? If they committed a crime, then they should do the time, correct? Right? Like if we are saying that we're trying to create a system of justice, that justice has to be blind. It has to be blind to political parties.
Oh,
but
she
Stephen
needs
isn't,
to.
right? This is a party
for science.
Now Stacksiums, from what little we heard of him, right? Stacksiums seems to be, no, it's not an insult. Stacksiums seems to be trying to actually put something forward that might be useful. Yeah, we should have accountability, right, for office holders. That should be the case. Clearing out half of the politicians,
well, Daniel,
right?
that one's on you, bud.
Like, at a certain point in time, you hadn't reprimanded, right? You hadn't separated yourself from the previous dictator, right? Setting such an arbitrary example, right, doesn't mean that. Sorry, I've lost my train of thought here.
Oh, jeez.
This is all bullshit, right? No. I lost my train of
thought. So I was about to say, I need to in a second anyway, so do you mind if I just
lost his train of thought? What a surprise.
Okay, so effectively, like, listen, again, in an ideal world, I would load Donald Trump up into a trebuchet and fire him in the Atlantic Ocean without a life preserver. That's not going to happen.
Like
so failing
5
that,
times.
you know, we're kind of talking about like political pragmatism. When it comes to being politically pragmatic, I think this is the antithesis of pragmatism. If you want it to be a marketing strategy in which you rally the Democrats to get excited about justice and this, that, the other, that way you get them excited for midterms so we can throw this guy out on his ass, awesome. If this is legitimately a perspective, I think it's kind of dumb as fuck. I think that it stands a snowball's chance in hell. I don't think that it's going to really do anything. And I'm actually with Wick with the fact that you're effectively using these people as a March complex. I don't agree with your analogies. I think that when it comes to people, so for instance, you're saying, oh, you want me to get cuckolded? You want me to just steal somebody's shit? Well, guess what? He can steal your shit. He's the fucking president of the United States. He has some degree of executive authority. And unless you have the ability to overcome the pardon, or if you have the ability to overcome the impeachment process, or if you have the ability to overcome the criminal process, you're fucked. So the question is, once somebody steals your bike and it's already stolen and you can't get it back, do you worry about getting justice for your bike even though it's not going to do shit? Or do you focus on working so you can get another bike? And that's what I would say. It's politically unproductive. It's kind of dumb, but it was fun. So Parasocial, love you guys. I think I'm gonna see Steven next week. So Parasocial love. Mwah. Bye to all you guys. See you in a bit.
Love you.
Love you too.
Hey, Prime, you can finish up your point.
Yeah, just to finish up, I disagree with what Counterpoints just said. You can do both, right? You can get justice for your bike. Of course, you can put the individual in jail, right, who stole the bike, and then you can try to create a world in which the bikes aren't stolen, because everyone has a bike or some shit. I don't know. You can do both at the same time. In any case, I do appreciate the conversation. It was nice meeting you, Staxiams. Thank you, Wick, for inviting me. Steve, go fuck yourself.
This fucker.
Whatever. It doesn't matter.
Fine.
Hey, where can people find you, Prime?
Thank you. Stephen, go fuck yourself. But you can find me at youtube.com or twitch.tv.
Prime's just jealous because he's super cucked by leftist politics
and we're putting on political panels. It's a lot of fun. So come on down. I'm streaming right now. I'll stay a little while longer. So if people had something they want to say to me, come over to my channel, youtube.com, and I'll deal from there.
Yeah, thank you for
I
being here.
should go fight with
Destiny,
Prime
you have anything else for us?
someday.
Republicans are dreamers, okay? I'm tired of being told that we have to be pragmatic, while the other side has messianic hallucinations of power and manages to enact them time and time and time again. Gavin Newsom is the only person in the Democratic Party that seems to be willing to fight over anything. He came in with Prop 50 at like 35%, and people said it was crazy. Donald Trump came into the primaries at like 1% and managed to capture basically the entire Republican Party. And if we allow the Republicans to act with impunity, to steal Supreme Court picks from us, to steal elections from us using the Supreme Court, to commit crimes, to scam the American public, to openly and blatantly break laws that we don't even talk about anymore, like the fucking Hatch Act, we're past even beginning to care about these things. If they're allowed to break these over and over again with impunity with no consequences, then all you're doing is setting up the next elected Republican to break the exact same laws in a more unhinged manner. Just like Trump 1 or Trump 2 has been more unhinged than Trump 1. I don't know why you wouldn't expect Trump's predecessor to be, or Trump's successor to be even more unhinged. It doesn't make any sense. So I think that it would be good to have like some.
Let him
I think
finish
it'd be good to have a strict. Watch this. Do you want to see a magic trick?
I'm so
hey,
mad.
hey,
I'm
Prime,
here for
can
it.
you give me a
Steven's
single
unlocked
official that was elected to
now.
federal
Well,
office
that's
that agrees
because
with your
Prime
position
always
for the
gets
past
mad
decade?
because he's always on the losing end of arguments.
Exactly. So
No, what position are you talking about? Sorry, what position are you talking about?
It doesn't matter.
I have lots of political positions. What position are you talking about? No, you just say some vague bullshit, right? AOC agrees my position, right?
They're not our allies. They're not our allies. They're not our allies. That's good. If I look at your Twitter, have you been roasting AOC ever for
no, you won't see anything. You won't see anything. I don't post on Twitter. Look at it right now.
Because I don't post on Twitter.
You don't post on Twitter, implying that if you were posting on Twitter, you would be roasting AOC.
I haven't do roast AOC.
That's okay.
Yeah, that's what he's saying.
Why would you even admit that?
That was the point, dude.
Exactly. That was the point.
Because
AOC was elected more than a decade ago.
He sucks, dude.
Doesn't matter.
Because I don't have to worship my political heroes.
Okay, doesn't matter. Okay. It's a closing statements, gang. For fuck's sake.
In Inception, when that guy pulls out the rocket launcher, he says, "Dare to dream a little bigger." What, Tom Hardy? That's what we need to do. We need to dream bigger and pull out a rocket launcher. Okay.
Gang, if you like this content for whatever reason.
What the fuck?
What about Staxiams?
You don't give Staxiams?
Staxiams, didn't you have the first one?
After all I've been through, you fucker?
No.
Staxiams, didn't you have the first?
No.
No, you didn't give him shit.
Unbelievable.
Damn it. Staxiams, go ahead. Staxiams, close us out. Okay.
Yeah, sorry. Just
I defend white men, okay? I defend white men. I'm an ally.
Thank you. I feel so supported right now. All right. So,
because like 99% of his political movement are white men, so.
Something I want to talk to Connor about,
so bad because they know
a similar
if he was on
historical
their side, he
example
could
that I think we
obliterate
should have
almost
been talking a little bit more about is
everyone.
Nixon being able to move on from his crimes. Ford Party Nixon and the Republicans lost all political capital and their approval ratings were dog water and lost the next election. And my conclusion is that it's not always politically advantageous to just ask the country to move on. I'm Staxiams. You can call me Hunter. I make political TikToks. I do debates every Friday, and I'm probably going to do more debates. I'm on Wick all the time, and thanks for having me, Wick.
Oh, anytime. We appreciate you having coming on. Now, I'm going to stay on a little longer. You guys can stay with me. I can bring in callers, or you guys can fuck off. I don't care. But that's what we're going to do here.
I'm probably going to fuck
Yeah,
off.
see you later, buddy.
I'll stay a little longer.
Okay, we're going to bring in a couple people.
I'm for sure fucking off then.
Jesus, what do you mean by that? Oh my god.
I'm just joking. Prime, we're good, right? We're good?
No, we're definitely good, right? No, I said fuck Steven, not fuck Stacks.
They all sound the same. All white people look the same to me. Okay, so we got North here, and we got Short Fat Otaku. And we're going to try like 2 at a time here. What do you guys got? You've been watching this. What are your thoughts? Go ahead.
Yemeni pirates. I don't think Biden had the proper authority to bomb the Yemeni pirates. I mean, yeah.
Would you charge him for that? Would you charge him with a crime?
Would you charge Biden for that? Because you claim that that one act that was passed after 9/11 in like 2001 to basically kill anyone involved with the destruction of the Twin Towers. But I don't think the Yemeni pirates were involved with that. I think it's a major stretch at all to even consider them within that authority. So is Biden striking Yemeni pirates? Is that something that we should bring him to trial for?
Sorry, you might have to remind me. Weren't they attacking American ships?
Well, yeah, they were attacking American ships.
Okay, that feels like in a completely different category. I was mostly comparing it to Trump's attacks on the Venezuelans. I don't know exactly where my line sits. Yeah, maybe I would think that that's abhorrent. I think that's fair. I think that's fair, and it's certainly a category above or a category below what Trump is doing right now.
Well, yeah, I guess you could consider it like a category below. But I'm saying a civil president operating outside
we got
of
Trump. Biden was normal. You can try to extend it all.
Just real quick, counterpoints. I thought you had to go.
We had to go scorch search on them this time. No mercy. Yeah.
I did. So the guy sent me a DM that said 8 p.m. EST, but that's when his show normally is. But Andrew Wilson and I agreed to 9 p.m. EST, so I was just incorrect on the time.
Okay.
My apologies. But SFO said that he had a question for me, so I wanted to answer his question.
Okay. Well, go ahead, SFO.
Oh, I thought North, you were still doing your thing.
Well, yeah, I'm just saying.
Look, I'm happy to apply an equivalence here, and if we want to if we want to go through the political process of charging Biden and opening an investigation to see if he worked through the presidential powers, I'm happy to do so. I think that it's going to be miles below what Trump is doing and not indictable. But if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I don't know. I leave that to a grand jury to decide.
The difference, when we're talking about charging with crimes are things that you do generally in your country, and it requires the knowledge that you are committing a crime, generally speaking, depending on what type of crime we're talking about. So if the President of the United States is acting within what he believes his perceived authority is to a particular action, then it's hard to say that somebody should be charged with a crime there. That's like a checks and balance question of should the Congress revoke some power from the President. Now, if you want to say that the interpretation of the authorization of use of military force has been stretched too broadly, I think it's been pretty well accepted that presidents have been happy to interpret the authorization for use of military force to give them broad discretion to do acts, especially in the Middle East. And it seems like Congress hasn't tried to intervene to stop that. I don't think there have been challenges that I'm aware of that have gone to the Supreme Court. Ruled against the president in terms of their interpretation of that. So it would seem that the president does have the legal authority to function in that manner. I don't believe that Trump cites the authorization for the use of military force for like his attacks in Venezuela. I don't know if it's been used outside the Middle East.
If President J.D. Vance, if President J.D. Vance believes that in the unitary executive theory, right, he believes he has the authority to do whatever it is he wants to do, right? Then would that inoculate him? That's my theory.
There's two things. One, there is going to be some reasonableness standard that we talk about. But two, I don't even think he believes that. I think he knows that he's breaking the law. And I would prove it with his past statements because he's made statements saying that he thinks that Donald Trump could be the next Hitler or that he's had completely different opinions on what the powers of the president should be. Like,
Hold on, but even then he could say he could change his mind, though, right? Like even with his past statements, he could change his mind. Saying now I believe in unitary executive theory, right?
Sure, but I mean, we could look at all of his statements collectively. We could see what he says behind closed doors. It wasn't a question about the Trump administration. They knew, all of them knew, relating to the 2020 election. They knew they were breaking the law. All of them knew it. It wasn't a mystery. It wasn't, what's going on here. And with Vance saying statements like, well, let the judges enforce their rulings or whatever. We don't agree with what these judges are saying. That's clearly like in violation of the law. You can't do that. It's a clear abuse of checks and balances. You're not allowed to do that.
I think another issue that I have is you're wanting to push this through the Supreme Court. There are certain things the Supreme Court can't really do, right? So let's say Trump is bombing Venezuelan ships in the Caribbean without the purview of Congress. Can the Supreme Court even do anything about it? I mean, they might say like, "Oh, you're being a naughty boy," but it's not like the Supreme Court has the power to order ships to, like, stop bombing Venezuelan craft.
Well, the Supreme Court could find that the president is exceeding his authority, and then now the issue you run into.
The Supreme Court doesn't have any purview to follow through with that.
Yeah,
Wait, hold on. This is called a constitutional crisis for that reason, right? Technically, it's up to the executive to enforce it, but in the past, most presidents have generally followed what's come from Congress and come from the Supreme Court. It's only the Trump administration that seems to clearly just not give a fuck. That's acceptable.
But that isn't even necessarily descriptively true because we've had them push it to the limit. For instance, Gilmar Abrego Garcia, we had them push them to the limit of obstruction. Then before
this is bullshit. I'm not even going to entertain this. Like, if my wife tells me I let another girl and I put a condom on and I say, well, I didn't technically touch her, and Connor's like, well, actually, I really didn't actually technically touch her. So that's the argument you're giving. It's bullshit. It's a bullshit argument.
I didn't come here just to listen. Okay, I didn't come here just to listen to you. This isn't just the Destiny show. This is the panel.
Oh, it's not just the Destiny show. You're saying the bullshit.
This is the Wick show.
Okay, this is the Connor show.
We're on the Connor show now. Let's go.
So on the Connor show, okay. So they pushed it to the limit as far as obstruction goes, but the lower court didn't find them in contempt of court and didn't charge Trump admin officials and incarcerate them. Which technically, they probably ran right up to the limit. And now Gilmar Abrego Garcia was brought back. So you can say, oh, the Supreme Court can do this, can do that. No, they need a court case to be appealed up to their level first in order for them to do it.
Bullshit.
You bullshit.
They knew they were breaking the law. They knew they were breaking the law with Abrego Garcia. A court finally ruled on it. Like, oh, okay, we'll come back. The precedent you're saying there is you can break the law infinite times as long as you eventually listen to the court afterwards.
No, the court has to sue first, and the people should probably.
That's not how the law works, motherfucker. You're not only held accountable by the law. You break it, and then the court corrects you on it. The court is not there to keep you from breaking the law. The court is there to punish you for breaking the law.
Wait, hold on.
The court is there to adjudicate the law, but anyway.
This is a Wick show, actually.
Shut up, Wesley. Are you even arguing against it, or you just
You're arguing that the court needs to tell you if you can do a thing or not. That's not what the court is for. The court is there to punish you when you break the law. That's what the court is for. You're saying that the Trump can make you do whatever the fuck they want as long as they listen to the court afterwards?
Wonder if I'll make it across here.
Well, hold on. Number one, I think we actually both agree descriptively you have to violate the law or be accused of violating the law before somebody can hit you with a civil or a criminal infraction. I think we both agree on that. So, yeah, Trump has to violate the law, and then somebody has to sue him for violating the law, and then that needs to go to a lower court, and then the lower court needs to send it up to the higher court. I don't even know what we disagree on. I think you're just
the thing is, because you're saying that the process is working. I'm saying that them saying you can't do it and then Trump stopping it, that's not the solution. It should be you couldn't do that, and now you're convicted of a crime. That should be what's happening, but it's not.
Well, okay, so I'm sorry. Why didn't I couldn't do that? I'm with you here. So
hold on, no, wait, no, hold on. So when Biden tried, stop. When Biden tried to make a law or executive order to forgive student loan debts, and then the Supreme Court said no, you're breaking the law. That's not something we should do. And then he stopped it. Should Biden be charged with a crime even though he stopped it?
I'm going to interrupt real quick. Sorry, I'm going to peace out. All right, love you.
See you later.
No, because you can look at the actions of the president to see if they genuinely believe they have the authority to do so. President Biden could make a good faith argument stemming from an earlier law passed by Congress that gave the Department of Education relatively wide discretion on forgiving debt in times of emergency or whatever. Now, the Supreme Court ultimately decided, no, it doesn't apply here. It's too big of a thing. And then he was able to do it. But there was an articulatable reason why he thought he had the authority to do that. Donald Trump doesn't even give the pretense of that. Like, there are times when the president might act outside their authority. You say, okay, well, the court needs to check this, and the court checks. It's like, oh, okay, then it's not okay, right? And I'm not saying like, oh my god, the president needs to be charged with a crime. It's when they have the state of mind of like, I know I'm breaking the law. I don't give a fuck. Let the court come and fuck me. I don't give a fuck. That's the difference. Trump is doing that.
I think that when they've gone to court, though, as an example, with like Kilmar Abrego Garcia, they've said, oh, well, we thought he was acting within his, I don't even know if plenary is an appropriate word, but he was acting within his XYZ ABC authority in order to carry out the duties of the president.
They said,
yikes, no, you said they didn't even have the pretense of an argument.
That's why when they went to the court, they didn't. That's why the Solicitor General said, oh,
okay,
when the Solicitor General went to the Supreme Court, the Supreme Court said, hey, they're suing you to enjoin the government from being able to deport people for no reason. And what is your argument? And their argument is, well, we don't think you should be able to have universal injunctions against us. That was their argument. It was a procedural argument. They didn't defend the substance of it at all. And even when they won the procedural argument, they still brought it back because they knew it was fucking bullshit. Nice. They should have deported him in the first place. So no, they don't even try to argue the substance of half the shit that they take to the Supreme Court.
Let them fight it out.
Could you help me out? Stephen, could you help me out? Because I was a little confused before. So your complaint against our friend Counterpoints was that like the judiciary is reactive, right? And then you, in response, said like instead we need to limit a president, right, in the first place. So they don't actually commit the crime in the first place. So if that's the case, one, tell me, how do we actually stop a president from doing an action, right? We can make a law, but they can still just break that law. And in the end, like, isn't it up to the Supreme Court to be or the judiciary to be the corrector of bad actions, right? So like once that action is taking place, then the only power that we have is really the courts to say, hey, that was wrong.
If I want to play Monopoly with you and I bring a knife to stab you if you start beating me, what rule can you put in Monopoly to keep me from stabbing you to death over a Monopoly game?
No stabbing.
Nothing, right? So legislators can't actually
no stabbing.
Correct. The executive has to want to be restrained. That's why George Washington leaving after 2 terms was such a big deal. That's why we put term limits after fucking Roosevelt, where the fuck, when he had fucking 20 terms in office. The reason why the executive is so important is because the executive is supposed to be the one to enforce the laws. So if the executive decides not to, that's why it's called a constitutional crisis. There's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah.
Courts are not here to stop bad things from happening. Courts are here to make people whole or to enforce justice after bad things happen. You have to hope that the executive is playing in good faith.
So okay. So then you're saying that we need to reestablish norms, and the way we reestablish those norms is through these trials, right? These like public trials where there's like a significant punishment for perpetrators. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just want to establish.
I want to get. I know Short Fat Otaku had some question you wanted to ask. So go ahead, Dev.
Well, this debate's maybe pro-genocide, that's for sure. So you said earlier, if we can't get the Republicans now, it's not going to happen. Why do you think that again?
Because
as in not waiting until 2028.
Because right now you have the egregious violations that we're talking about. We're talking about like the civilian drone bombings. We're talking about the resistance to court orders. We're talking about all that kind of stuff. If we don't have the will within Congress in order to do something before 2028, I don't think that you're going to get anything in 2028.
Why though?
Because there's not enough Republicans who are willing to go with the Democrats in order to hold Republicans accountable.
Well, no, but if you have a blue sweep, then you'll have enough people in Congress then, right?
Well, I mean, I would be happy to take a look at it in 26, but also then we open up the can of worms of holding previous presidents accountable for criminal behavior, and then we also have to read this within the realm of like, you're gonna have to impeach, then you're gonna have to criminally charge, and you're gonna have to balance that against the new Supreme Court ruling while still having a conservative Supreme Court.
I mean, yeah.
Why you impeach and then first you just fucking charge him? Fuck him.
Okay, but you understand that you're going to be spending a lot of political capital on this venture that I do not think is ultimately going to be successful.
I think we have a high investment in the United States to have it so that our chief executive doesn't believe that he can commit crimes. I think that's a principle worth fighting for. Even kings are more limited in their power.
Yeah, and counterpoints. Like, what difference does it make, like, to you, really, that like an administration burns its political capital on this project?
Because I actually think the reason why. So for me, I think that things. I don't think it's just nostalgia. I think things have gotten materially worse for Americans over the past 2 or 3 decades. And so as a result, I see us like socioeconomically sliding into a position where radicalism is becoming increasingly normal. And I think that if Americans' lives were better, they wouldn't be as attracted to radicalism. And so for me, I would actually rather focus on the things that I think are driving radicalism rather than getting into, we must punish Trump. Once again, I think Trump is a symptom, not the disease.
I mean, I totally agree with you. But one, I think political capital, we look at it the wrong way, right? Like, political capital, you actually gain it from doing things, right? Like, getting wins, right, gives you more political capital. And so if you could put these people on trial, right, not all of them, like Stephen says, it's a dumbass idea, don't listen to him. But if you put, like, Pete Hegseth on trial. So if you put Pete Hegseth on trial and you succeeded, right, you brought him to justice, I think that gives you political capital. Look what I've accomplished, right? Rather than, like, burning it from trying to put it on trial, right? Success breeds more success.
I'll give you a hypothetical. Let's say that we find out that Pam Bondi knowingly hid incriminating evidence against Trump from the Epstein files under the color of law for DOJ investigations, and she was not pardoned. And that was revealed, and we had the midterm ability in order to, I don't even know if you'd impeach her, but you have the ability to hold criminally sanction. 100%. I'm all for it. But what I'm saying is, what I think is going to happen is that the Trump admin is going to use the Hunter Biden pardon, which I know is bullshit.
How far are you
but
guys
they're going to use
home?
that as a pretext to blanket pardon their own admin as they're on their way out the door.
Well, they're going to do that anyway, right? Like, but they can just do that one or the other. Like a blanket pardon, like Bush did a blanket pardon as well.
Themselves, their families, all that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, but they'll do that anyway.
This brings into a concern that I have: the constitutionality of this. How much of the Constitution are you willing to violate? Like, let's say Trump just pardons everyone, right? Or the Supreme Court says, like, no, you're not allowed to go through with this theoretical Nuremberg situation. How much of the Constitution are you willing to violate just to prosecute Trump and his
every single prosecutor that worked on the case,
like, associated?
If you want
every single prosecutor that works on this case and the judges that adjudicate these cases, I think should be legally required to wear giant shirts that have that Trump tweet printed on them that says, "He who saves his nation violates no law." There you go, boom.
That's
now we're just
not an answer right there. That's just a meme answer.
So counterpoints. The disagreement that we have is that I think even if you did get Trump in 2026, you kicked him out of office, Vance will pardon him immediately. I think the only way to actually get justice for any of this, and I think Americans should get justice for this, is to wait until 2028. I think there's no path to prosecuting Trump that doesn't begin in 2028.
But then what we're talking about, because I did bring this up, I'll bring it up again. So we're in the, let's say Gavin Newsom, okay? We're in the first 2 years of a Newsom presidency or 4 years of a Newsom presidency. So what you're saying is, instead of focusing on a domestic agenda that should actually be helping Americans, survive and thrive in an increasingly difficult economy, what they should do is they should instead spend 2 to 3 years going after a popular with his own base political opponent who already has pardon, and what is your circumventing capacity? What is your capacity to go after Trump? What is your capacity to go after Hexus? What is your capacity to go after Bundy? Because I think
for Trump, I think it's actually pretty easy. I think it's actually really easy for Trump. On January 21st, you put Trump in handcuffs, and then you bring back the Epstein, not Epstein, Jesus, the Eastman scheme, that related set of lawsuits, because that was dropped, but it can still be brought back up.
Okay,
but was Jack Smith?
Was it ever determined if lawsuits were under the the presidential immunity with official actions? Was that ever determined?
We can get by that by appointing 12 more Supreme Court justices and overturning that decision. Easy.
Okay, then this brings back to violating the Constitution.
It's not a violation.
Okay, so if you appointed like 12 Supreme Court justices that just said, like, okay, we're going to do whatever the Democratic Party says, are they really?
But it's not a violation
of
the
Constitution. It's not a violation of the immunity ruling, right? Because in the immunity ruling, even some of the conservative justices in the immunity ruling said that some of the things that Trump did with regard to the Eastman scheme and all the false electors, that wouldn't be covered by immunity. So you can bring that case back and you can immediately throw him in prison. And I hope Americans do in 2028. But I don't think you can get there if you allow Vance to become president by indicting Trump first.
Well, okay, but hold on. So somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but with the pardon power, it's been argued that the pardon power is so vague and so unspecific within the the constitutional construction or whatever, that it is believed that the president actually does have the ability to pardon himself.
Hasn't been tested before. I don't think anyone really
There's a
knows
loophole to that as well. Trump could just step down like the day before he leaves office, appoint JD Vance, and JD Vance would pardon him. I mean,
right. So
you know what? I agree. Actually, we're gonna be creative with loopholes. When Abrego Garcia was out of the country, the Trump admin ruled that once he's out of the country, this is out of the jurisdiction of any court to rule. So we should just throw Trump onto a fucking plane and we should fly him out of the country. Now we can do whatever the fuck we want, and he's beyond any court apparently, according to what
technically it's not us. It's whoever the fuck we're sending him to. But yeah, you're
right. Yeah. My private idea comes back, but okay. But
send him to Venezuela.
No, do you guys understand how kind of fucked up this is to talk about, like how we're going to? Wait. What's fucked up? What's fucked up? Like, do we think that it was good that they sent Abrego Garcia, even if he was guilty of every single thing that he's been accused of, to foreign soil so we could do whatever the fuck that they wanted to him? No, it was obviously not good. So it's obviously not good, even if Trump is, and he is, guilty of every single thing, right? That is still something we should not do because it is wrong to do so. It is immoral.
Why was it wrong to do so? What's the difference between killing and murder?
You shouldn't kill Trump either.
I'm not saying we should kill him, but I'm just saying that you're saying that when you do the same action in like physical time and space, then it's of the same moral equivalence.
I think in this case it would be to try to get around laws and civil protections that even Trump is protected by sending him to foreign soil, even if he did it himself, if he violated these laws himself, which he did. I think that is wrong to do.
We're just going to ignore it entirely and try to just prosecute him in like Holland or something.
Who's saying fuck the Constitution? We're going by prior rulings. This is all legal according to the Trump admin, right?
Okay, but
you would disagree with them.
But he's actually Stephen's point isn't not to say fuck the Constitution though, right? Like he's actually trying to work within the judiciary, right? You're saying you're trying to block all these avenues.
No, that's not what he's saying. He's saying he wants to subvert it by going outside of the country, just like with the Trump administration.
No, he didn't. No. That came afterwards though. Like, and your objection to him before, you were saying the same thing previously before you even mentioned that, right? But like having these trials wouldn't be a subversion of the Constitution. Even packing the courts wouldn't be a subversion of the Constitution. You can stretch the rules the way the Trump administration has stretched the rules, right? And still be perfectly within the bounds of the Constitution.
Well, I would still like to know how Dev is going to overcome the pardon power. Because Dev actually seems to be trying to like laser in on, if this was possible, it would be good. You think that the midterms could give Democrats or never Trump Republicans or enough people enough political capital in order to do this, and it would be good for the country if we do so. However, how do you circumvent the pardon?
Well,
they're trying to do it right now with AutoPen, so you just do the same thing. Measure the signature. Somebody argues using AutoPen, so there you go.
So when it comes to Trump, I do think you just have to let him be in office and then get him on the way out. Because if Vance gets into the seat, he will pardon Trump. In terms of other people, I honestly don't know.
But we already brought up the self-pardon. He can either self-pardon or he can step down if he really thinks. Like let's say that Destiny is appointed like head of the DNC, and he's like, this is the Democratic priority. We will be prosecuting Trump on January 8th, 2028, right? So or 2029. So if Stephen says that, then why wouldn't Trump step down the day before? Like he could probably self-pardon, but if he can't self-pardon, why wouldn't you just have JD step down for a day, have JD Vance sign the pardon, call it a day?
I mean, either way, like you are entering into constitutional crisis territory where
I don't think so, because I don't think that's not a crisis of the pardon.
That doesn't violate any constitutional.
No, it doesn't violate the Constitution, but it certainly violates the spirit of the Constitution because you're allowing this guy to basically.
We're not throwing away a republic for violations of the spirit of the Constitution.
Yeah.
No, nonetheless, though, this is the moment where now you have to start talking about political violence. I think this is
Right. What is
yes,
the point
this
of
is the political violence threshold.
In order to achieve
What a great question. What is the point of the Constitution if all you try to do is constantly subvert it to accomplish your political ends? That's a really good question.
Well, I don't know. I'm asking you that because that's what it feels like you're advocating for, Stephen.
You say that I'm advocating for that, and what I'm trying to
do
get understand is we're already there. That's already what's happening every single fucking day. Every single day, that's what's happening right now.
You're
That basically
accelerating
just say fuck the Constitution.
It's already happening. What do you mean?
Just admit that you're just saying fuck the Constitution. We're just
No,
we're just trying to
I like the
achieve ends.
Constitution, but the Constitution is already
You don't give a shit
shredded. Do you acknowledge right now that we live in unconstitutional times?
Well, yeah.
Yes.
Okay, then the Constitution doesn't apply. What do you mean? There's no, you know what? Sort of. What do you mean by
There's
sort of?
there's testings of the Constitution. The Constitution is still in place. We haven't. I don't think we've gone through like a full-blown constitutional crisis yet.
Sorry.
Really? How many articles need to be broken? How many amendments need to be broken? How many parts of the Constitution have to be broken before we're in unconstitutional? Is it every single word? Is it every single sentence? Is it all the section? Like, how many parts of the Constitution have to be broken before we say that we're unconstitutional times?
Like there aren't active cases. Like, so for instance, with the citizens who are being detained, hold on, with the citizens who are being detained by the Trump administration due to just being Hispanic, those cases are making it through the courts. And I actually would be surprised if they don't find a sympathetic judge eventually and have to award Hispanic citizens who have been detained merely for the element of being Hispanic millions of dollars.
Okay.
So acting like that kind of
How about this?
playing out is bullshit.
Here, how about this, okay? Let's say these cases go through, they get to the Supreme Court comes down against Trump, and then Trump and his administration say, fuck you, we're going to do what we want. Is it time for violence then?
Yeah, then it's time for violence, yeah.
Okay, I think that you are closer to that point than you want to admit.
I think that Donald Trump, I think that there are plenty of people, particularly within law enforcement. I understand like ICE got blown up with like a huge budget and they're all Trump sycophants and loyalists and all that kind of stuff. I still think there's plenty of people who have joined the National Guard, who have joined federal law enforcement, who have joined the federal military, who take their oaths to the Constitution very seriously. So I don't think that Trump snaps his fingers and then all of a sudden we have, 2 or 3 million security personnel who all are automatons for the Trump agenda. I think that's bullshit.
Wow. Okay, we got some new people. I want to give them a chance.
That's the case.
Yeah, we got.
I was gonna yell at you, Wick, for a minute, but okay, go.
Okay, you can yell at me later, buddy. Okay, we're gonna get some of the new people in. I know Kalinda and Purple Base Politics. I don't know how to say your name.
You almost got it, Wick. You could just say Riddell.
Riddell.
It's fine.
Riddell. Okay, let's give it to you guys. What do you guys got for us?
You can go first, Riddell.
All right. I mean, this is in regards to the super chat that I sent, and I kind of have smoke for you too, Wick. So my thing is, you brought up the consequence of the Republicans in terms of everything that they're doing, and we can imagine scenarios of it getting worse, of course, is them losing the election.
Losing political power, losing influence, losing their ability to affect their will. Yes.
I like how he said losing the election, and you said losing the election like 3 different ways. That was based, by the way.
Yeah. But my thing is, Wick, though, in the situation we're talking about, where the only thing that is kind of keeping them at bay is losing the election, but then there's going to be an incentive later on, considering they won 2 elections with Trump being a historically terrible president. And of course, I'm sure you guys heard the murmurs whether or not this is legally possible of Steve Bannon talking about, we'll try to figure out if Trump can get a 3rd term. There is going to be that
if he gets a 3rd term, my
going to try
population
another
changes
strategy later on
But again,
acquire power.
My mind changes as soon as certain lines are crossed, and if he is if he runs for a 3rd term, a line has been crossed, and my calculations change.
Have you ever driven? You ever do interstate driving? You know how like when the road is like really far in front of you and it's like sunny outside, you know like that weird like thing, the blurry thing above the road?
Wait,
you know what I'm talking
heat.
about?
The heat distortion.
That's the line, and every time you drive, it's weird because it never seems to get any closer.
What do you mean? It never seems to get any closer.
Could you imagine 5 years ago? Could you imagine 5 years ago? Could you imagine 5 years ago? Somebody's like, "What do you think about a president running for 3rd term?" You're like, "That's crazy. That's a deal breaker immediately." And you're like, "Well, if he said he was going to run for a 3rd term, if he flirted with it, if he made his political opponents come to the Oval Office while he had hats saying Trump should be elected for a 3rd term, and when his surrogates are arguing about running for a 3rd term, that's all okay. But if he would actually run, I think that would be the line for me. Do you think he would have ever made that statement 5 years ago?
5 years ago?
Because it's not. No. This is bullshit. Okay, and the reason why it's bullshit is because Bannon is a uniquely large piece of shit, and Mike Johnson, who is in charge of the House of Representatives, has said that he's not going to back him.
Large
this shit
piece
is
of
dead on the
shit.
water.
Johnson.
No,
What?
just because you're yelling, don't mean I get it, Stephen.
I want to see that. No, I'm curious. Do you mean Johnson committed to an opposing Trump position? He said, "I will not support Trump for a 3rd term." He actually said that. That'd be curious. Number 1. Number 2. Bannon is not a random. You understand that Bannon was chiefly involved with the Trump campaign in 2016 and was literally the author of the Creator Breitbart and was whispering in Trump's ear through up through 2020 as well, right? So it's not like Bannon's a random dude.
And Steve Bannon is a fucking schizo who has lost a lot of his political capital. As a matter of fact, you can go ahead and find a clip fairly recently where he said, we really need somebody like Trump in office in 2028 or else people like me are going to prison or going to jail. Steve Bannon has lost his cachet compared to...
the worst...
I found it. The worst... Just real quick, because I did find the actual quotation. He said there's no path to a 3rd Trump term.
When did Mike Johnson
didn't see the path for a move. Like that? And it is barred under the Constitution. And he just said, well, there's the 22nd Amendment. It's been a great run, but I think the president knows, and he and I have talked about the constrictions of the Constitution. That's what he said.
He did not say he would not support him because he would support him. He'd do it lovingly.
So,
and Bannon did allude to the fact that they were
just hold on. Just let Randall finish his point, right? Did I answer your question, by the way, Randall? Randall?
I mean,
Radell,
you said you're the threat. Riddell, yeah, it's fine. You're good. It's not a big deal. So, I mean, you kind of did in terms of you said there is a line, and the line is him running a 3rd term.
Well, there are other lines too, but that's the one that comes to mind, right?
But that's where I have to question how is the accumulation of so much of the things that MAGA has alluded to that they plan to do, as well as things that they've already done, not already flirting with the idea that there should be some type of consequence.
Look,
that's
we
why
are both wanting consequences. We both just want different scale of consequences, right? Do you agree with Destiny that we should bar 25% of elected Republican officials from office if we win?
More. It might really be like
50%, 75%, whatever fucking crazy number he's dreaming out. Do you agree with that?
No, I don't agree to that because you need something substantive to make such an
Exactly.
assertion.
Okay.
Right,
So
but-
you can convince me just real quick. You could convince me for some sort of other consequence. I'm open to that. I came into this conversation again in the context of the President of the United States, and let's be clear, calling for sitting Congress members to be hanged by the neck until they were dead. And I was like, oh shit, maybe I'm actually going to agree with Destiny today. And then didn't take long, and I was like, oh no, Destiny's fucking crazy again. And now I have to.
I bet Destiny's going to be on board with the idea that, like, man, these guys need some consequences. What are the consequences? They're going to lose their elections. Wow,
that's
crazy.
the penultimate.
Crazy consequences.
My thing's related to this. My thing's related to this.
None of you, hold on, all of you twats are super loud, yapping, including Destiny. None of you have explained how you're actually going to impose consequences. None of you have actually.
Give me an explanation. Use the 14th Amendment.
Closest person.
Use the 14th Amendment. The 14th Amendment says
he doesn't have a way to circumvent the pardon.
The 14th Amendment doesn't require a criminal conviction. Boom, pardon circumvented. The 14th Amendment says that if you have been engaged in insurrection against the United States, you are a prior oath taker, you are no longer allowed to hold office. That's it. Easy.
How is it determined?
Well, Donald Trump isn't allowed to hold office anyway.
How is it determined? It's so whoever
are not engaged.
Okay, hold on.
If it's adjudicated, you allow the states to adjudicate it. Allow the states to adjudicate it.
I'll amend my previous statement. There are specific politicians who were involved in January 6, 2021. I think that Josh Hawley.
The states figured out.
No, I think Josh Hawley might have actually been texting Stop the Steal representatives and Proud Boy members during the riots. So anybody who was engaged in January 6, 2021, I'll take that all day. Yeah, sure. Charge them with insurrection, bar them from office. I'm good with that. I don't think that you're going to get the entire MAGA base. That's an insane.
Yeah, but that was someone was asking a good question. How do you determine someone's done an insurrection? You have to get a
It's up to the states to determine that. However they want to do it.
So
most of the states don't want
governor,
in every court where the question was asked, Trump was adjudicated as having engaged in insurrection. It happened in Colorado. It happened when there was a politician that was barred from running for office, I believe, in New Mexico. And it happened in the Senate when they voted by a majority to convict Trump of insurrection. They didn't get enough to get the actual conviction, which I think is 60. And in the House, they voted overwhelmingly that he had engaged in insurrection. So in every forum where it's been adjudicated, they've said he has engaged in insurrection. So I don't know, leave it up to the states to figure it out. It's not a specific mechanism laid out.
Okay, Stephen, I want you to
Colorado was overturned because the Supreme Court said we think that the 14th Amendment is bullshit. Correct. So we need to bring the 14th Amendment back.
The state of Texas basically declared that Kamala Harris engaged in insurrection, whatever bullshit charge they want to make up. You would then support the state of Texas not allowing Kamala to run on a Texas ticket.
They have the right to do that.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just a race to
They
the
would have to
bottom.
prove it. At the end of the day, there has to be some level of proving that situation. But in
Like,
terms
I'm
of
sorry, real quick, I just want to cut you off. You guys think you're so clever. You're like, would you care if Republicans did this thing? And I'm like, yeah. Do you think they're just waiting for Democrats to do it first? Like, who are Democrats shipping off extrajudicially to other countries in order because they were too lazy to enforce immigration law properly? Like, how many crypto scams were Democrats running prior to Donald Trump running a crypto scam? How many different, like, you're acting like the Republicans are just waiting. Look at Donald Trump begging them to get rid of the filibuster. And the only reason they didn't do it is because they probably thought it wasn't politically tenable. You're acting like the Republicans are waiting for the Democrats to do it first. This is the game they play, and you've fallen for their tricks.
Yeah, so I mean, the thing I want to agree, that I don't want to agree with Steve on anything. But this idea of like this endlessly moving mirage that he was the metaphor that we were setting up there, right? This like moving mirage of like unconstitutionality when we've entered the point where like the Constitution has been burned, right? Like how much of the Constitution has to be violated? How many times it has to be violated until we've discovered, oh, we're in an authoritarian state or a fascist state? Like there is no point. Like we're waiting for for it to be like in the movies, right? For it to be black and white, and then you see like troops lined up on every corner, right? Well, asking people for papers. I guess we're already doing that, right? Like we are harassing citizens, right? And some non-citizens everywhere they go, just because of what they look like, and asking for the papers. We're already doing that part, so that's happening, right?
We've already got bullshit indictments. We've got the DOJ charging people with crimes. Call me Letitia James. We already have that happening.
But you understand how every single hold on, just real quick. Every single thing that you are listing here, the Republicans, and I agree, this justification is bullshit, are pointing to past actions of other people on the Democratic side.
You said it. You got it. It was bullshit. It's all bullshit anyway. Yes,
no, but you understand, if we don't do these things, they have less justification, and it's less likely they will succeed.
But they'll do it anyway.
Okay.
No, that's bullshit. That's the flaw in your argument. Is that the success rate would be the exact same if we gave them ammo versus if we gave them no ammo.
It doesn't.
It absolutely matters.
There's been a clear level of escalation, right? Like from the first Trump term, from the Bush administration, there's been a clear level of escalation, and there's been no correction mechanism. I agree. I would also apply that to Democrats, right? I would also say they've been pushing like the War Powers Act as far as they can get away with it too, right? I would say that they like build on to what Republicans are doing, but still, in any case, right? There's been no level of correction, and so that's the case. We have to at some point introduce a correction. They're going to do it any which way. The next Republican president is going to do something worse. It's guaranteed.
No, it's not guaranteed. It is not guaranteed.
Wait.
I got a question for you, just real quick.
Yeah.
Okay.
Jesus.
I got a question for you, Wick. Just So you said their punishment is that they lost the election. That's the punishment for the Republicans. Right?
That's the main one, the major one. And now again,
Okay,
hold on, just real quick. I can be convinced for more. Like I do think we should prosecute Trump specifically. I do think that. But when you're talking about prosecuting Marco Rubio, for what?
Okay, so here's my question. Okay, if someone was raping you, is it an appropriate punishment that they have to pull their dick out of you?
No.
Yeah, you something more than that, right?
Yes.
Something more than just them pulling their dick out of you, right?
Yes.
Yes.
But you know what?
Yeah.
Rape
Losing
is
the
not
election
the
is not a
same
punishment.
as holding office.
It's not a
Usually.
punishment. How are you? I've asked this before. I'll ask this again. It's actually genuinely pissing me off. How, when the presidency has the pardon power, how are you going to effectuate your alleged punishment?
Okay, I'll answer that directly. Okay.
You will not
I will
tell me
answer.
how.
I will answer directly. If your political leaders are so morally degenerate that they're going to pardon themselves, you are outside of the bounds of the Constitution now. Now you are in violence time.
And what state crimes are you going to be convicted?
Hold on, just real quick. No, I want to be very clear. So, Dev, if you think that if JD Vance pardons Trump or if Trump pardons himself, that it would be justified to do violence against the U.S. government.
Away from power, we should start killing.
Hold on. Make Dev answer that question. Dev, if JD Vance pardons Trump or Trump pardons himself, do you think that we are now in a time where there would be justified violence against Trump and his administration?
Yes.
Damn. Okay.
That's crazy.
I disagree.
See, my issue with this is that I feel like there's also not a recognition. If we're going to use the cachet that what you're referring to in terms of the people being super dissatisfied with Trump, we can also use that in other ways as well as the growing sentiment from the people on the Democratic side. And now the Republicans can't go back in the past and use this as ammunition. When it comes down to the pardon circumstance, now there is actual justifiable reason why we probably should deal with it, especially if we're doing self-pardoning. The people are starting recognizing, oh yeah, sure, we have issues with the preemptive pardons from Biden. We have big issues with Donald Trump pardoning himself, pardoning the Jan 6ers, and pardoning all these corrupt politicians and these weird billionaires, the guy with the Binance. So now this is becoming more of a thing that is becoming recognized, and now there's heat on both directions. So in a circumstance like this, not only with the pardon system, but even something that I don't really care what you feel about it, but with the filibuster, another example where there's a lot of people on the left that was like, we want to get rid of the filibuster. Trump obviously wants to get rid of the filibuster because he wants to do whatever he wants as an executive authoritarian. But this is just another thing that's like, oh, we saw how it was used. It was used in a way that was super corrupt by the Trump administration. So now certain things that have been deliberated regarding the political landscape can now truly be challenged, not only from the sides that have dissatisfaction with it, but with the people now seeing how they can be used in a corrupt fascist way. So it's not just them losing elections, but now you can raise these issues in a way to not only use it against the authoritarian regime that is MAGA, but they can't even go back on it because they use these type of arguments to attack the Dems at the same time. So you have now a full picture of framing it very clearly on why we should attack these specific things.
Okay, the solution to I'm sorry if I'm not addressing what you just said, but the solution to pardon abuse would be legislation amending the Constitution to limit the power of a pardon. It wouldn't be for militias to enter into the streets, sparking off a civil war that kills tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, or millions of people. The fact that like that would be the constitutional crisis that I'm talking to Dev mostly. The fact that you think that would be the constitutional crisis
he can't hear a word you're saying
is fucking crazy.
Do you understand? He's definitely right. You didn't hear a word you just said.
I kind of don't give a fuck. I just wanted to stand up.
I do want to give Kalinda a chance because Kalinda hasn't said a word. And Kalinda, do you have anything for us?
Yeah, I do. Also, before I get into yelling at Prime, because that's what I came in here to do, but the Trump the Georgia prosecution case, it's coming back. It's coming back, guys. It's here. It's they're bringing that back. Do you think that could mean or count for anything? Like the racketeering case in Georgia?
As a fellow coomer to the DA there, I cannot believe they let that case get sunk on that retarded fucking shit. So fuck Georgia. Okay, that's all I gotta say. We'll see what it comes back as, but I feel like at this point that it's so far removed from everything. I cannot believe they let something so stupid still that case.
They appointed a new prosecutor, but yes, I agree with you. It was very stupid.
Okay, what did you have for Prime?
So anyway, Prime. I'm very sorry that I'm about to derail this whole shit back into the thing that nobody wanted to talk about.
Hold on, no. If you're gonna bring up Israel Palestine, I'm gonna veto this.
What?
Just say you're not into it.
Yes. Okay. I'm not gonna bring up Israel Palestine.
Okay. Do you have anything else other than Israel Palestine?
No, that's not what I was going to bring up. Prime, do you understand the difference between the ships and Biden's alleged crimes? Between like Trump bombing drug boats and Biden's alleged crimes? Can you think for just a second?
No, I don't understand them. No, I don't understand them. Like, these aren't the same things? Please help me out. Like, draw the distinction. Please go ahead.
What crimes would you consider Biden to be like violating with the
nothing? Don't answer that.
Under Biden.
No, yeah, don't. I already know what the answer is that he's going to give, but I think it's bullshit. The thing is, here's the difference. The difference is that Trump is bombing civilian ships against a country that he is not at war with, violating the principle of distinction instead of arresting people for drug trafficking, which he could do, rather than like bombing people that they are not at war with. And Biden is sending weapons to a country that is fighting a war that is a very different kind of war than the one that would likely be fought in Venezuela, which would be a normal, regular war against another army. And he's sending those weapons to Israel so that Israel can fight against Hamas, which is a organization that hides behind civilians. But you probably don't know this because they
hide behind civilians. Okay, sure.
Yeah, because you have to pretend that Hamas doesn't exist.
There was a Hamas. No, I'm not saying Hamas doesn't exist. I brought Hamas up during the debate. Okay, but you're not paying attention to that, right? You heard Palestine. You heard Palestine. You heard Palestine. You went into a red rage, right? But I brought up Hamas, absolutely, right? And so I guess Hamas was under every baby's cribs that they dropped that bomb on, right? Like
every baby in Palestine. Holy shit! All the babies,
right?
Every child.
Early 50s,
damn it. And they were dropping bunker busters on those kids, right, to kill those Hamas agents. No, don't bullshit me. No, we get what Israel's doing. It's fine if you need to. It's fine if you. It's fine if you.
Why are there no bomb shelters in Gaza?
Okay. Enough.
Wait, why are there no bomb shelters in Gaza?
Why are civilians allowed in the Hamas tunnels?
So I know what you're talking about.
I can feel Wake's blood pressure like rising slowly.
Wait, I was curious. Are there really no bomb shelters in Gaza? Is that true? Would be kind of crazy. Prime, is that true?
What's the consequence of them bringing up Israel Palestine?
This is the
consequence. I'm curious. What's the answer to that? Wait, Prime, is she speaking truth there?
It's the Prime. private jets and then desert helicopters.
I'm confused as to like what the point of this question. I'm very confused. There's no
It's a goddamn question.
No, Han, what's the question? The question is
Why
there
are there no bomb shelters in
Is that
Gaza?
42?
In Gaza?
No bomb shelters.
That doesn't seem
for
right.
civilians.
If that's the case, that might be because of the embargo that's been there since, was it 2012? Yeah.
Wait,
they
how
can't
do they
actually
how do they
build. They can't
actually
Fucking tunnels.
Wait, yeah, I'm just curious because
Hamas tunnels that can fit a massive population of people. Like was it 2 million individuals? Yeah, those tunnels. Everyone's gonna fit in those tunnels. That's gonna happen. How many people?
How many miles of tunnel do they have again? Is it just half a mile? Is it 1 mile?
It's like four.
Who knows?
It's
Okay,
just a
yeah,
long-
okay. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to build a wall. I'm going to build a very strong wall. Kalinda, thanks for coming in. I do appreciate you. Thanks, Raydale. Thanks, North. We're going to cycle out.
I'll argue with you about this later, Brian, because you trigger me so fucking.
We can have a whole debate. You guys can have a whole debate later, and I'll set it up.
My channel. I'll see you about this. Bye bye. Okay.
Okay.
Whatever. I did have more questions if you're okay with them. If you're all right with that.
Hello.
No, we're not okay with questions here. Fuck the questions. So go ahead.
Okay.
What's your question? Ask.
Yeah, I guess my question's for Connor. I mean, I have two, but I'll start with the bigger one. What do we do to ensure that like Republicans don't, or like anyone doesn't do what Trump has been doing, if not some level of atonement, right? Like, if we don't have some level of atonement, what's to just stop this from happening again?
Yeah, so I think that this is the way that I would like to spend political capital. Number one, so somebody's arguing with me in chat, so I'll try to answer it real quick. Congress can't, let's say in 2026, we actually get a Democrat majority Congress. You can impeach Trump. You could also even indict him. I know that people have said that through the unitary executive ruling, he can't be indicted. No, he can. The Constitution clearly says so. So that's number one. Number two, what do? You would have to pass legislation in order to reform the pardon. So
wait, just a quick thing. We would impeach Trump after he's done with his second term in office? That's the
no, you would impeach him in 26 when you hit the midterms. He's still in office. He's just a lame
We're not
duck.
going to have a majority. We won't have a majority in the Senate to do it.
Well, then I guess you're fucked.
Also, doesn't this seem a bit Trump exclusive? Again, like, what's to stop someone from just coming in the next presidency and doing a bunch of fucked up shit and like even like rigging elections so they don't have a majority, for example?
They will anyway. The Republicans will do this
Real
anyway.
quick, he's asking me the question, and I actually do have limited time again because now my debate is coming.
Is this for real
time?
So hold on. Limited time?
So this time for real. So when it comes to like what can we do in the future, we're a republic, which is the rule of law, which means we have to pass legislation. So if you don't like the pardon, you got to pass the pardon. And one of the things that's been pissing me off about this conversation is people are saying, oh, well, you know, they're ignoring the court orders or whatever. I don't think so. As far as I'm concerned, I'm pretty sure that a shitload of court orders have come down that have limited the power of the presidency and have been followed by the executive administration.
So you can break the law as long as you listen to the court when they do. Where's the dick analogy? The dick analogy. That's right.
Wait, this is the other thing.
He's angry by the concept of time that you have to violate a law in order to be held accountable for.
This is the other thing that I want to talk about.
Just to be clear, Connor's mad because he doesn't know what courts are for. He thinks that you're allowed to break the law as long as you stop breaking the law when the court tells you to stop breaking the law. That's not how that works.
Or the court can hold you criminally accountable if you violated the law intentionally and knowingly.
Which they've done how many times to Trump?
They've done it.
The National Guard is
Yeah, hold on. What do you think your strongest argument is here for Trump during his second term? Trump during his second term, when do you think he has most clearly, knowingly used his executive power in a way that he knew he didn't have the authority to do so?
The National Guard, right? I mean, like, it's blatantly illegal to send a National Guard.
Well, okay, what's your evidence that he did not know that he did not have the authority
first of all, Destiny brought up earlier the Black Lives Matter stuff where he wasn't able to deploy the National Guard without state consensus. By the way, this is established in Title 32, which explains the exemptions, none of which is met, because Trump originally said he's going to do it for domestic law enforcement, which is legal according to the Policy Committees Act, which means that Trump knowingly was violating this stuff. That's the thing I want to bring up. You cannot deploy the National Guard without the federal government, without the state government.
Actually, I have a question for you regarding that. I see a lot of right-wingers talk about how Eisenhower federalized the National Guard to enforce desegregation against the will of the Arkansas governor. So what was the
reason that is because I have a debate in my college around this, so I was doing research on this. So you can do it. There's three conditions. You can do it if the U.S. is being invaded, there's a rebellion or danger of rebellion, or if the president is unable to enforce federal law. The issue is none of these apply because why Trump deployed the National Guard to blue cities is because of
because he's unable to enforce the federal law in sanctuary cities, right? Because sanctuary cities.
No, that's not why he deployed it. He deployed it because he cited crime as the primary reason. Then he hasn't even retroactively changed it. He's still been talking about crime rates in D.C., Chicago, L.A. That's why he said he deployed the National Guard.
Early 1900s.
But here's the thing, though. All of the courts have come back effectively saying exactly what you said.
Which
he can, hold on.
Istanbul?
He can federalize the National Guard. He has used rebellion as a pretense.
Wait, why do you keep saying that? He's lost like every time there's been a challenge. He lost in California, he lost in
Google
DC.
the word pretense because you've used it incorrectly multiple times. So anyway,
what do you think I mean?
He's used the pretense of rebellion. And then the courts have come back and said the only way that you can use federalized National Guard, you can't use them for local law enforcement. You can only use them to protect federal buildings.
Why did he say he was sending them to DC?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. The reason he said he was sending them
in court.
It does matter because that would be the justification for the National Guard. The reason.
The pretense of rebellion.
That's not what he said.
You can't change the argument in
law
court.
enforcement.
You can't just go to court and say.
Hold on. Wait. Where did I hear? What large political streamer did I hear say, I don't care what people say in public. I only care what people say in court?
Because
there's a really famous liberal streamer who said that probably a dozen times.
That's when you're the plaintiff. It's a totally different thing. When Donald Trump goes to court, when Donald Trump goes to court to defend a thing, I've never said that you can't look at a person's public statements to determine the things that the state of mind of the person at the time. That's a lot different than me saying like, I think Connor is defaming me a million times over every single statement he's made, and then when I sue you and I go to court, I say, well, I don't think he's defaming me, but I think he inflicted emotional harm, right? Okay, well, I'm gonna get your court statements here. That's what you're charging him with. That's what you're suing him for. That's a lot different than me going to court and saying, oh, I only did this for reasons ABC. That's really crazy because when we get all the public record, you were saying X, Y, 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 Z, 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 Z. So it seems like it doesn't work there. It's not even remotely comparable. Like, though.
It's like if you stab someone. It's like if you stab someone and then say.
So hold on. If Trump makes a public statement that we all agree is an illegal purpose in violation of the Posse Comitatus Act, I agree with you. but
Yes.
he uses in
No, he
court
doesn't.
the pretense of rebellion. You should Google the word pretense.
That's not how that works. You
Google
can't
the word
actively say this is
and
why I'm
then
deploying the National Guard.
and then the court orders the Trump administration to behave in a certain way, and then they comply with said order. That's the system working.
Connor, if
When
I
you say
stab,
comply with the order, you mean-
wait, Connor, if I stab you and then retroactively say, oh, well, it's because I was scared of you attacking me, that doesn't change the fact I stabbed you because I wanted to kill you.
Yeah, but
Maybe in my head, you
hold
can
on, no. You're wrong, because that's the defense people use. Like, I thought I was going to be killed,
it.
so I
It's about
stabbed
state of
him.
mind when you do the action.
If at the time,
1910.
when I do the action,
Nice.
if I say at the time, I'm going to stab Wick because I fucking hate Wick and I think he's somebody centrist talking on these panels, and then we go to court and I say, well, I was actually afraid of my life. What do you think the prosecutor's going to say? They're going to say, well, really, let's look at the statements that you
Oh,
made at the time.
wow.
Oh, let's see if you're going to kill him because you
Okay,
thought he was too mean on panels.
But when the court comes around and says you can only stab Wick when he's being like I don't know, when he's threatening your life, and then from now on you only stab me when I threaten your life, you're complying with the order. You're fine.
This is already established. This is already established.
Okay,
This is a precedent. This isn't like a
I gotta
precedent
go.
thing.
If you guys want to
This is
continue this
already
another time, we can. However, what I would point out to you guys is that the courts are the ones that are supposed to hold you to account. So if you have beef with the way that our system is working, take a beef with the judges, take a beef with the legislature. Those are the people who are supposed to be holding Donald Trump to
The way it
account
works
right
in the
now.
United States, the way it works in the United States,
Bye. He ran.
Oh, from the
Hey,
Washington
you're not supposed to
Monument.
wait for the court to
Cool.
say, by the way, you're breaking the law. This isn't Dave Chappelle where you can go, I didn't know you couldn't do that, and you're scot-free the first time.
Irish.
Also, this is already quick. This has already been established with my issue.
Sorry, one at a time. Yell at me one at a time. Go ahead. Go ahead. One of you.
I wanted to come in. Hey, it's Kafka. Hey, I wanted to come in. I wanted
Somewhere
to
in
defend the
Dublin.
Nuremberg trials as being constitutional real quick.
Oh,
There's a lot of people
boy.
talking about how this is we have to come in and do a bunch of unconstitutional shit to hold Trump and them accountable, and there's plenty of room within the Constitution to do exactly what Destiny's calling for. All right, that's all I want to come
What's
and
this
say.
look
You can
like?
go. The Congress. If we had 67% of Congress, they could come in. They could establish courts. They could establish laws that allow us to go after these people. So it's not, and we actually do it in a way where we're not breaking the Constitution, tearing it to ribbons like all these people are talking about. That's all I can really say is that there's nothing in here. You guys all are acting like doing it would be somehow the same as what the
Still
Republicans are
good.
doing, and it's not. We'd be able to do it within the law easily.
Still
Do you think that
got
what
it.
Destiny's advocating for? Hold on, just real quick. Do you think what Destiny's advocating for, where we bar 50 to 75% of sitting Republican people, current office holders, from ever holding office again, is that a constitutional thing to do?
All right, I'm kind of over this. I think I'm gonna end it for tonight. Been fun. Good night. Good Friday. I hope everybody has a great weekend. A great weekend. Okay, the best weekend you could ever have. I will see all of you guys on Monday. Everybody have a beautiful time.